In a world abandoned by God that has mixed with the game, humanity dreams only to survive. Qinfeng gave up everything for his sister, his time, his strength, his life, but betrayal cut deeper than any blade. Now, reborn years before it all began, he walks a darker path. No family, no mercy, no hesitation. This time, he won't protect the world, he'll rule it from the shadows. Will the shadows save the world or swallow it whole? Let's find out. The story begins with a girl named Qin Xiao calling out to Qinfeng and saying he was truly incredible. Even while languishing under hundreds of debuffs, he was able to clear the ancient god ruins single-handedly. However, the Eye of Justice will still belong to her. The protagonist, who had suffered greatly from numerous monsters, called out her name and asked why she of all people did this, since he was her brother, right? She looked at him with a displeased expression and said that he was merely adopted by her parents. They had no connection with him. So how dare he call himself her brother? Songfei stood next to her, called out to her, and said that she was right. Although his brother-in-law turned out to be quite useful, he put his hand on her shoulder and said that they would not have been able to obtain this sacred artifact without him. To instantly knock out all the life energy from him, he had to go through a lot. Removing the Soul Eater blade that was currently sticking out of his back wasn't that easy. How did he like this engagement gift? He lay on the floor, called her, and said that he raised her after their parents' death, paid for her education, and after the game destroyed their familiar world, he risked his life countless times for her. He called her his dear sister, and said that, however, it seemed he was mistaken. She said that after the death of their parents, for some reason he continued to interfere in her life, bossing her around and controlling her. When she and Faye still needed protection, he was at least somehow useful. However, now that they had obtained the sacred artifact, they no longer needed him. He jumped towards him, swung two swords, and said with a smile, "Rest in peace, he will take care of his sister." MC gathered his strength to get up, and loudly said that even if they killed him, they wouldn't get away with it so easily. He couldn't do anything, and was killed with a single blow of a sword. In 2025, a game called God Abandoned Lands was released. As soon as a person fell asleep, they found themselves in the game world, whether they wanted it or not. The only value in this reality is life energy. Death reduces it, and defeating monsters increases it. The player could spend life energy to use their powers in the real world. The strongest could tear apart tanks with their bare hands, cut through planes with a single blow of a sword, and even withstand nuclear attacks. Since then, the world has plunged into chaos. He did everything so that he and his sister could live. After countless mortal dangers, he finally managed to reach the ruins of an ancient god. There he obtained a sacred artifact, the Eye of Justice. In the end, he was worthy of it. However, he could never imagine that the person closest to him would betray him. However, all his efforts were trampled. All the suffering only paved the way for someone else. He does not agree with this. If he could start all over again, he would only think about himself. Suddenly, he woke up in his room, which surprised him very much, and asked loudly, "Where is he? Is this the real world?" He turned on his phone, saw the date, and asked, "Didn't he die?" He looked out the window and asked, "Did he really reincarnate?" On the very day when this game appeared 9 years ago, the next morning, Xiao kicked the door open, called his name loudly, and asked why he didn't answer his phone since he was at home. She kicked the trash can and said that she just wanted to be supportive. Why is he making a big deal out of this? He knows how important this is to her. He looked at her with a calm expression and thought that for sure that day she had a fight with him because of Faye. Even before the God-forsaken lands, he was a famous idol, and she was his crazy fan. On the outside, he is a pretty attractive guy, but in reality, he is a vile jerk who sucks money out of his female fans. To prevent her from falling for his tricks, he forbade her from hanging around him. However, for this, she accused him of being overly controlling. She pointed at him and asked loudly, was he deaf, or was he pretending not to hear her? It was his fault that her darling dropped out of the top charts this month. If he doesn't give her money, then she didn't have time to finish because Feng came up to her and hit her hard in the face with his palm. Because of this, she fell to the ground, started crying, and asked in a confused voice, "Did he really hit her?" He said with a serious expression that he was not in the mood to argue with her now. However, if she didn't shut up, he would shut her mouth himself. He threw a card at her and said that their parents left them this money. No matter how difficult it was for her, he hadn't touched this money over the years and was returning it to her. He went into the room and said that in memory of his parents, he would not stoop to her level. However, she must listen. From now on, she is not his sister. He locked himself in the room and thought that in his past life he had missed so many opportunities trying to protect her. He refused 2 dangerous ruins and dungeons so that she would not get injured. He took a sleeping pill and wondered how far he could go without this burden on his shoulders. This time he will use everything he knows to become the strongest. Now Xiao is left on her own. However, he will cut off Fei's head with his own hands. When he fell asleep, he found himself in a strange hall and said that he already missed the Hall of Choice. He remembers the first time he came here. He spent too much time choosing a class, but this time everything will be different. In his past life, he became a warrior to protect her. It is not the worst choice, but now it will not suit him. Alone, he will be able to advance much faster. So agility and reaction are most important now. It is decided, this time he will choose an assassin. Unexpectedly, the system notified him that the sacred artifact, the Eye of Justice, had been successfully bound. The Eye of Justice had been activated. Its unique characteristic, the Power of Justice, was activated. Upon entering the game, the player automatically receives the strongest build of the selected class. The protagonist, smiling, said loudly that the Eye of Justice remained with him even after reincarnation. So that's how it works. Since he is its master, stealing it is useless. Perhaps this is why he was reincarnated. Unexpectedly, a large amount of dark energy entered his body. The system congratulated him on unlocking a secret subclass. Synchronization was in progress, and he became a shadow. His appearance changed, and he explained that Shadow was the assassin's secret build. Unlike a warrior, his original strength was already much greater this time. Unlocking a secret class build is incredibly difficult, but the Power of Justice did it. What is it? The system notified him that the Power of Justice, the primal force of the universe, was the Power of Justice. It transcends any law, natural or human. Currently, he has access to full power, as he does not have deity status, but the passive effects are already activated. He asked in surprise, a primal power that surpasses any law? In his past life, only 7 years after the game's launch, did a player emerge who managed to leave the lands abandoned by a god and enter the realm of law. Only then did humanity learn of the power of law. However, in the following years, no one was able to repeat his triumph. Who would have thought that at the very beginning of the game, he would receive a primal power capable of surpassing even the power of law? He only needs to enter the realm of law and achieve deity status to gain complete control over it. It seems another goal has appeared on his path. The system, notified that class selection was complete, he should enter his nickname. With a calm expression, he clicked on the system window and said that since his build was born in darkness, he will be Shadow. The system notified him that he was being transported to the lands abandoned by gods. This is a kingdom of ruins, filled with countless monsters. He must be careful. They are eager to kill him and drink his life energy. He must kill them to increase the amount of this energy. However, death will deprive him of half of his accumulated resource. Shell City, safe zone. There are no monsters here. Players cannot attack each other. The rate of loss of life energy is 1 point. Other people appeared near him, who asked with worried looks, where are they? What other classes and nicknames? Did he doze off at his part-time job? Was he hallucinating? He doesn't even know this. He just ate all night, but when he fell asleep, he ended up here? MC walked down the street and wondered, have so many people already got into the game? Soon, important people from the real world will appear here and subjugate the game. If he wants to stay one step ahead of them, he can't linger. Several people appeared next to him and asked loudly, so, after death, they returned to the city? These monsters are too strong. One bite, and he lost half his health. How are they even supposed to fight them? Besides, it's only a level 1 worm. Together, they only managed to reduce his health by a third. His life energy was cut in half. They called Lizzie and asked what they should do now. Fen looked at her and thought, archers usually start with a short bow. Did she really have a secret build too? She approached him and said with a smile that he had such an unusual build. Would he like to join forces with them? They couldn't handle those monsters alone, but they already had at least some experience. He refused and continued walking. The men in her group asked with dissatisfied expressions, was he trying to pretend to be a professional? The 5 of them couldn't defeat them. What could he do alone? This idiot had been told how dangerous it was there, but he apparently wanted to die. They were mere mortals, after all. No match for an elite assassin with a secret build. She found out his nickname through the system and said that they should follow him and see what he was capable of. At the same time, they would learn more about those monsters. After that, they would watch him die. She continued to follow him and thought that the lands abandoned by gods were a very creepy and dangerous place. While she didn't know how she ended up here, but with her experience in online games, she quickly formed a team. However, the first monster defeated them easily. This is too strong an opponent for first-level players. Her teammates stood nearby and said that his starting weapon is different from his. He has a dagger, although he has a short blade. He is also faster than him, although his dexterity is high and his appearance is different. Lizzie looked at him and thought that Shadow is far from simple. If they follow him, maybe they can learn something important. She was surprised when she noticed his gaze and wondered if he really noticed them. He used a skill and disappeared, which surprised them very much, and they loudly asked where he went. Did he just vanish into thin air? It is an invisibility skill. However, which class can unlock this at level 1? Then they need to return to the city. They need to figure out how to get stronger. It's too dangerous outside, and they can't afford to die again. She's right. Maybe they'll be able to find secret chests or some NPCs. The system notified that Shadow Walk makes him invisible for a certain time. When attacked, the skill is deactivated, but the first damage to the target is increased. Master of Invisibility doubles the duration of the invisibility state. The protagonist wondered, can't they see him? As expected from a stealth build, the first-level assassin's stealth skills would be much easier to uncover. However, Master of Invisibility won't let low-level monsters or players see him. They're idiots. There's nothing interesting in the shell. It's just cover for them. In this game, weaklings are just pathetic food for monsters. He came to the forest and said that invisibility was ending. The duration was short. Good thing the cooldown starts as soon as he activates the skill. A couple more seconds and he can use this skill again. The system informed him that his class was Assassin. Build was Shadow. Level 1, non-tradable life force was 75 years old, and tradable life force was 0. Strength and constitution were 13 points, agility 18 points, and intelligence 15 points. He read this and said that all players start with equal stats, but their chosen classes provide certain bonuses. When he was a warrior, his strength and constitution increased by 3 points, but this time the bonus was added to all stats except for agility, which was 8 points. He could still allocate 5 points. Most players completely invest everything into strength or intelligence to boost physical power or magical attacks, but this is a huge mistake. The system informed him that all available points were allocated to agility. At the beginning of the game, no matter how he allocated his stats, monsters would still deal incredible damage. Therefore, the only way to defeat them was to surpass them in speed. He heard loud noises, saw a monster, and the system notified that a level 1 worm, normal status, was mutating. MC looked at it and thought it was devouring life energy. It must be the one that killed those 4 newbies. Judging by the wounds, they still managed to reduce its health a little. He dodged the monster's attack and thought that when a monster kills a player, it absorbs their life energy. When it eats enough, it will be able to mutate. He used his skill, becoming invisible, which greatly surprised the monster. After that, he jumped high and plunged a dagger into the monster's head. The system notified that the damage was 174. He killed the level 1 worm and earned 10 experience points. He stood up and said that he didn't expect to kill the monster with the first blow. Even though he hit its weak spot, it was simply incredible. The system notified him that a sneak attack from a creature's blind spot doubles his damage. He said it was clear now, his new skills were quite useful. In his past life, even his strongest blow only dealt 40 damage. He nearly died several times trying to defeat this monster. He grabbed the monster's remaining energy, and the system notified him that he had earned 3 days of exchangeable life energy. He had earned 54 years and 155 days of non-exchangeable life energy. He said he had killed 4 players and absorbed 20 to 30 years of life from them, so this should have been at least 100. However, he only gained 54 years. Non-exchangeable energy is useless for now anyway. The system notified him that the power of justice had been activated, and he had unlocked the infinite mutation skill. When he kills a monster alone, he has a chance to earn mutation points to improve his skills. Every 24 hours, he will be awarded 5 points. Defeating a boss is guaranteed to earn him points. His current mutation points are 5. Feng asked loudly, does infinite mutation allow him to improve his skills? He'd never heard of such a thing in his past life. No matter what weapon or skill scroll a monster dropped, their value couldn't be increased. Is this the power that transcends all law? He wants to try leveling up Shadow Walk and Stealth Strike. The system notified that 4 mutation points had been spent, and the skills had been successfully upgraded. Shadow Walk, base bronze. Invisibility duration increased to 16 seconds. Sneak attack bonus increased to 90%. Cooldown decreased to 26 seconds. Stealth Strike, initial base, attack deals 15% more damage. He was very surprised by this and said loudly that Shadow Walk now lasts up to 16 seconds. And with Master of Invisibility, it's a total of 32 seconds. With such a duration, he may no longer break invisibility. With this level of skill, he could kill even a fully healthy worm with 1 hit. There were 2 people next to him, and the guy said that she should see this newbie single-handedly defeat that monster. He said the game isn't that difficult. The girl said he was magnificent. With his physical form, he could easily defeat a dozen people. He will protect her, right? He looked at them and noticed a monster hiding in a tree next to them. The guy called out to him and asked if he seemed tired. Maybe he should help him. He used his skill again, which surprised them a little. A spider monster jumped at them, which really scared them, and he loudly asked, "What is that?" The system announced that it was a level 1 shepherd, bronze status. The monster summons level 1 spiders, normal status. The protagonist thought that the shepherd was the starting boss with about 1600 health points. There's no way a beginner could handle this, and the spiders he controlled made things even more difficult. He ran after the monster, thinking he'd see how good his improved skills were. He dealt a very strong blow to the monster's head and jumped aside, and it started screaming loudly. The system notified him that he dealt 338 damage with the weak point attack. He hid behind a tree, thinking it was dangerous. It's a good thing he'd maxed out his agility. With his 130 health points, he would have died in 1 hit. However, his blow dealt more than 300 damage to the monster, which is simply amazing. He looked at the monster and thought it was furious. The local monsters weren't that stupid. They wouldn't wait to die. It looked like it was destroying the space to reveal him, and its spiders were waiting at the ready. He couldn't act impulsively. However, if his guess was correct, he threw a rock very hard at the spider's stomach, and the system reported that he dealt 299 damage, a weak point attack. He figured that, as he'd expected, most of the damage was coming from the bonuses from stealth skills, so even a regular rock would seriously injure it. All he needed was to throw the rock at the right moment. Then the throw will accumulate the bonuses from the hidden strike, sneak attack, and weak point attack. He hit, and the system notified that he dealt 279 damage, a weak point attack. He thought that now he needed to reactivate Shadow Walk, hide until its duration ends. At the very last moment, he needed to attack again. Suddenly, in the city, the system loudly announced that the rating had been updated. Player Shadow killed the shepherd, a bronze player, and was the first to reach level 2. The shell rating was activated. People were surprised by this and loudly asked, "What is this?" He had already been killed twice by ordinary monsters, but this guy single-handedly dealt with the boss? Does anyone know him? Only one name appeared in the rating. One of them called the leader and asked, "Isn't this the guy?" Lizzie asked, "It is him, but how did he rise to level 2 so quickly? That doesn't make sense. He also killed the boss?" A guy from her squad said that the 4 of them couldn't even handle a worm, and he killed the boss. Is this a joke? Maybe it's a system error? The guy the boss killed asked, "Shepherd, is this the same huge spider? Who is this Shadow?" The girl asked, "Is this really the same player?" At the same time, the system notified that he killed the shepherd and earned 300 experience points. He reached level 2, 2 mutation points, the shell rating unlocked, and 1 reputation point. The system is updating. MC absorbed energy from the monster and said that the small spiders evaporated as soon as he killed the shepherd. He should have dealt with them earlier to get more experience. The system notified that he earned 46 days of exchange energy, received the Greedy Hand skill scroll, bronze rank, received a rusty dagger, bronze rank, attack increased by 35 points, agility by 4 points. The required level is 1. He received the Greedy Hand skill scroll. After defeating a monster, he has a 20% chance of receiving additional loot. The required level is 1. He looked at this and said loudly that who would have thought that this boss would drop such a useful assassin skill. This significantly increases the amount of loot found. In his past life, there was a guy in the Godslayers Guild. His strength was not that great, but thanks to this skill, he became one of the strongest players. He looked at his hand and said that even if the chance was only 20% for now, thanks to infinite mutation, he could increase it. After some time, Xiao's friend called her by name and asked if she wanted to apologize to her brother. Yesterday, they skipped the exam to support Faye. It seems her brother will be very angry. She walked alongside with a very displeased look and asked what she should apologize for. Because of him, they were almost late yesterday. He is the one who should apologize. She said that, however, he takes such good care of her. Sometimes she even envies her. She said loudly in a dissatisfied voice that he always interferes in her affairs. He is not even her real brother. Faye is enough for her. She called her by name and asked what happened to her face. She said that she just tripped and fell. They arrived at school and her friend asked why their class was so crowded. She went inside and saw a transparent student sleeping at his desk. She was very surprised by this and asked what was wrong with Zhang Wei, like he was transparent? The student said that he did not know this. He just said that he wanted to take a nap, but when they returned, he was already like this. This is not the only case. All over the internet, they talk about something similar happening to people all over the world. Experts say that when a person falls asleep, he enters a state that looks like a ghost. No one has yet figured out what it is. She needs to call her parents and warn them. She should also call her brother. Xiao, looking displeased, loudly said that she wasn't going to call him first. This guy deserves to die. At the same time, the system announced that the Greedy Hand skill had successfully mutated to gold rank. After defeating a monster, he had a 70% chance of receiving additional loot. This skill was leveled up to level 2. The skill was successfully activated. He earned 2 mutation points. He earned 46 days of exchangeable life energy. Fun laughed and said that he also received 2 mutation points. To improve this skill to level 3, he needed 3 points. Soon, the chance of receiving additional loot would rise to 100%. World governments should already be concerned about the situation. More and more people will start entering the game world. He needs to develop even faster. He needs to check his item inventory. The system announced that a rusty dagger was equipped. He said that very soon people will realize that all skills and artifacts can be used in the real world. When this happens, the planet will plunge into chaos. For the player to pull this off, 2 conditions must be met. First, reach level 10, and second, have a sufficient amount of exchangeable life energy. There's no point in messing around with small monsters. You need to find a stronger boss. Loud cries of people nearby caught his attention. He walked closer and saw several people fighting a monster. The system notified him that it was a level 2, bronze status, fleet-footed maniac. He chuckled and thought that as soon as he thought about it, he'd found what he needed. He noticed one of the warriors and wondered if it wasn't Wang Meng. He didn't expect to run into him here, so the rumors were true. They say that as soon as he entered the God-forsaken lands, he assembled a team consisting exclusively of secret builds. He used the Holy Shield skill and blocked the monster's attack. The protagonist looked at this and thought that his build, the Holy Warrior, had double the stats of a regular warrior, as well as well-developed stealth skills. A girl from his party released a fireball, which dealt 70 damage to the monster. He continued to watch this and thought, the secret build of the mage, the prophet, deals double magic damage and has a unique skill, the diviner's fireball. The secret build of the archer, the keen shooter, has double the stats of a regular archer and a unique skill, rapid shooting. The secret build of the cleric, the oracle, has healing abilities twice as strong as those of a regular cleric. From the very beginning of the game, he was able to use area of effect spells. The monster very quickly dodged all attacks and destroyed Meng's barrier with a powerful blow. The archer, with a dissatisfied look, loudly said that this boss is too strong. Their attacks barely knocked down his health points. Meng rose to his feet after this attack, loudly called out to the cleric, and said that he should continue healing him. he would divert his attention to himself. The others should attack the monster relentlessly. MC looked at this and wondered if he wanted to gradually reduce its health. That was too optimistic. However, he forgot that he was in the wild, where other monsters would come to the noise of their battle. He looked at the monsters that approached them and thought that it was a plant-like creature, a normal second-level monster covered in mud slime and using area of effect attacks. The warrior ran towards these monsters and loudly told the leader that he must be careful. He dealt a strong blow with his sword to the monster, and he watched from the side and thought that this secret beast was something he hadn't seen before. The monster didn't receive much damage from this attack, and he loudly said that its defense was too high. The monster released a large amount of liquid onto the ground, and he loudly said that this liquid was too viscous. They couldn't move properly. The mage was very scared when she saw the monster walking towards her and loudly called for help. Feng jumped off the cliff and cut off the head of the monster that was attacking her with one blow. This greatly surprised all the party members, and they loudly asked, "Did the plant eater get defeated in one blow?" The warrior said that even a first-level worm takes about 10 seconds. However, a second-level plant eater was killed in one blow. How is that possible? He also struck again and killed the plant eater behind this guy. He was very surprised by this, called Heitzi, and asked if she saw who it was. She refused, and Meng loudly said that fortunately, this stranger was still on their side. They must not be distracted and continue attacking. Only the boss remained. They must hold the line. The system announced that he had killed 2 second-level plant eaters and earned 40 experience points, 1 mutation point, and received the poison arrow skill scroll. He earned 8 days of exchangeable life energy. The protagonist thought it was a skill that dealt medium-range poison damage and needed to be leveled up immediately. The system notified him that Poison Arrow, a silver rank assassin skill, fired a dart with deadly poison, with a maximum range of 14 meters, deals a maximum of 120 damage, and inflicts the poisoned state. Cooldown is 5 seconds. Required level is 2. The poisoned state deals 50% damage every second. Duration is 5 seconds. Meng missed one of the monster's attacks. The monster impaled him with its paws and raised him above its head. They were worried about what happened, and the cleric loudly said that things were bad. He didn't have enough spell speed. He turned to his group members with a worried look and said that they should run from there. Suddenly, a dart hit the monster's head, which dealt 845 damage. They were surprised by this and loudly asked, "What is this?" This attack reduced the boss's health points by half. The monster took 324 damage every second and fell to the ground, writhing in pain. The system notified that he had dealt more than 90% of the damage. The loot is his. He killed a bronze-ranked swift-footed maniac. He earned 600 experience points and reached level 3. He earned 2 mutation points and 55 days of exchangeable life energy. MC wondered what it meant. The poison arrow didn't remove his invisibility state. Now he could throw it while remaining undetected. Now nothing could stop him at the initial level of the game. Meng was very surprised by the damage the monster received and asked if a human had done this. He also noticed that the glow of the loot had disappeared. He bowed with a worried look, began to look around, and loudly asked if he could know his name. He was grateful for saving them. He asked, did he thank him? In this wild world, he didn't advise him to be so trusting of people. He began to leave with his team and loudly said that he understood him. Then they would not detain him. He stated his name and said that if they ever needed his help, he could contact them without hesitation. Heidzi said her name loudly and asked if she could add him as a friend. A group member pulled her away and told her to stop talking. Feng held the monster's energy in his hand and thought it looked reliable. Besides, the Chinese government, rich in various resources, was behind it. He could sell unwanted items through it. He squeezed the energy in his hand, and the system notified him that he had earned 3 mutation points, 55 days of exchangeable life energy, and discovered the leather leggings of the Swift Maniac. Equipped with the leather leggings, an assassin's item, 9 points of physical damage defense, 5 points of defense against any damage class, soon the cooldown would increase by 15%. The required level is 2. He said these were excellent items. When he filled his bag to the brim, he would need to go to the shell and sell everything unnecessary. This time, he would develop 100 times faster than in his previous life. Soon, he would find Faye. After some time, a group of players were fighting against a crowd of different monsters that were surrounding them from different sides. They looked at this with a worried look and loudly said that they needed to run because the monsters kept coming. They saw a huge wooden monster that approached them and were very scared because of it. This monster released many vines with thorns in different directions and killed a group of people. They teleported to the city and loudly said that monsters always appear in groups, so they are also not allowed to kill them. They need to reach level 3 to exit the game. But how can they do this at all? 3 people are not enough. You need to assemble a team of at least 6, or maybe even 10. That won't work either. He saw a team of exactly 10 people respawn. Besides, a large number of people will attract the boss. Recently, a group of 40 people attacked some damned, and he killed 30 of them with one blow. If they can't reach level 3, will they really be locked in this game forever? They were transported here after falling asleep. This means that only their consciousness is trapped. If they don't escape, their bodies will die of exhaustion. Lizzie asked why this game was so difficult. A member of her team called her and said that they had already died 3 times. Their non-exchangeable life energy had been reduced to 10 years. He was about to say something else, but she said that they couldn't afford to die again. She looked at the ranking table and wondered if Shadow had leveled up so quickly. He must have learned some trick. She needed to make him tell them so they could at least leave the game. She said loudly that they must spread the word. She wanted Shadow to help them reach level 3. When she returned to the real world, she would pay him 10 million in cash. She thought that he wouldn't be able to ignore such a sum. At the same time, in the forest, the protagonist killed a monster, and the system announced that he had killed a level 2 monster, received 20 experience points and 1 mutation point. He said it was great. Now he had enough mutation points. He chose to level up Greedy Hands, and the system notified him that after defeating a monster, he had a 160% chance of getting additional loot. He also had a 20% chance of getting higher ranked loot. He read this and said the effect was simply stunning. He could reach 200%, right? He noticed a monster walking nearby and said, "It's the damned one." The system notified him that it was a bronze rank boss. He said that it looked like it was absorbing life energy to mutate to silver status. No wonder he single-handedly killed a team of 40 people. As luck would have it, his inventory was full. He won't be able to collect the loot even if he kills it. It's better to mark this spot on the map. It will take him time to mutate. First, it's better to sell unnecessary items, and then he'll return at the same time. People in the city said that someone was offering 10 million for Shadow to help them level up. People are dying, losing their lifespan. However, the rich are again trying to solve everything with money. What should ordinary people do? MC teleported to the city, sat down on the floor, opened the market, and a system window appeared above him, stating that the time for selling artifacts was limited to 10 minutes. People looked at him and asked, where did he come from? He had 2 bronze items equipped, but he was even selling the other 2. Did he really kill the bronze status boss? His nickname is Shadow, right? That's number 1 in the rankings? Why doesn't he show his face? Most likely there's something wrong with his facial nerves. After all, his appearance in the game matches his real life. Apparently, he doesn't want to show his ugliness. A girl with a staff approached him and asked how much he charges for the ice skill. He asked for 100 days of exchange energy and thought that this girl was Grey Rose, 11th place in the shell ranking, and she also hides her face. She asked if 100 days was too much. Could he sell it a little cheaper? He said that this skill would significantly increase the speed of her development at the beginning of the game, so 100 days was not enough. She asked if she could pay with money from the real world. He said that if she had it, she could exchange it for life energy with someone else, and then come to him. He would hold it for her if no one offered more. She asked him to wait, and then asked in the team chat what they thought about it. They said that they reached level 2 only thanks to her, so they would accept any decision she made. He agreed. Besides, with an ice spell, they could reach level 3 even faster. Now the main thing was to get out of the game. She said that then, they should transfer their life energy to her. In the real world, she would return everything to them with money. She told him she'd gotten 100 days. He looked at them and thought they were a second-level team. They should have killed about 40 worms, so they should have earned much more than 100 days worth of energy. The system notified him that he'd sold an ice spell skill scroll. He'd earned 100 days worth of exchangeable life energy, or 368 days worth of exchangeable life energy. Lizzie came to him and loudly declared that she'd finally found him. She was giving him one chance. He had to help her reach level 3. In the real world, she'd pay him handsomely. People looked at her and asked, is she the one who offered 10 million in cash? Is it so easy to earn such a huge sum? Feng looked at her and thought it was Jiang Li. In her past life, she was the leader of a crime syndicate. The state dealt with them. She said that her father was the chairman of the Jiang company. He could check online if he didn't believe her. He thought that according to the news, she seduced people into selling their life energy for real money, but then kidnapped them and killed them. He refused with a serious expression, and she said that he may be strong in the game, but no one knows how this world works yet. He should join her, and he can be sure that she will provide him with a luxurious life, cars, houses, women, everything he wants. He said that if she was not going to buy anything, she should step aside and not interfere with him. He thought that cash was useless. Soon the only currency would be exchangeable life energy. She was indignant about this and asked if he was turning down such a chance. If they were in the real world, she would have taught him a lesson by now. He said with a serious expression that if she said another word, he would kill her until her life energy reached 0. She and her team were frightened by this and quickly ran away from him. After some time, he sold all the unnecessary things and had 546 days of exchange energy. The protagonist stood up and thought that now the boss was waiting for him. No one yet knows that with the help of exchange energy, game skills can also be used in the real world. No one knows that the lands abandoned by the god will plunge it into chaos. All these people who boast about their wealth and origin will soon become no one, and only their own strength will matter. After some time, Jiang Li stopped in an alley and said with a displeased look that this shadow dared to threaten her. As soon as she returned to the real world, she would definitely kill him. An unfamiliar guy came to her, called her by name, and greeted her. His name is Mao Lijun, but she can just call him Old Man Mao. He had already reached level 2 and could share a few secrets with her. Was the 10 million offer still valid? She asked with a serious expression. What secrets was he talking about? He said with a smirk that he didn't tell this to just anyone, but she was a different case. He would tell her a few things as an exception. For example, to level up quickly, she needed to invest all 5 skill points into agility, because she would become faster than the worm and be able to defeat it. She was surprised by what she heard and thought that, so that's it. Only she had already invested all her skill points into strength. She said that he actually knew something useful. Well, she agreed to accept his help with leveling up. She thought that she had finally found someone who understood at least something about this stupid game. She said that, however, he was not as strong as Shadow, so she can only offer him 5 million. Does he agree? She will pay him as soon as she gets out of the game. He agreed and said that he may be strong, but he clearly has problems with his head. How could he refuse 10 million? He's just an idiot. At the same time, MC returned to the forest to the boss and thought that, as he thought, he managed to evolve to silver status. However, he was not finished yet. Evolving to gold status will take about 8 people. He took out a poison arrow and thought that, however, he was too lazy to wait. He attacked the boss and dealt him 659 damage. The poison dealt an additional little damage, and he used the Shadow Walk skill. He thought that this monster's health was 2 or even 3 times higher than that of the bronze boss. The monster began to concentrate a ball of energy above its head and thought that this meant 2 or 3 poison arrows would be enough for it. The energy attacked in different directions, and he thought that this was a magic-type monster. It mainly attacks in an area, dealing colossal damage. He barely managed to dodge its attack. If this attack had hit him, with his current level of health points and defense, he would have definitely died. He continued to dodge the monster's attacks and thought that he should wait for the invisibility to end and attack the moment it was interrupted. Immediately after that, he needed to immediately activate Shadow Walk to avoid being hit. He waited for the right moment, threw a poison dart, and dealt 659 damage. The monster began to run away from him, and he thought that the boss's health had almost dropped to 0. So his instincts told him to run. Fine, let it die in agony. He dealt a strong blow to the monster's head and thought that it was too boring to kill a victim who did not resist. The system notified him that he had killed a damned one with silver status. He received 1,800 experience points and reached level 5. He received 4 mutation points and 124 days of exchangeable life energy. He laughed about it and said he couldn't believe he'd leveled up 2 at once and also earned 4 mutation points. He used the greedy hands skill and received 3 times as many mutation points and days of exchangeable life energy. The system notified that the additional effect of greedy hands had been activated, and 1 loot item had upgraded from silver to gold. He was happy about this, and said that it was worth leveling this skill to emerald. Now he has a 20% chance of upgrading loot. This again almost completely filled his entire inventory. He can't just run to the shell after every boss, can he? It's such a hassle. He's hoping there's something like a storage ring here. After some time, Heitzi teleported to the city and said that she finally returned alive. She praised men, and the team member said that thanks to their leader, they were able to reach level 3. He said with a small smile that it was the result of their teamwork. She, looking embarrassed, said that it was a pity that he couldn't add that guy as a friend that time. He didn't want to contact her because she was wearing those clothes. The squad member looked at her and said that if she were wearing that beautiful dress, he was sure he wouldn't be able to refuse her. People looked at the system window and loudly announced that the rating had been updated. Shadow rose to level 5. They were very surprised by this and asked, did he rise 2 levels at once? Did he kill some insanely strong boss? He was selling loot here 10 minutes ago. When did he have time? His sister is turning 18 this year. They should introduce them. If he likes her, maybe he will get something too. The archer looked at this and asked, they barely reached level 3, and he is already at level 5. Meng said with a calm expression that now is not the time to think about that. They should go to the real world and warn their family and friends about what is happening here. His team members said that the world will definitely be in trouble, but they will at least try to take care of their loved ones. Immediately after that, he woke up in the real world, and people were surprised when they saw this. The people around him asked loudly with worried looks, is he okay? Does he even know what he looked like just now? They were very worried. He shouldn't scare them like that. After all, he asked him to rest. Someone else could be tracking the suspect. They must quickly gather everyone. There was an emergency. He means to say that he assembled a team of secret builds, and even they couldn't do anything, but some players saved them single-handedly. Meng agreed and said that his nickname was Shadow. He was at level 3 that time, but by the time he reached this level, he was already at level 5. The police officer asked if this meant he was now the strongest player in the world. How did he do it? He asked if he killed the boss or something like that. The officer asked if he was telling the truth. He had been on level 3 for about an hour already, so why hadn't he returned to the real world? Maybe he doesn't have anyone here and doesn't need to warn his loved ones. Meng, looking confused, said he didn't know, but maybe he really didn't have a family. The officer asked if he might have been reincarnated. After all, they are often orphans who progress very quickly. She was confused by what she said and asked what they thought. The officer loudly called on Yu and said that he had asked her to read fewer novels. This was not a situation to joke about. He told them about what was being reported from above. The latest research confirms that many elderly people die shortly after entering the game. We were also able to collect statements from the few who returned. They said they died in the game several times, and it significantly shortened their lifespan. This leads them to the conclusion that if life energy in the game drops to 0, a person will die in the real world as well. This is something inexplicable. It's definitely beyond their comprehension. An emergency order was issued from above. Teams were ordered to be formed to explore the lands abandoned by God. They need to immediately begin forming a specialized army. This phenomenon has affected the entire planet, and all countries are doing everything possible to understand what's going on. If they fall behind, they will lose their advantage in the international race. They can't let this happen. She will become the captain of the first team. Aniu agreed, and their captain called Meng and said that he would be vice-captain, and the subordinates could choose themselves. According to him, Shadow doesn't seem like a villain. They should try to recruit him. She was appointed captain precisely because, in his opinion, her character is ideal for getting close to him. He hopes that the two of them will reveal his identity as soon as possible. It would be ideal to make him one of them and learn everything of any significance from him. However, besides this, they must monitor the stability of what is happening. Is that clear? They all agreed to this and were released. At the same time, at school, the students said that Jiang Wei said that if people fall asleep in the same area, in the game they appear in the same rookie village. She needs to warn her parents quickly. They've never played games like this. Maybe it's better to develop independently first and then involve her parents? Xiao sat next to them and thought, this is happening here. But her brother didn't write anything to her. He didn't even come to apologize to her. He's so arrogant. Every time he tried to find an approach to her, but this time he hit her. Even her parents didn't allow themselves to do that. She just skipped classes to go to Faye's concert. If her brother doesn't apologize to her 1,000 times, she will never forgive him. Luckily, she finally met Faye yesterday. It seems that because of this stupid game, it will be more difficult to arrange it in the future. He was so close and she misses him very much. She remembered something and thought that if you get into the game, as soon as you fall asleep, then he will end up there too. So if she gets there, she will be able to meet him. Jiang Wei has already reached level 3. She will have to ask how he did it. She wrote to him and asked if he would share the secrets of the game. He smiled because of this and wondered, did she really condescend to him? This is a great chance to get her. He wrote that at the beginning of the game she should invest all points in agility, otherwise she will not be able to dodge monsters. Xiao wrote, even if she wants to be a mage? He agreed and wrote, even for a mage it is very useful. At the early stages of the game, high agility will increase the speed of her spells. She wrote, what if even so she cannot win? He wrote that she should not worry. A player who has reached level 5 is able to open a teleport to the city of beginners. She should join someone to level up and then summon him. Together they will reach the top. She was glad to read and thought that these losers are not so useless. She will show her brother. He may be arrogant, but when he logs into the game, he'll see that she's become much stronger than him. He'll beg her, but she won't help him. Meanwhile, Feng saw a notification about a cursed ring with gold status, suitable for any class. All stats are increased by 8 points. Dark matter resistance by 26 points, weak point attack bonus by 1.5 points, and the required level is 4. He was surprised by this and said that this ring makes him almost 3 levels stronger. Dark matter resistance can be useful against some monsters, and the attack bonus has also increased. The system notified that the Shadow Massacre skill scroll for assassins, silver status. It attacks in one direction, has a range of 15 meters, and initiates invisibility for 5 seconds, dealing 3 hits to each enemy within the radius. It has a 12-second cooldown, requires level 4, and the cut length is 2 meters. Each cut deals 100 damage and counts as a sneak attack. He found this skill useful and said he still had mutation points left, so he should invest them in greedy hands. The system notified him that he had spent 8 mutation points out of 12. The system notified him that greedy hands was a diamond status skill. After defeating a monster, he has a 220% chance of receiving additional loot. He also has a 40% chance of receiving higher grade loot. He laughed and said that now he could loot 1 monster as if he were getting 3. He would invest the remaining mutation points in Shadow Carnage. He spent 3 mutation points and the system notified him that it was a platinum status assassin skill. It attacks in one direction with a range of 21 meters and initiates invisibility for 7 seconds, dealing 5 hits to each enemy within the radius. The cooldown is 12 seconds. The required level is 4. The cut length is 3 meters. Each cut deals 200 damage and is considered a sneak attack. The protagonist said that it's bad that the cooldown hasn't decreased. However, the skill is already very good. Everything else is trash, although the scroll of Battlecry can be sold for a good price. He heard a loud scream, looked up and saw several monsters jumping at him. He said with a calm expression that they were level 4 centipede worms. They were just in time to test his new skill. He used the skill, dashed forward, and automatically dealt several very quick blows to the monsters. The system notified that he killed a level 4 centipede worm and earned 80 experience points and 5 days of exchange energy. He stopped and said that the effectiveness of attacks had increased again. The battle time was reduced, which means there was less chance of the unexpected happening. At the moment, he has 618 days of exchange energy. However, in order to transfer all his skills and artifacts into reality, he will need at least 2.5 years. If he sells all his unnecessary junk, he might be able to accumulate enough. Then he only needs to reach level 10. He walked through the forest, and his attention was caught by someone nearby saying that he congratulated the lady, so she reached level 3. Now will she fulfill her promise? Jung Li asked. Does he think her company doesn't have 5 million? She will go to the real world right now. Here is her phone number. He should call. By the way, he can sell her his exchange energy. She will pay 10,000 for each day. Li Jun laughed and said that he was once again convinced that Shadow is a complete idiot, since he missed such an opportunity. Then they will discuss everything in the real world. He smirked and thought, so what if this energy affects his real lifespan? He can earn it whenever he wants and exchange it for real money. What a genius he is. After some time, MC came to the portal and said that the shell spatial gate was activated. The system notified him that he had opened a spatial channel and earned 1 reputation point. He can move once a day for free, but repeated teleportations require the expenditure of exchange energy. At the moment, no other gates have been found in the lands abandoned by the gods. He said that a one-way portal is essentially pointless. He will have to wait until someone from another newbie city reaches level 5 and opens a channel so he can teleport there. As far as he remembers, Faye should be in Firefly City. He will set a notification to be notified as soon as that channel opens. He left the city and decided that it is not that important. The main goal of this game is to reach level 10 and enter the wasteland. This is where the real lands, abandoned by the gods, begin. He came to the center of the city, sat down on the floor, and started selling the items he had obtained again. People were very surprised when they saw him and loudly said that he had saved up 150 days of energy to buy something this time. Last time, he sold Grey Rose and Ice Spell, which brought her to 2nd place in the rankings. He hopes that this time, too, he brought something useful for mages. Is this a battle cry for warriors? The guy agreed to buy it and spent 300 days of exchange energy. The others looked at it and asked, is some skill scroll really worth it? With such a skill, the effectiveness of a warrior's attacks will increase several times. And in these 300 days, one can earn a maximum of 2 days. After that, Feng sold all his items and thought that he sold everything within a minute and earned 650 days, and now he has a total of 2,174. However, this isn't enough to transfer all his skills and artifacts into the real world. He'll need even more. Heisey called him a genius and said he should check it out. She had something interesting. She handed him the ring, and the system notified him that this space ring contained 12 additional inventory slots and was not considered a storage. He was surprised by what he saw and thought that its exceptional value lay in the fact that it was not a storage, of which a player can only have 3 at a time. Although it could drop from any monster, the chance was extremely low. She was very lucky. In his past life, this thing was worth at least 3,600 days. He asked how much she would sell it for. She said with a smile that she didn't need energy. She just wanted to add him as a friend. She also asked him to join their team to kill a boss. He agreed to this, and the system notified that the player Big Plum had added him as a friend. He calmly asked what kind of boss it was. She said that this boss had gold status. She couldn't make out the name. It was too far away. However, there was something like a battered boat there. The protagonist thought it was a ghostly boat of gold status. This is a fairly rare boss, but it drops useful artifacts. Every time it appeared, a real war broke out between different guilds. Since it appeared near the newbie city, it must be no higher than level 5, which means defeating it will not be difficult. She is on Team Meng, managed to find the space ring, and even stumbled upon such a useful boss. Could she really be one of the legends from his past life? A koi fish? He asked how she found this boss. Hazy thought for a moment and asked. She quickly ate in the real world and decided to quickly return to the game, but who could have known that her teammates would decide to stay, so she decided to wander around and notice that boat. He looked at it and thought that there were rumors that his team had a girl with the luck of a koi fish who could find the rarest items simply by idling. Initially, he thought it was just a legend, made up to hide their method of obtaining information. However, it seemed like it was all true. She called him a genius again and asked with an embarrassed expression why he was looking at her like that. A man was watching them, and he said that she could ignore him. At the same time, a group of men were sitting in the forest, and one of them said that under his command they should not be afraid of anything. A man from the city ran up to them, loudly called out to the boss, and said that the guy left the city with a girl. They turned to him with a smirk, and he said that it was understandable. What man could refuse a beautiful girl? At the same time, MC asked if he would help defeat the boss. If it dropped items suitable for her, she could take them, but he would take the rest for himself. Did she agree? Hazy asked, however, what about Captain Meng and the others? He asked, her team would hardly cope without him, so why should he do it for free? She asked if they would do as he asked, but could she ask him for something? He agreed, and she asked with a smile if there was anything useful for her teammates. Would they sell it to them at a discount? He agreed, and she said that then they should wait until he logged in. By the way, where are they going? He calmly said that they were going to fight the gold boss. She was very worried about what she heard and said that he could become invisible, but she would not survive his direct attacks. He said that he alone would be enough. She could stand aside. She looked at him with a shocked expression and wondered if he was going to kill the gold boss alone. He was certainly strong, but this was some kind of mockery. He used a skill to become invisible, which worried her very much, and she asked where he was. A group of men were watching him, and one of them told the boss that Shadow had disappeared. He laughed and said that apparently he had deceived her and abandoned her to her fate. They should catch her and have some fun first. After all, he had said that a happy life awaited them with him. The girl came into their hands on her own. Fun stood in their way, used the Shadow Massacre skill, and attacked their entire group at once. The system notified that he had killed 5 players and earned 12 days of exchangeable life energy. He calmly asked, "Only 12 days? That's how much drops from the 2 weakest mobs." He returned to Heitzi, and she loudly asked where he had disappeared to. He said that they were being followed. He sent them back to the city. She was surprised by this, and said that she had already thought he needed to go to the toilet. Right, he can become invisible. It must be that easy for him to relieve himself, right? He can do it anywhere and not be afraid of being noticed. He was a little confused by her active surveys and said that she should already take him to the boss. At the same time, Xiao appeared in the city and said with surprise that everything here is just like in reality. She was lucky to get the hidden sacrifice build. It must be something really powerful, right? She hopes Faye would like it. She's interested. How's he doing? Does he know the secret about the starting points? Her face suddenly became angry, and she asked where the hell her brother was. Before that, he followed her like a shadow, but when the critical moment came, it was as if he had never existed. With the secret build and Wei's promised help, she will level up very soon, and then she will take care of her brother properly. Wait, is this the ranking table? Surprisingly, the first player is already at level 6. Wei boasts about his pathetic level 3. But the real expert seems to be this very Shadow. If she joins him, she will level up much faster than with her stupid classmate. But where to find him? Meng stood next to him, saying he couldn't contact Gone with the Wind. They couldn't wait for him. Did they have any ideas? The warrior said they couldn't fight without a healer. The archer said they'd probably have to find a replacement. Xiao approached them and asked if she thought they needed a healer. She just has a hidden sacrifice build. At the same time, the protagonist looked at the boss floating on the lake and said that, as he thought, it was a ghost boat. She should hide here, and he would deal with the boss himself. She agreed and said he should be careful. He jumped down, and the system notified that under the influence of the ghost boat, this place was acquiring the status of a blood domain. The rate of loss of vital energy was increased 100-fold. He thought with a serious expression. In other words, 15 minutes spent in this place was equivalent to 1 day of vital energy. This wasn't even the harshest blood domain. The system notified that it was a level 5 ghost boat, gold special status. Remaining time, 45 minutes, 25 seconds. He thought that special bosses like this often had a strictly limited time. He was lucky that he had a full 45 minutes left. That should definitely be enough. He used the Shadow Slaughter skill and dashed forward. Immediately after, he turned around and used the Poison Arrow skill. He dealt a critical hit, dealing 621 damage. He thought that one of the main difficulties with this boss was not understanding where its weak point was. Many people think it's the skeleton itself or the boat, but in fact, its weakness lies in the ghostly bells hanging from its bow. However, if you hit this, the boss will begin interacting with the water surface to unleash a terrifying attack. The water pillars deal colossal damage. A novice player wearing even silver status armor is unlikely to survive a direct hit. It's fortunate that his secret build gives him incredible agility, otherwise he wouldn't have been able to dodge. After a large-scale attack, the ghost will summon 12 aquatic monsters, each of silver status or higher. They will fight mercilessly, leaving no chance of escape. The main ghost will summon a new dozen every 3 minutes, so if the players don't keep up with them, their numbers will only increase, which will likely lead to the complete annihilation of the group. However, since he was invisible from the start, they won't be able to detect him. All that remains is to find a suitable angle and kill them all with one attack. He used the Shadow Massacre skill to kill the summoned monsters, then fired a poison arrow at the bell on the bow of the ship. Heitzi looked at what was happening in surprise and asked, "How strong is he?" He appears and disappears in a split second. The boss doesn't even have time to counterattack. He called Little Black and said that he will die soon. She doesn't need to do anything, just wait for him to revive. She was surprised by this and asked, "How is this possible? He wins, right? Besides, why does he call her that?" She asked, "Did he call her wrong?" She loudly said that her name is Big Plum. At the same time, the bandits he killed earlier were walking through the forest and said that he was too frivolous. That girl really shamed him. A guy ran up to them, called the boss, and said that he found them. That girl is hiding on the cliff, and Shadow is fighting the monster. He walked towards them and said that he brought all his brothers. Now they will definitely kill him. MC looked at the boss and thought that the last and most difficult thing is that when the boss's health drops to half, it will produce a colossal spiritual emission. At his current level, even he won't be able to withstand this and will freeze for 5 seconds. He stood under the boss's attack, and the system notified that he had died. The system notified that he had lost 326 years of constant life energy and 1,057 days of exchangeable life energy. The bandit saw this, laughed loudly, and asked, "This narcissistic idiot thought he could handle the gold boss alone? What a huge ball of energy. He's a rich guy. Attention, this monster only has half his health left. They will finish him off now. Besides, they will collect so much energy. It's only half, that's what he needed." They didn't have time to do anything because the boss defeated them all with one attack. The guy put his hands on his waist and screamed, "Damn, how could Shadow not knock half his health off? This boss is unreasonably strong." The player next to him screamed, "What nonsense, they died as soon as they got close." His comrade added, "And so many little things have piled up. How are they supposed to fight all this?" Then the player clenched his teeth and said, "Damn, they're going back." He refused to believe it. Meanwhile, the protagonist ran across the field. He said he was back. "Hazy, where did all these energy spheres come from?" She looked at him and exclaimed, "Genius, he's so fast. There was a team of rowdy guys here, but they were all killed by the water pillars." He said, "I see, they overestimated themselves." He thought that in his past life he had also suffered from the phantom rooks. The boss can only use the immobilizing spell once, after which, reducing his health to 0 wouldn't be too difficult. But there's a problem. When his health is below half, there's a chance that when he takes damage, he'll teleport to another location. But at that moment, he used a poison arrow, aiming it at the monster. He got closer and thought he'd studied its habits too well. The next second, he started using Shadow Massacre. The team of players watched what was happening. One of them shouted, "Boss, he has to watch. That guy's fighting the monster again." He shouted, "Great. They'll take them both down." Big Plum shouted, "Those idiots again. They mustn't interfere with a genius." Then she concentrated energy in the staff she held. She directed it at the players, using divine lightning. The players shouted, "Damn it, who's attacking them?" "Boss, it's that sorceress." Their leader, rising to his feet, shouted, "Does that fool want to die? They have to kill her." She gripped her staff tighter in fear, then ran in the opposite direction, calling for help. A team of players ran after her, the team leader running ahead, shouting for her to stop, or she'd give them a good time. At that moment, 2 players hid behind a tree, watching the action. MC, continuing the battle, thought, "He's almost dead, even though he's only level 5. Fighting him alone isn't that easy. He deals too little damage, which is why the fight drags on and attracts unnecessary spectators. Some guys on the cliff apparently died here recently. Another group is hiding in the forest, apparently waiting for him and the boss to fight each other so they can claim all the loot." The next second, the system reported that he killed the ghost rook, a gold one. He earned 4,800 experience points. Congratulations on reaching level 8. He earned 7 mutation points. He received 216 days of exchangeable life energy. He thought it was a good fight. Afterwards, he used Shadow Walk and a system window appeared on the server, stating that Shadow was the first player on the server to kill a gold level boss. 3 reputation points were earned. The players, seeing the system window, shouted in surprise, "Gold level? Where did he get so much power? What region do people come from in the shell? Such a hero simply must come from a great country." Wang Meng frowned and said that just recently he single-handedly defeated a bronze boss, and now he's reached gold. Why is the difference between him and them so great? Xin Xiao stood next to him and thought, this Shadow is definitely the strongest. If he helps her level up, she'll be able to meet Song Fei very soon. Meanwhile, the players hiding behind the tree looked at the battlefield, filled with loot, and one of them said there was a lot of loot, and that guy went invisible, apparently spotted them. Guang, he needs to use his skill and find it. They'll kill him and take it all. He replied, yes. After that, he drew his bowstring and fired, using an ability called Ghost Eagle. The bird flew forward and then scattered into a multitude of feathers. The protagonist, looking at the feathers flying around, thought, Ghost Eagle. He didn't think these guys had a skill that deactivated invisibility. Now it makes sense why they were so hopeful about taking all the loot. However, his skill level is higher than theirs, so it won't work. After that, Guang turned around and said, boss, he's not here. He must have gotten scared and fled. The player added, he's not that stupid. The team leader said, for now, they need to protect the loot. They must be on guard. That guy's ownership will expire in 5 minutes, so everything will be theirs. They approached the middle of the field, and the next second, MC suddenly attacked them, chopping them into tiny pieces. After that, he said, it's much quieter here now. Speaking of which, where did Big Plum go? Okay, he'll find her later. He has enough points to level up Greedy Hands. He'll do that before collecting all the loot. A system window appeared in front of him, saying, Greedy Hands, a diamond-level epic assassin skill. After defeating a monster, he has a 300% chance of receiving additional loot. He also has a 100% chance of receiving higher grade loot. He extended his hand forward and thought, 100%, what a huge bonus. He'll begin. After that, he began to pull the loot into his hands and shouted, come on. The next second, a pillar of light descended upon him, and the system reported that he had used Greedy Hands. 7 mutation points acquired, 216 days of exchangeable life energy received. Special item received, ghost bells. He looked at the ghostly bells in his hands and said, so even artifacts can double in power. Then a system window appeared in front of him, saying, Ghostly Bells, a special item, allow you to retain your life energy after death. Cooldown, 1,800 or 1,560 seconds. Passive skill, Soul Eater. Killed monsters drop 20% more life energy, and holding more than one pair of ghostly bells doubles the effect. Active skill, Soul Shock. Ringing the ghostly bells immobilizes all enemies within 100 meters for 3 seconds. Cooldown 600 or 521 seconds. He thought, bells aren't considered equipment but an item, so they only take up one inventory slot. Then a sound was heard, a voice shouting, Genius! He must save her! They can't get any closer. The protagonist shouted in surprise, Big Plum, where is she? She kept yelling at them not to touch her. One of the players surrounding them said, She's a running girl. Another player said, There's no way forward. She should go to them. They'll give her a fabulous treat. She clenched her fist, turned around, and the next second, she jumped off the cliff, crashing to her death. The team leader looked down and said, What a determined girl. Just jumped. Then she relayed, Genius, she said. There's no need to save her anymore. She's already back in town. It was a good thing the captain was storing all the team's exchange energy. He said, Okay, she should wait for him there. She replied, Okay, Genius, he did a great job. After that, the protagonist clenched his fist, sighed, and said, Now he has 115 days of exchange energy and 21 mutation points at his disposal. He would continue leveling up his greedy hands. A system window appeared in front of him, saying that the greedy hands skill had reached epic status. The required costs for leveling up had been increased tenfold. He wanted to spend 200 mutation points. He said 210 points, so it wasn't that simple. The higher the skill's status, the more resources were needed for leveling up. Okay, then he'd focus on offensive skills. That way, he'd be able to kill stronger bosses and get better loot. A system window appeared in front of him, saying, Shadow Carnage, Platinum Diamond Assassin Skill. Attacks in one direction, range is 27 meters, and initiates invisibility for 9 seconds, dealing 7 hits to each enemy within range. Cooldown is 10.43 seconds. The cut length is 4.1 meters. Each cut deals 300 damage, counting as a sneak attack. Sneak Strike, base gold, attack deals 30% more damage. His body glowed, and he said the damage from Shadow Carnage had increased by 50%. Even without invisibility, he could deal over 2,500 damage at a time. If he also used Sneak Attack, the damage would increase to 6,000. Typically, a gold boss drops 2 to 4 silver tier artifacts, and the chance of dropping anything gold is very low. But thanks to his greedy hands, he obtained 11 gold items and scrolls, 2 platinum artifacts, and 1 platinum skill. Not bad, 3 of them suitable for an assassin. He looked at his weapons. A system window appeared saying, Twin Phantom Blades, Assassin's Platinum Weapon. Attack plus 136, Dexterity plus 22, Attack Speed 24%, Armor penetration plus 17, minimum level required 5. Effect: every normal attack deals double damage. He said this feature isn't very useful since he mostly uses skills, but the basic stats of these daggers are quite good on their own. Increasing attack speed will also increase skill casting speed and cooldowns. A system window appeared in front of him, saying, Golden Phantom Leather Armor, with physical defense plus 25, fire resistance plus 50, attack block plus 14, health plus 419, and a required level of 5. The armor appeared on his body. He said leveling up hadn't yet increased his physical condition, but with this armor he will be able to increase his health to 769. Now most players wouldn't even be able to scratch him. He called up the system window again and reaching out, added, Well, it's better to make the armor invisible. Then other players would think he had basic assassin gear. Time to see what that skill was. The system window said, Blurred Shadow, the gold version of the assassin skill. Passive ability, reduces damage taken by 15%. When fully activated, it grants immunity to all types of damage. He said he finally had a damage reduction skill, but in his past life, it hadn't been considered very useful because increasing the passive's percentage was incredibly difficult. He'd had to completely neglect the level of his other artifacts, which was tantamount to mortal danger, but he was different. He decided to learn it. He could level up skills directly. That meant he wouldn't have to sacrifice anything to increase the percentage. Everything else belonged to the warrior, lyricist, or archer classes. He'd sell it to Wang Meng at a 10% discount. Although it was unlikely his team would have the energy for it, knowing his personality, he could safely loan it to them. Still, he'd become significantly stronger thanks to Big Plum. He'd have to thank her. He was walking forward when suddenly a team of players emerged from behind a tree. He looked at them in surprise, and then the team leader turned and started running, shouting, Shadow! They have to run! The players ran in the opposite direction, trying to run as fast as they could. The guy yelled at his partner to get out of the way. You idiot! They can't leave him alone! The others were screaming, Damn it! He shouldn't come near them. They were asking for help, but the next second, the protagonist used his skill again, attacking everyone at once. But the team leader ran up to him and said it was his fault. It wouldn't happen again. He was asking him to let him go. Brother, genius, he was asking him not to kill him. He only had a year left to live. The protagonist looked him in the eyes and said, he hardly thought about that when he attacked the others. right? The next second, a hole appeared in his head, pouring liquid. He screamed loudly, clutching his head. The system reported that he had killed too many players, so he was receiving the first level of killer status. If he dies, he will lose 75% of his life energy. A killer status icon appeared above his head. He thought, whatever, that's what he has ghostly bells for. After some time, he returned to the city, and the players shouted in surprise. Shadow had returned after killing the gold boss. He got so much cool loot all by himself. He's definitely a cheater. Is he not wearing any equipment? Then a player approached him and said, Brother Shadow. He asks him to wait. He handed him a book and said that, as an apology for what happened, they had bought this assassin skill for him. He asks that they forget what happened between them. Okay? The protagonist took the book in his hand, and a system window appeared in front of him, which said, Pierce, a standard assassin skill. Single target. Deals an additional 20 damage and inflicts a 2-second stun. Cooldown is 22 seconds. The player said that it was a melee skill. The protagonist walked past them and said, okay. One of them, gritting his teeth, said to Xiang Xiao, he killed them, and they gave him a skill for it. He replied, that was true. Why should they let them be treated like that? The player suggested gathering everyone they knew and attacking him as a group. He couldn't possibly stand against 100, could he? The team leader turned around and said, they're making a lot of noise. Idiots. This guy must have some kind of secret. If they found and kidnapped him in the real world, they'd not only learn the cheat codes, but also turn him into a slave to harvest his life energy. The player smiled and said, I see, that's a good plan. The leader added that he'd send a woman to gain his trust and extract information. It was clear from his speech that he wasn't from their circles. He seemed poor. Someone like him would definitely fall for a beauty. After a while, he approached Big Plum and, holding out his hand, told her to take her share. She smiled shyly and said, wow, she's grateful. Genius. Except she's a big plum. Then she swung her staff, spreading fire around her, and shouted joyfully, amazing. This skill and necklace have amplified her power and increased her mana regeneration rate. Genius. Thank you so much. He replied, you're welcome. And now she should give him the ring, as they agreed. She replied, yeah, he can take it. By the way, while she was running away from those idiots, she stumbled upon a cave. Maybe it's the entrance to the ruins? Did he know? He figured, first the ghost rook, and now the entrance to the ruins. Being friends with her is quite useful. His generosity paid off. It's unlikely she would have told him about it if he hadn't given her 2 gold items. Thanks to the ring, his inventory now has 27 slots. After that, he asked where Wang Meng was. As soon as he sold them the items, he set off for the ruins she mentioned. She extended her hand and said, okay, but the captain and the others have gone to train a new cleric. They won't be back anytime soon. She called up the system window and added that she'd marked the entrance on the map. He'd find a stone slab in the bushes. She'd moved it when she tried to hide. She only went down a couple of steps, but was startled when she heard screams coming from there. He replied, I understand. He'd go there, and he'd deal with Wang Meng when he returned. After that, he instantly disappeared, and she asked in surprise, a genius. At that moment, the protagonist was making his way through the forest at lightning speed and thought, at first, he'd wanted to look for a place to farm, but now he wouldn't have to. Near the newbie village, there were 3 types of ruins: tombs, cursed ruins, and temples of faith, and all of them were chock full of bronze and silver monsters. For him, this represented a sea of energy and mutation points. After some time, he approached the right place. He crouched near the stairs leading down. As he descended, he thought, there were 3 types of ruins near the newbie village: tombs, cursed ruins, and temples of faith. There wasn't much to say about tombs. They were usually inhabited by hordes of small monsters, and a golden boss awaited players at the end. The monsters in ruins were cursed by ancient evil gods. Perhaps they were once humans, but for some reason became ghosts after death. Temples were inhabited by monsters that were once humans, worshipping ancient gods. Temples were usually the most complex type of ruins. Successfully clearing the last 2 types yielded special items or skill scrolls. Looking around, he thought, frescoes. So this must be a temple of faith after all. The paintings looked very familiar. This was the temple of the ancient god of justice. Then he heard screams coming from ahead. He wondered if it shared the same roots as his eye of justice. Meanwhile, Wang Meng was fighting the monster, but another blow sent him flying to the ground. One of the players, turning to Qin Xiao, shouted at her to heal faster. She looked in surprise at the fallen leader. The player screamed, why is she standing there? She was shaking with fear, tears streaming down her face. She screamed, but how? The monster charged at them, and the player, holding his sword in front of him, screamed, damn it, it's attacking again. She has to use her skill. But instead, she dropped her staff and, falling to her knees, began to sob, screaming that she was scared. After a while, they returned to the city. Big Plum ran up to them and waving said, hey captain, they're back so fast. Shadow hasn't returned yet, we'll have to wait for him. At that moment, one of the players turned to Qin Xiao and, pointing a finger at her, shouted, damn it, he's never seen such a fool. She doesn't know how to defend herself, nor does she know how to use her skills. Does she even know anything at all? Big Plum stood in front of her, spreading her arms wide, and indignantly asked, what's he getting up to? This was her first try. The guy indignantly shouted, move aside, Big Plum, he'll tell her everything. Then another player said, Big Plum, this is already the 3rd time they've died in an hour. She asked in surprise, huh? Then she reached for her necklace and said, but then, she's with them now. The genius had just given her 2 interesting things. With her, their team won't die. The team leader said, okay, she's right, he hopes everything goes well this time, and they'll cross paths with the genius when they get back. Qin Xiao, embarrassed, lowering her gaze, said, She apologizes. She'll try harder. She thought, they made a mistake themselves, and they blame her? If it weren't for their connections to Shadow, she wouldn't have even approached them. How they infuriated her, a bunch of stupid jerks. Meanwhile, the protagonist walked through the passage into the hall and heard sounds coming from the monsters lying on the floor, their hands raised. The system reported, a devoted believer of the ancient god, a condemned man, level 10, silver. He paused for a moment, then immediately used Shadow Slaughter, attacking the monsters as he resolutely advanced. Turning around, he looked at their HP and thought that even with sneak attack and breaking invisibility, they had lost only a negligible amount of health. But what else could you expect from level 10 silver monsters? Add them all together and they'd be scarier than a golden ghostly rook. They were bowing again, but why towards him? He was invisible, right? Did they sense the aura of the Eye of Justice? Is that why they weren't attacking? He then asked, do they know the way? They should lead the way. One of the monsters uttered something unintelligible in response, and MC thought, it seems their consciousness has been so damaged that they're no smarter than animals. Now all they need is to drain people's life force. The monsters continued to scream, concentrating their energy in their hands and running forward. At that moment, Grey Rose and her team stood in the passage. She shouted, careful, there are monsters. 2 silver monsters. They can't even handle 1 blow. What's the point of 2? They have to run. The next second, the monster's energy enveloped Grey Rose. The protagonist, watching them, thought it was a company. Apparently, their leader, Grey Rose, who had bought the ice spell from him. He didn't think this temple would be discovered so quickly, although none of them would have the strength to clear it out anytime soon. He reached out to the dropped loot and said, there's over 100 days worth of exchange energy here. Quite unexpected from the likes of them. Then he rose to his feet and asked why he couldn't find anything. No traps, no treasure. Surely it couldn't be just those 2 idiots here? Okay. The next second, he attacked the monsters. The system reported that he had killed the condemned, a silver one. He had earned 4,000 experience points. They congratulated him. He had reached level 9. He had earned 4 mutation points. He had earned 188 days of exchange energy. Then he used greedy hands. He shouted, epic level is simply incredible. 32 mutation points, 1,504 days of exchange energy, 4 gold artifacts, and 10 silver ones. There's even an assassin trinket here. He held a medallion in his hand, and the system reported that it was a believer's medallion, a gold one, an assassin's artifact. Plus 15 agility, plus 20% reload speed, required level 8. Unique effect, summons the condemned. Cooldown, 600 seconds. He clenched his fist and shouted, increasing reload speed. Cool thing. Invisibility's duration has been reduced from 22.6 to 19.2, poison arrow's duration from 4.3 to 3.7, and shadow slaughters from 10.4 to 8.8. The remaining items will have to be kept for now and sold later, as no one can currently use items above level 8. Then he turned around and, hearing a sound, a stone panel appeared from the ground. He said, I see. To activate the mechanism, you first had to kill all the monsters in this hall. Approaching the panel, he thought, a hidden mechanism. After that, he heard a click, and part of the floor beneath him began to descend, and he asked in surprise, an elevator? The ceiling above him closed, and after a while, it descended to the required height. Finally, it seems he's descended about 300 to 400 meters. Then, looking ahead, he said, these are the temple catacombs. This isn't found in every temple, but in his past life, he'd managed to explore several such places. There are plenty of traps here, but since people in this game can be used as cannon fodder, they don't pose any particular difficulty, and the only thing is that the whole thing will take a long time. At his current level, he would die from any of them. After that, he took out the believer's medallion and said that, fortunately he had this thing. He pointed it forward and used summon condemned. After that, he ordered forward. The summoned one moved on, and MC folded his arms and said that exploring the catacombs with him was much easier, but the danger was still not zero, so it would be a good idea to level up his resilience. A system window appeared in front of him, indicating that he had spent 11 mutation points. Blurred Shadow, a gold epic assassin skill. Passive ability, reduces damage taken by 75% when fully activated, grants immunity to any type of damage. He said, great. He still has enough points to level up Shadow Carnage to epic level. Then a system window appeared, informing him that he'd spent 13 mutation points on Shadow Carnage, a diamond-level epic assassin skill. It attacks in one direction with a range of 30 meters and initiates invisibility for 12 seconds, dealing 9 hits to each enemy within range. It has a cooldown of 8.8 seconds. The cut is 5 meters long, dealing 400 damage and counts as a sneak attack. He said that to upgrade Shadow Carnage to Legendary, he'd need 10 times the mutation points. The higher the initial level of an artifact or skill, the more profitable it is to upgrade. For example, if an item is initially epic, upgrading it to Legendary will be its first, and will only cost 1 mutation point. Even though the cost increases tenfold at such a high level, 1 times 10 still equals 10. So, if he manages to find an epic skill or item, he can very quickly level it up not only to Legendary, but also to Mythic, Ancient, or even Immortal. But if the skill is basic to begin with, he'll have to level it up 7 times just to reach Epic, and further leveling will require hundreds of points. But don't forget that leveling a skill to Epic isn't that expensive, so now any of his abilities will be at least as powerful as this. Only 11 points remain. That's enough to level up Shadow Walk. Then the system reported that he'd spent 8 mutation points, Shadow Walk, Silver, and Platinum levels. Invisibility duration increased from 16 to 24 seconds. Sneak attack bonus increased from 90 to 150. Cooldown decreased from 26 to 22 seconds. He said that thanks to the cooldown reducing item, he now has 16.3 seconds. But it still took too long, and the sneak attack bonus wasn't that great. He'd have to remember to level that skill up in the future. The next second, the monster stepped on a slab underground, after which a huge stone ball fell on it from above. The protagonist, approaching, said he'd have to wait to summon a new one. It was rather slow, but the only safe way. He hoped it would pay off. Meanwhile, on the temple's upper floor, several team members peeked around the corner. The guy, addressing the leader, said that both monsters had disappeared. Grey Rose asked in surprise, "What?" She walked to the center of the hall and shouted, and the life energy was gone too. Maybe someone had killed all the monsters and taken the energy, but who could it have been? The player said he thought only Shadow was capable of something like that. Their team member asked, "He was here, so he took their energy?" It seemed that way, but at least they were safe now. Grey Rose thought, when they got here, she caught a glimpse of someone. She even thought he was talking to monsters. So it was Shadow? Does he really have a skill that can enchant monsters? This guy is frighteningly incredible. Meanwhile, the protagonist made his way further, but another trap destroyed the monster he summoned. He said that he had been wandering here for 3 hours already. This must be the end of the catacombs. If he didn't have the medallion, it would have taken at least 100 human lives to get here. After that, he walked forward and summoned the monster again, after which he ordered the huge doors in front of them to be opened. The monster, shaking all over, tried to open it, but MC, looking at it, thought, "It can't? Strange." Then he put his hand to the door, and it opened, releasing clouds of smoke. The protagonist silently looked ahead and then walked inside. He noticed a chest standing in the center and wondered if it was covered in vines. Was there an NPC standing next to it? He looked at the information that appeared nearby, but it only contained question marks. He was surprised by this, and then realized that he had never encountered such a mysterious NPC before. After that, the NPC said something in an incomprehensible language and began to disappear. The MC asked in surprise, "Disappeared? Just like the vine?" He might know nothing about it, but he had a gut feeling it was somehow connected to the Eye of Justice. The chest glowed golden, meaning there was something epic inside. But he had to be careful. It could still be a mimic or a trap. After that, he ordered the monster to open it and pointed at the chest. The creature complied, and a bright golden light emerged from the chest. The protagonist shouted, "Skill!" An assassin skill with both an active and passive effect. A system window appeared in front of him, which said, "Gift of Mercy, an epic assassin skill." Passive effect. The chance to hit a weak point is increased by 100%, and the damage multiplier for such a hit is doubled. Active effect. The next attack inflicts the Flesh Tier debuff, which deals 100% of the previous attack's damage per second for 3 seconds. Cooldown, 44.4 seconds, he said. The passive increases damage when hitting an enemy's weak point, but the active effect is even crazier. If his next attack deals 300 damage, the enemy will be debuffed, removing another 900 health over the next 3 seconds, for a total of 1200 damage. Skills like Shadow Slaughter deal multiple hits, but Flesh Tier only needs 1. Furthermore, this skill is of the epic class, meaning it only requires 10 mutation points to level it up to legendary. What a harvest! His damage has increased exponentially, and all thanks to Big Plum. He will sell the rest to her company. After that, he conveyed, Big Plum, she should tell Wang Meng to return to the city. He has something to sell them. She asked, "Genius, has he finished exploring the ruins yet?" They are moving. After some time, the protagonist arrived in the city and said this. He was surrounded by players. They joyfully shouted, "Shadow is here. Brother Shadow, will he add him as a friend? Shadow, does he not need assistance? He can support him from afar." Is this the one? He is the chairman of the groups from Shanghai. He wants to officially offer him a place in their company. Genius, they came from Firefly City. His little sister is a big fan of his. She really wanted to see him. Genius, he should take them as assistants. She is even willing to share his wife with him. They are from Azure Wave City. The protagonist, walking forward, thought, it seems the portals to other rookie cities have finally begun to open. Now he can go to Firefly City for Song Fei. The next second, he seemed to have evaporated. The players standing nearby screamed in surprise. He disappeared. The players shouted, "Damn, it's all their fault. Why did they have to put so much pressure on him? He should look at himself. How dare he introduce his ugly sister to a genius? He'll tear him to pieces. Just let him try." Then the protagonist walked up to Big Plum. She turned to him and shouted, "Genius." Then she waved her hand and shouted, "Captain, the genius has returned." The protagonist, looking at his team, thought in surprise, "Qin Xiao?" He came closer and thought, how could she have infiltrated Wang Meng's ranks? His team will be destroyed because of her. He has to be careful. The whole world now knows about Shadow. He can't reveal his true identity. While he can't use his powers in the real world, even an ordinary kitchen knife can kill him. At that moment, she blushed with embarrassment and thought, so it's Shadow. It's clear from just one look that he's the strongest. Compared to him, Wang Meng's company is just trash. If she can become friends with him, she will be able to meet Brother Song Fei in the near future. After that, the protagonist called up the system window and said, these artifacts and skills are suitable for their classes. He'll charge 2200 days of energy for everything. Wang Meng shouted in surprise, so expensive? All of these are silver and gold class. They can't afford it. The protagonist said it was fine. They could pay later. In response, the team leader thanked him. If he ever needed them, he only had to say the word. They would do their best. The players shouted, Shadow is simply magnificent. He'll have a gold artifact? Then the leader shouted, his DPS has tripled. And he actually loaned them this? Does he trust them that much? Then he asked in surprise, there's nothing here for a priest? The player looked at Qin Xiao and dismissively said, nothing means nothing. She'll make do with the experience she gets from them. After that, she approached the protagonist and said hello. She was a priest from Team Wang Meng. Did he have anything for her? At that moment, the system announced that player Little Graceful wanted to add him as a friend. He glanced at her and then disappeared. She asked where he'd gone. The leader said he probably just didn't have anything suitable for a priest this time. The player added, and it seemed like he deliberately ignored her. Big Plum said she loved his sudden appearances and disappearances. Meanwhile, the protagonist appeared in one of the alleys and thought, he did have golden artifacts and priestly skills, but why would he give such valuable things to Qin Xiao? Over time, the amount of unwanted equipment would only increase, and holding a sale in the square would take too much time. So establishing contact with Wang Meng, who has the state behind him, is now an excellent solution. Qin Xiao shouldn't interfere with this. They need to find another priest to replace them on their team. Miss Yishui should be suitable. Gu Yishui, the leader of the Godslayer Guild from his past life. She has a hidden priest build, a white bird priest, which grants her a familiar capable of healing and buffing. In his memory, she was the only priest capable of killing a gold boss without assistance. They've been through a lot together. Compared to her, Qin Xiao is just trash. By the way, it seems she's from Firefly City, just like Songfei. Perfect. If he finds her, he'll ask her to join Wang Meng's team. The system announced teleportation to Firefly City. After some time, he arrived at the right place and exited the teleport. Using invisibility, he walked forward. There were players behind him. One of them shouted, we need to run back. They'd already taken half of that silver boss's health. If he goes to someone else, they've died in vain. His partner shouted, damn it, that idiot Song Fei is dragging hordes of fangirls around with him. How are they supposed to deal with him? He doesn't understand how a mid-level singer could even get so many brainless fangirls. His partner angrily shouted that he would definitely kill him today. The protagonist thought, easy as pie. He teleported to the necessary location and thought, this is a level 5 area, the Valley of Weeping. Heat demons and prisoners live here. Peeking around the corner, he heard shouts, he must attack. We need to block. At that moment, the two-headed monster swung its arms, spreading fire around. The protagonist thought, the two-headed heat demon is a silver-level boss, but the situation is strange. Most players are fighting each other. This is it. Song Fei, a player rushing forward, shouted, idiot. Last time he set him up, stole his life energy. This time he's finished. The player running ahead shouted, he thinks he's safe hiding under the skirts of his mages. He has an anti-magic skill, lock jaws. He must die. But the next second, one of the fans hit him on the head with her staff, pinning him to the ground, and shouted that he shouldn't dare touch her brother. The player shouted in surprise, what? MC, continuing to watch what was happening, thought he was a mage, and his nickname was Heaven-Defying Mage God. In his past life, he forced his fans to choose the mage class, and then took away their artifacts and skills to level up faster. A team can't consist exclusively of mages, but they found a solution. Some spent all their points on boosting their intelligence to become damage dealers, others on agility to better distract the enemy. Still others invested in health, becoming living shields. At that moment, one of the fangirls again pointed her staff forward and shouted for him to take it. The protagonist thought the others had boosted their strength and become melee fighting dwarves. At first, they were an invincible team, stealing life energy from players left and right. Of course, over time, most of these fangirls simply perished. The next second, Song Fei pointed his hand forward and shouted, sisters, they are so smart. He prayed to God that the monster would die soon so they could rest. The world should be filled with love, not violence. One of the fangirls, pointing at the monster, turned around and shouted, brother Song Fei, he suffers more than anyone. This horror should never have touched him. Sisters, they must kill this bastard. He won't dare harm their idol. Song Fei will reign over these mad creatures. The whole world will be at his feet. Brother, they will always be by his side. Then they all rushed to the attack again. The monster attacked one of the fans. Song Fei crouched next to her and, holding out his hand, said, oh my god, sister. She looked at him and said, brother, they'll do anything for him. The fan shouted, forward, sisters. If they kill this creature, Brother Fei will become #1 in the rankings. They must show Shadow his place. The others shouted in support, and may the heavens open at Brother Fei's will. The next second, several lightning strikes struck the monster directly. Fei thought, finally, if even the silver ones are so difficult, how could anyone defeat the gold one alone? He's definitely using cheats. He has so many helpers around him, but he's still at level 7. How is he leveling up so fast? But as soon as that bastard dies, he'll reach level 8. Shadow is stuck at level 9. He'll soon overtake him and become the leader in all the godforsaken lands. The next second, MC grabbed him by the mouth and then severed his head from his body using Shadow Slaughter. The fangirls screamed in disbelief. Brother? Then the protagonist attacked them too. The system reported that he had killed the two-headed heat demon and earned 1500 experience points. He had killed the player Heaven-Defying Mage God. He had killed the player Song Fei, Meow Meow. He had killed the player Eternal Servant Fei. He had killed the player Little Moth on Fei's shoulder. The other players screamed in surprise. What? He one-shot the boss? 1,000 damage hit? What the hell? His strongest skill deals just over 100. It was also an area of effect attack. He had wiped out that bastard's fangirls. Who is this assassin? Could it really be Shadow? Who else could it be? Step aside, they should let him take the loot. He killed that damn gang, which did them a great favor. They are grateful. Genius. He's incredible. They adore him. The protagonist thought they were just afraid to get caught in his clutches. In his previous life, they would have all pounced on him by now. Sometime later, Faye appeared in the city. The system reported that he had been killed by Shadow. He had lost 1,106 days of exchangeable life energy. He had lost 18 years and 113 days of non-exchangeable life energy. He screamed in surprise. Was he dead? Shadow had killed him? What was he even doing in Firefly City? Of all places, he chose this place to steal the boss from him? His fangirls, who had also appeared nearby, were screaming. Was she dead? How? It was Shadow, but why did he need to kill them? It was obvious he was targeting the silver boss. How low? He had attacked them while they were engrossed in battle. He was pure trash. Then an archer approached them and, putting her hand to her chest, said, "Bother Faye, can she join him? She's an archer, and she has the Eagle Eye skill, which unlocks invisibility." One of the fans looked at her and said she was a fool, that he only needed mages. A player next to her pointed her finger and said that her DPS was too low, that she would ruin his rating. But at that moment, Faye stood in front of the fans and said, "What are they, sisters? Love can overcome anything." He could feel her love. It didn't matter that she was an archer. He took her hand and told her to join them, that they would grow stronger together. And she trembled all over. Tears streamed down her eyes and she said, "Brother, she loves him." Then one of the fans shouted, "Brother, she's an assassin. She can turn invisible. Like fire fights, like fire." Another player added, "Brother, she learned a spell that casts area control. She can freeze him." He happily said, "Family, there's enough love for everyone. They must join. They will be together forever." The fans began to cry and scream. "A true gentleman. They are with him forever. This Shadow kills people on his stupid whim. What a dishonorable man. He will pay for harming Brother Faye." That's right. They will grab him so that his brother can kill this bastard with his own hands. They will show him what happens for disrespecting their brother. Retribution. Shadow will pay for everything. They will tear this dog apart. At that moment, another team of players was standing nearby. One of them asked, "What was that noise? That idiot again?" His partner asked, "Didn't he hear him? He was just killed outside." He asked, "With such a gang of girls protecting him?" He answered, "Shadow was the killer. Do you need any more explanations?" He shouted, "Damn, he's a legend. Did he really think he was going to make enemies with this madhouse?" At that moment, Faye, standing surrounded by fangirls, smiled and thought, "Great. When he kills this bastard in front of so many witnesses, the whole world will understand how insignificant some pathetic lone assassin is compared to him. He's a nobody." At that moment, the protagonist used greedy hands. The system reported that he received 16 evolution points, 217 days of exchange energy, 6 silver loot, and 1 gold loot. He said, "Level up the Gift of Mercy skill." The system reported that he spent 10 evolution points. The remainder is 9 evolution points. Gift of Mercy, an epic legendary assassin skill. Passive effect, the chance to hit a weak point increases by 200%. The damage multiplier for such a hit is doubled. Active effect, the next attack inflicts the flesh tear effect, which deals 150% of the previous attack's damage per second for 3 seconds. Cooldown is 18.5 seconds. He said, "A 200% hit rate on a weak point means its area doubles. If the skill gets even stronger, the weak point will be half the body, then even Shadow Slaughter will hit this one. The damage from Flesh Rip has also increased. Perhaps now he'll be able to one-shot gold bosses." It only took 10 points to level up from epic to legendary, but 100 times more to reach Mythic. He'll need 200 points to upgrade Gift of Mercy to Mythic. So for greedy hands, he needs 210 points to evolve to Legendary and 3,400 to Mythic. The 9 remaining points definitely won't be enough for that. In that case, he'll level up Blind Strike. The system reported he spent 8 mutation points. Blind Strike, Gold, Platinum. Blind Strike from the enemy's blind spot deals 40% more damage. He looked at the system window and said that killing the boss and players gave him a total of 1,400 days of exchange energy. Business was done. He could head back. At that moment, a player flew past him. She swung her blade at him and shouted, "He must die, Shadow," but she missed and screamed in surprise. "Why? Damn it, invisibility." She fell to the ground, raising clouds of smoke. Meanwhile, the rest of the fangirls were on the mountain. They shouted, "He's surrounded. He must surrender. They will avenge Brother Faye." The protagonist used Shadow Walk, and then the archer aimed an attack and said, "It's useless. They'll find him anyway." Feathers flew in all directions, and then she shouted, "Found him, sisters. They will strike him with their strongest attacks. Faye's devoted fangirls will not tolerate disrespect for their idol." At that moment, the player who remained in that spot, seeing the attacks directed at her, screamed in fear. They must wait. The next second, there was an explosion. The players above looked down in surprise. One of the fans said, "Oh well, she's not even a mage, so she never truly loved her brother. God has punished her. Hurry, she must use her eagle eye again." The archer replied, "Of course." At that moment, MC took out the ghostly bells. A system window appeared in front of him, saying, "Ghostly bells, a special item. Active skill, spiritual shock. He must ring the ghostly bells to disable all enemies within a 100-meter radius for 3 seconds. Cooldown, 521 seconds. The players froze in surprise, and one of them screamed in surprise, "She can't move!" At that moment, the protagonist burst into the crowd and used Shadow Slaughter, scattering the fangirls in all directions. They peeked around the corner and asked, "What's going on? It's like they've been slaughtered." Was this Shadow's doing? But if he was the one attacking, he should have seen it. At that moment, the protagonist invisibly approached him and told him he was dead. In response, the mage used a magic shield, but the shield cracked and crumbled. A hole appeared in his head, and he fell to the ground, dead. MC appeared and said, "This guy has a lot of life energy. A whole 2,000 days of exchange." He looked at the loot and added, "But these girls have almost nothing. Did they really give everything to this idiot? When will they understand they're not playing games here? Brainwashed fools. I even feel a little sorry for them. Now all these centuries of necessary energy will go to feed the monsters outside." After that, Faye reappeared in the city and shouted indignantly, "Damn it. He only has 500 days of exchange energy left. That idiot. Why the hell haven't they found him?" One of the fans clenched her fists and said she used a skill, but for some reason only detected their sister. Another player added, "Maybe Shadow's stealth level is higher than her skills, like she can only detect those whose level is lower than 1, and if the enemy is stronger, she won't see them." The mage said, "What an idiot, and how are they supposed to fight him? But why is he doing this to him? And he stole his boss and even killed him twice. Is he jealous of his beauty?" Then the fangirls raised their weapons and shouted, "For their safety, they will change their farming spot. They will follow him anywhere, brother." Sometime later, the main character appeared in the city. He looked around and said, "Strange, Faye's gang isn't here. Are they going to another city? Or have they left the game altogether?" Then he approached one of the players and asked him if he knew where Faye had gone. He screamed in fear, saying he'd scared him. The genius Shadow? Then he pointed forward and shouted, "That's where they went." He begs him to kill them, but he has one request. He should spare his girlfriend. Her nickname is Faybao Kitty. MC said he would change her if he were in his place. He thought that for some reason he was sure that his girlfriend was the one with the anti-stealth skill. Then the man said, "Genius, please. He's been looking for his soulmate for so long." After that, the protagonist disappeared and reappearing, walked on and thought, although he knew the approximate direction, the exact distance to them was unknown. It was stupid to waste time on a blind search. The player desperately asked, "Genius Shadow?" The protagonist thought about finding Gu Yishui. At that moment, a girl passed by him. She was holding an owl in her hand, and he wondered if it was her. Approaching her, he asked, "Nice lady, could she help him?" She cried out in surprise, "Is he Shadow?" He extended his hand to her and asked, "He heard she can track a target over a wide search radius, right? She must find Faye for him, and as a reward, he will sell her this golden artifact for cheap." At that moment, he showed her the staff. She admiringly said, "Wow, but how did he know about this?" She hadn't told anyone about her ability yet. He replied that it didn't matter. The question was whether she needed the artifact or not. She replied that of course she did, but she wasn't sure she could afford it. He asked if she didn't even have 500 days. The usual price was 700, 800. She said she had that much. They agreed. Deal. The system reported the transaction complete. She looked at the new staff in her hands and said, "Golden thing." At that moment, the protagonist flicked her forehead and told her to hurry. She clutched her head and said, "Exactly." She walked forward and thought she was meeting him for the first time, but for some reason, his aura seemed familiar. She asked if he wasn't afraid she would just take the artifact and run away. He asked if she didn't hate Faye. She was surprised. Did he even know that? Were they acquaintances in the real world? But his voice was unfamiliar to her. He asked if she would try to guess, and then she set the bird up and said, "Oh well, it's not that important. It has to fly." Her bird flew forward, and at some point she shouted, "Found it." The coordinates were Meyer 3866. 9527, but it was unlikely that they would stand still and wait for him there. MC, walking forward, shouted for her to add him as a friend and continue tracking them and reporting their location. She wondered how long she would have to do this. He answered, "Just a little." After that, he ran forward again at a rapid pace, stopping. He ran behind a tree. She asked, "Genius, why did he stop?" She needs to look around. Were there more trees like this in the area? She told him to give her a second. There was one 100 meters ahead and another one to the left, also 100 meters away. The protagonist approached the trees and extended his hand towards the magical symbols. She wondered what this symbol was. He asked, "Any guesses?" The next second, a triangle seemed to ignite between the trees, creating a magical pillar of energy in the center. A chest appeared in that spot. Yishui cried out in surprise, "A jade treasure chest." MC approached and said he didn't think he'd find the ancient god's blessing near a newbie village. He was lucky. This time, a jade chest appeared. The ancient god's blessing can appear anywhere in the god-forsaken lands. To unlock it, you need to find and activate all the symbols. Some summon bosses, others hordes of weaker monsters. Chests and treasures, unique rewards can also appear. She cried out, "Genius, this is incredible. A chest like that is worth 1,000 days of exchange energy. That's about 10 million yuan. The protagonist thought, that's still a pretty good exchange rate. In his past life, at this point, it was 1 in 10,000, and on the second day, it increased to 1 in 50,000. Yishui, watching through the bird, thought, the genius simply ran his fingers over the symbols. She should remember this. With her search skill, she could find more. After this, the system notified the protagonist, and he opened the jade treasure chest. He received a scroll of the Blooming Curse skill. He cried out in surprise. Blooming Curse? What is this? A system window appeared in front of him, saying, Blooming Curse Jade, a universal skill. When used on a player's corpse no later than 15 seconds after death, a cursed flower will grow. This will suck the player's exchange energy until it completely drains them. There is no cooldown. He thought he had heard of this skill in his past life, but didn't know the name. After that, he extended his hand and ordered, learn it. He thought that with this, he could kill players and drain their energy to 0. Faye, he's finished. He'll kill him until he logs out, reaches level 10, enters the real world, and kills him for real. After a while, several attacks rained down on the monster. Faye, surrounded by fangirls, thought, they've come this far. Shadow can't track them down, right? He's had enough of stealing the boss and killing him twice. He'll level up, he'll get what he deserves. Then one of the fangirls pointed at the players fighting the monster and shouted, he has to look. Someone's fighting the boss. He looked over and said, oh my god, they look familiar. Aren't those Jockey fans by any chance? She shouted in surprise. What? The other fangirls, enraged, shouted, them again. When will they calm down? That's it, sisters. They'll kill them. They won't dare ruin their beloved brother's rank. Meanwhile, Ah Long, seeing the approaching players, shouted, great, they have reinforcements. They almost killed him. They can finish him off together. But the next second, a fan's staff flew at his head, shattering it. The others screamed in surprise, and the player called out to his partner. Meisha, holding a book in her hands, shouted indignantly, what are they doing? Are you completely crazy? The fan said, this is the fate of new Jockey fans. She screamed in surprise. What new Jockey? She has no idea what you're talking about. The next second, several arrows pierced her head, and the remaining player called out to her in fear. The archer shouted, for my brother. They must crush these Jockey scum. The whole world will submit to Faye. Then more arrows flew forward, and they shouted, their hearts beating in unison. Faye, watching what was happening, joyfully spread his arms out to the sides and shouted, oh my god, thank them so much. He almost died at the hands of those cruel Jockey followers. The fans responded with tears in their eyes. No need to thank them. The whole world was at his feet. The protagonist watched from above. The next second, a look of surprise crossed the fan's face when the protagonist's voice said, Songfei, he's a corpse. The next second, his head separated from his body, and the fans with tears in their eyes screamed, brother! MC used a blooming curse, and a huge flower appeared from the neck of the dead mage. The fans screamed in surprise, what is this? Sometime later, Faye appeared again in the city, and he indignantly shouted, Shadow again? Has he completely lost his mind? What kind of obsession does he have with killing him? Is he jealous of his horde of fans? Damn, it looks like he even came to Firefly just for him. Maybe his beloved is one of his girlfriends? What did he ever do to him? The next second, a system window appeared in front of him, telling him that his exchange life energy was being sucked out. He shouted, why the hell are his exchange days being wasted? Is this a penalty for dying too often? Then his fangirls appeared next to him. One of them shouted, brother, this is bad. Shadow grew some kind of flower on him and it seems to be sucking something out of him. He shouted in surprise. Huh? So this flower is sucking energy out of him? He thought, idiot, so he really wants to kill him. He needs to log out or he'll lose everything. Then he raised his hand and shouted, family, it's time for them to log out. In the real world, he'll buy energy, exchange it for equipment. When they get stronger, they'll come back, and then Shadow will be in trouble. One of the fangirls shouted, their hearts will follow him everywhere. Faye, gritting his teeth in anger, thought, he has to wait, Shadow. It's not over yet. He trained for 2.5 years to reach his current position. He refuses to believe that he can't break it with money. Meanwhile, the protagonist stood near the bodies covered in chorus. The system reported that he had killed too many players, so he received the 4th level of killer status. If he died, he would lose 96.875% of his life energy. He said, another 1,000 days, this company has farmed well. But the drain stopped. Did they log out? At that moment, a bird flew overhead. Yisui thought, and this power of the first-ranked player, a nightmare. Then he asked her. He disappeared? She confirmed it, as did his fangirls. He said, okay. She should be on guard and let him know as soon as he returns. She said she understood. So, is that all for today? He told her to wait. He has the Divine Justice Gold skill. Do you need it? She joyfully shouted. Of course. He told her to wait for him in the city. She agreed with him. After some time, he handed her the skill and said that this thing was worth less than 500 days. But he would sell it to her for half the price on one condition. She shouted, genius. She won't pay with her body. He said, what nonsense. He wanted to ask her to join a team as a permanent member. She agreed, but she would complain if they turned out to be weaklings. He told her not to worry. They were worthy of her. He would contact them. Meanwhile, Wang Mang smashed the monster's head. His teammate shouted, they finally finished them off. Hurry, Qin Xiao, she must diffuse the poison. She shouted in surprise. Diffuse? Wang Mang shouted. Right, all priests have that skill. Hurry, he won't last long. She concentrated energy around herself and chanted, skill. Now, she directed the energy forward and shouted, diffuse. She sent an attack at a tree. The others shouted in surprise. She put her hand to her face and said, missed. Then a player ran forward and shouted, Captain. After a while, they found themselves in the city. The team leader put his hand to his face and thought they should replace her. But where can they find a priest with a hidden class? All the skilled ones have already joined other teams. Qin Xiao glanced at the system window and thought, this game isn't that hard. She'd reached level 4 without a second thought. Great, if this keeps up, she'll meet Brother Fei soon. After that, MC asked Wang Meng if he wanted the White Bird Priestess on his team. She's quite strong. He replied, friend, since he's recommending her, of course they'll take her. He said, okay, she's in Firefly City. There aren't many people here, so they should head here. There are plenty of monsters here. he replied. No problem. They were just about to change their farming location because the shell was already overcrowded. After that, he awkwardly approached Qin Xiao and said there were too many people in the shell, so they'd move to another zone, but it was too dangerous for her there, so she won't go with them. She cried out in surprise. Huh? She said she still can. Before she could finish speaking, the team suddenly ran in the opposite direction. They shouted that there was no time. They had to run, and she had to take care of herself. She thought, idiots. If they wanted to throw her out, they should have said so directly, instead of dodging. Well, great. She was already fed up with them. She would find a genius and level up with him. After a while, Wang Meng raised his hand and shouted, Genius. The system reported that he had received 800 days of exchange energy. The group leader said that this was for the previous battle. They owed him another 500, but Captain Anne will give it to him when she logs in. MC thought, Captain Anne? That on you? Then he said, okay, this is Gui Shui. This is Wang Meng. They must get to know each other. At that moment, a player ran up to them. The information above her said, Justice Execution. She waved and shouted, Wang Meng, she's here. The protagonist wondered if it was really on you. A Justice Execution player with a hidden Dragon Knight build, one of the top 20 in his past life, a colossus of China's official forces, a nightmare for foreign factions. She shyly shook his hand and said, Shadow, wow, nice to meet you. Her name is On Yu. She's heard a lot about him. He shook her hand and said hello in return. He thought it was the first time he'd met someone who had surpassed him in his past life. Then she said, Shadow, his leveling speed is simply incredible. Does he have some kind of secret? She even joked once that he was either a time traveler or reincarnated. He thought about it, but as far as he remembered, she wasn't on Wang Meng's team back then. It seemed her energy was being supplied by the Shanghai authorities. Dragon Knights are incredibly resilient, so storing currency there is quite safe. Then she said, Genius. If he wants to sell anything in the future, they'll buy everything. And all the life energy of the Shanghai authorities is now in her. He wouldn't kill her, would he? He replied that wasn't true, not that stupid. He would gain more from cooperation. She laughed lightly and said she hadn't doubted him. He thought, a trap in every sentence. She pretended to be naive, but in reality, all her actions were very sensible, strictly calculated. How fortunate that such a person would become his intermediary. Meanwhile, Songfei's female fans were absolutely horrified. If the life energy in the game was completely real, and if it reached 0, they would really die. Upon learning that it wasn't a game, another girl exclaimed in rage that she had given all her exchange energy to Songfei. Another poor girl burst into tears and said that she only had a couple of years left, and her friend exclaimed that this was impossible since she had only died 3 times. Why so few? She replied that by killing other players, she received the killer status and began losing twice as much. Her friend cursed and said that then she also had very little energy left. Looking at what was happening in the Songfei fan club, the most devoted fan said in shock that as a tank, she killed more than anyone else and died just as much herself, and she only had 1 day of energy left. They will die if their energy reaches 0. But this can't be true. She simply doesn't believe it. Another piece of news broke in the fan club. Her beloved Songfei was buying life energy, and she was overjoyed because if she asked him, he would definitely help her. To impress him, she decided to dress up in a full fangirl outfit and took out super shapewear with a leopard print because she was a wild cat. Putting on a charming red dress, clearly showing whose fan she was, she ran to the meeting place. Meanwhile, Qin Xiao woke up. She got out of bed and wondered if she was back in the real world. The line between worlds in her head was blurring. She checked her phone and found out that at the current exchange rate, she could sell 200 energy for 15,000 yuan, and she was very happy. Now she had 200 days, which means she was practically a millionaire. The next piece of news shocked her. Shadow was hunting Songfei, and he had already killed him 3 times. She burst into tears at the news, having been told that if the game's life energy reaches 0, a person will die in the real world as well. Even if they initially had 100 years of non-exchangeable energy, after so many deaths, they'll have no more than 12 left. But why did Shadow need to kill him? Judging by the chat, he also tore apart the girls. Why is he so cruel? A message came from their friend. Their brother Songfei needs their help immediately. The girls from Shanghai can sell him their life energy. He's at Dajang Square right now. The exchange rate is 1 to 10,000. They can help their brother and still be rich. Qin Xiao immediately got dressed. The square is just nearby. She can't sit idly by while his life is on the line. Thanks to those idiots, she managed to accumulate 200 days of exchangeable energy, so they'll definitely be useful to her brother Fei. She ran to the square, while Qin Feng dealt with the sea creatures and finally reached level 10. The system congratulated him and announced that his stats were increasing by 2 points. He received 5 additional ability points, and he also unlocked class growth. He was the first player to reach level 10 in Shanghai, China, and in the entire world, so he received 42 reputation points. When 7 level 10 players appeared in Shanghai, a portal to the continent abandoned by the gods would open. After that, the system made a global announcement that player Shadow was the first to reach level 10, and all players were surprised. Shadow again, he was the first to kill the gold boss. Now he has reached level 10. He is terribly strong and cruel. Someone asked, did they hear him kill some singer several times? A player asked, is he talking about Songfei? It was well deserved. The other players were cursing. boxing. They'd barely reached level 8, while he was already at level 10. There were 1.5 billion people in China, so couldn't any of them compare to him? Meanwhile, he'd spent 13 mutation points and upgraded his sneak attack skill to Emerald. Now, attacks from an enemy's blind spot deal 50% more damage. He checked his status window and figured he had 7,000 days of energy exchange, but that still wasn't enough. To leave the newbie village, he'd have to wait for 6 more level 10 players to open the portal. So far, the strongest person after him was only level 7, but that wasn't bad, as long as he could return to reality to sort things out. He logged out and opened his eyes, and the system asked if he wanted to spend his exchange life energy to transfer his abilities to the real world. He agreed, and the system asked what exactly he wanted to transfer. His class, equipment, or skills. Origin and Divinity transfer are currently unavailable. He decided to transfer his class, and the system reported that he spent 1,000 days of exchanged life energy and transferred Shadow, the only hidden build, into reality. He gained the passive stats of the Shadow subclass, 3 points each to Strength and Constitution, 8 to Dexterity, and 5 to Intelligence. In addition to the class, he decided to transfer 2 levels and spent more exchanged life energy. Now, his level has increased to 3, and his stats have also increased. Skills are next in line for transfer into reality. Logically, the higher the skill level, the more energy is needed to transfer it. But since skill leveling is practically a gameplay bug, the game only recognizes the ability's initial level, while transferring its improved version into reality. Shadow Walk is a basic level skill, so it only requires 900 days of energy, but he managed to level it up to Platinum. How convenient. Besides the skill, he also transferred silver level poison arrows into reality. He spent 2,262 days on all of this. There were 1,292 days left, but that wouldn't be enough for him. He managed to transfer Platinum Shadow Walking for the cost of a basic skill, which was simply remarkable. He clenched his fists to feel his new strength and thought that he was now twice as strong as an ordinary person, and his agility simply surpassed any human capabilities. With the ability to become invisible and throw poison arrows from 14 meters away, he would definitely find a way to deal with Song Fei. He checked his phone and found out that Song Fei was massively buying up life energy, and wondered if he was going to settle the score with him by returning to the game. He was currently at Dajiang Square, about 8 kilometers from here. At his current speed, it would take him about 10 minutes to get there. His phone vibrated. He received a message from Hu Qibing, his arrogant boss. In the message, he asked, "Is he completely crazy? Why isn't he answering his calls? A young lady has her eye on him. He should thank God for that, and he's acting like an idiot." Qin Feng called him an idiot and blacklisted him, then turned into a shadow and said that soon they will understand what the lands abandoned by gods are. Meanwhile, Qin Xiao was having a blast at Song Fei's concert with his fans. The girls kept chanting his name, and Zhang Li, sitting next to him, said that she heard Shadow killed him 3 times in the game, but he shouldn't worry. She's already sent people to find his real-life incarnation. He asked, "How is it going?" She told him that she sent someone to Firefly City to offer him a huge sum of money that he simply can't refuse. Shadow will return to reality, come to the meeting place, and then they will catch him, and he will then teach him a lesson. Song Fei smirked and asked her to remember to notify him of his capture. It seemed her company had used this method several times to force people to work for them for free. She laughed and said that they were actually worthless idiots. Sometimes she wondered if she should even waste her time on them. It was another matter. All these girls would drool just to give him all their energy. They were even ready to sacrifice their lives. He was very flattered by her words, and suddenly, a guy from the spectators shouted angrily that they should stop mindlessly draining them of their energy. Didn't they see the official statement? If their in-game energy drops to 0, they will die in the real world. He turned to Song Fei and shouted that he knew this perfectly well, but he still continued to brainwash them and steal their lives. He was a murderer. The authorities would not sit idly by. The guy clutched his head, thinking that of course there would be someone who always disliked everything, then rose from his chair and greeted his fans, saying that he noticed an argument had broken out between them. He regretted that the news about purchasing life energy had flooded the internet and may have caused some inconvenience, and for that he sincerely apologized. His fans told him not to apologize, as he had done nothing wrong, and he said that he really appreciated their support, and at the same time he urged their love to be positive and encouraging. They have the right to decide for themselves who and how to love. In this difficult era, they must unite to fill society with positive energy. He can't sit idly by, watching his people suffer because of the lands abandoned by God. So he cooperates with the authorities and does everything in his power. So he decided to spend all his hard-earned wealth on acquiring life energy that would allow him to become a significant figure in the game, to promote the ideas of pacifism and goodness. All so that not only his loyal fans, but all people on Earth could live in a world full of love and happiness. But he could not have imagined that this would cause so many problems. If they disagree with him, he sincerely asks for their forgiveness. His voice trembled, and he shed a tear, causing his fans to burst into tears as well, and start shouting that he did nothing wrong, and that he didn't need to apologize. After that, they began to cry, and their anger fell on the guy who brought up the topic. His biggest fan somehow got on stage and told the girls not to listen to this nonsense. How dare they doubt their idol? Their chicken brains will believe any nonsense. Moreover, how can a game reflect reality? She will gladly help Song Fei. She is here despite the fact that after logging out of the game, a notification arrived about her last remaining day. Let all this nonsense be true. If they don't have the determination to sacrifice themselves for him, then what are their words of love worth? They agreed with her and burst into tears even harder, shouting that they would give him all their days. And he happily said that he felt their enthusiasm. He loved them too. He turned to his fan and said that he was grateful to her for her sincere feelings. She burst into tears from his words and said that she was ready to do anything for him. He also shed a tear and wanted to say something else to her, but suddenly something flew towards him at high speed and passed through his head. Everyone present immediately froze, staring at him in horror. Song Fei's lifeless eyes stared at his fan, and then his body fell on her. He began to slowly slide down, and she, looking at his head, screamed loudly and fell to the floor in fear along with his body. She called out to her idol in horror. Meanwhile, the other fans were wondering what happened. When she screamed across the square that he was dead, everyone panicked, and Jun Li took off running. The guards helped her through the crowd, and she thought that she needed to run to get out of here quickly. She saw everything. When he died, a ball of life energy appeared on his body and then immediately disappeared, which means someone picked it up. He was definitely killed by an ability from the game. But how can game skills be used in the real world? Killing Song Fei and draining his life force in a second. Only one person is capable of this, Shadow. She almost reached the car, but before she could get inside, a small rock pierced her head at high speed, and she fell to the ground under the surprised gazes of her guards. Qinfen got to her after all. A new day dawned, and the news covered yesterday's incident. Star idol Song Fei died tragically in Dejiang Square. Some extremist fans chose to end their lives next to his body, allegedly wanting to sacrifice themselves for him. Intelligence agencies claim his death was caused by unnatural causes. After reading the news, Qin Xiao covered her mouth in shock and, with tears in her eyes, said she couldn't believe it. Just yesterday they were at his concert, and now he's dead. Chuyan said it all seemed like a game. Doesn't she think someone was deliberately hunting him? In the game, Shadow killed him 3 times. It could have been him. But how could game abilities appear in the real world? Qin Xiao, meanwhile, thought, was he being hunted? That's right, Shadow killed him a bunch of times in the game. The only person who would need to kill him in real life would be the same Shadow, and his skills were exactly like an assassin's. There can be no mistake, the killer is Shadow. But now there is no more light in her life. Shadow somehow managed to use abilities from the game in the real world, but she wants to get closer to them, to be with him. She wants to become stronger at any cost. She asked the taxi driver to stop and ran out of the car with the thought that from this day on, she will live for the only purpose, to kill Shadow. She will avenge Song Fei. Chuyan grabbed her by the shoulder and asked if everything is okay. She scares her. MC, meanwhile, was eating in some diner. The game takes a lot of energy, but hunger is still there, so he has to come back to reality. He received a message from Yang Xiaoya on his phone. She wrote that Fatty Hu is furious. He says he blocked him everywhere. If he doesn't come, he will be fired and won't even get paid for this month. He thought that she had a good character, even if she was weak, which makes her the target of others' ridicule. But in the past, she was a member of his guild. He told her to forget about him and that she has no use for this job, that she should go to the game instead. She became interested and asked if he had been there before. They say it's very difficult there. The lifespan of many has already been reduced several times. He decided to give her one piece of advice. Regardless of the chosen class, let her invest all her extra points in dexterity. She agreed without question and said that she also heard that in-game life energy is sold at a high rate. How much has he managed to earn already? He told her he'd almost spent it all, and she asked in surprise, did he buy a car or a house? Now it's clear why he blocked Fatty Hu. Qin Feng thought Fatty Hu was just a jerk, but his boss was too pushy. Qian Shishi, the daughter of the Qian Group chairman. He used to work for a company they owned, and all this girl did was have fun with guys. She rented a hotel for herself and 6 middle-aged foreigners, took them for rides in a sports car, and now she's tagged along with him. She's crazy about everything Western, including men. In the past, after the game launched, she left China to start her American guild, Alice in Wonderland. But she tried her best to destroy her homeland. How much China, and his guild in particular, have suffered from her. He must deal with her before she leaves the country. It will be much more difficult in America. If she dies, Alice in Wonderland will never be founded. There were rumors that many of the guild leaders were intimate with her, and if she were gone, their connection would weaken. Qin Xiao called him. He answered, and immediately heard her displeased voice. She exclaimed, he still remembered how to use a phone? She thought he had already died in this game, but since he was alive, she wanted to notify him that she had earned enough money to buy herself a house, so that in the future, she never wanted to see him again. He didn't care about this news and asked, is there anything else she wanted to say? She was slightly surprised by his indifference, after which she exclaimed that he shouldn't even try to contact her, and he shouldn't dare look for her new place to live. He said that if this was all, he was disconnecting, and she finally yelled that she wanted to cut off all ties between them. He agreed and ended the call, then left the diner, and thought it was time to go back. Very soon, people will realize that gaming skills can be transferred to reality. When that happens, there will no longer be a single peaceful place left in the world. Time passed, Qinxiao logged into the game with Chuyan, and she worriedly asked if she thought cutting off contact with her brother was really a good idea. Wouldn't it be better to apologize to him? It seemed that this time he was truly angry. She exclaimed in response that this was all just nonsense. She sold her life energy to the Qian group for 2 million and bought a house that would accommodate her in Shadow. She would find him soon. And then why would she need this Qin Feng? Zhang Wei called out to her and handed her the assassin skill scroll she'd asked him to get, then grinned and asked her not to forget her promise. She smiled back and said she'd fulfill his wishes once she figured everything out, but in her mind, she called him an idiot. Soon, she wouldn't have to deal with trash like him. After that, she contacted Wang Meng and said she happened to have an assassin skill scroll. He could ask Shadow if he needed it. If so, she'd give it to him for free. After that, she smiled and thought that Zhang Wei was actually useful after all. He'd managed to get a cool skill and now she could get closer to Shadow. Soon, they'd be close and she'd be healing him and helping him kill monsters, leveling up much faster. She will make him believe in her care for him. Gradually, he will begin to trust her. Maybe he will even begin to see her as a lover. But when she becomes strong enough and no longer needs him, she will kill him with her own hands. She will gouge out his eyes and avenge Song Fei, but her expectations weren't met. Wang Meng told her that Shadow said her skill was trash and he didn't need it. She should sell it to someone else. Some time ago, MC found himself in a vacant lot and immediately heard the excited voices of other players. He got closer and saw them fighting a huge monster with a bunch of limbs. The man told his comrade to run, since he had noticed it, and seeing that the monster was targeting him, he put up a shield in front of himself, but it didn't save him, and he died. Qin Feng, meanwhile, thought it was a golden arthropod, a level 8 boss. That's interesting. As far as he remembers, this boss has level 2 anti-stealth. In other words, its invisibility is useless when facing it. The monster roared menacingly, and MC immediately rushed to attack, dealing it multiple blows, after which he realized that he couldn't attack it from invisibility. So many damage bonuses simply didn't work. But fortunately, thanks to the legendary gift of mercy, the chance of hitting a weak point increased by 200%. 3 of the 9 cuts from Shadow Massacre hit it and dealt triple the damage, which made up for the losses from the inactive skills. This was a good sign. He should thank Big Plum again. Meanwhile, Grey Rose was hiding nearby. She noticed that Shadow's attack had reduced the boss's health by 1/6. They couldn't even scratch him. Qin Feng, meanwhile, fired a poison arrow at the monster, which hit its head, but since this skill was only leveled to silver, the damage was minor. He mentally noted that he would need to improve his stealth level, otherwise this would be really bad. At that moment, the monster headed towards him and decided to attack him in a jump. Grey Rose jumped out of hiding, warning it of the danger, and as soon as the monster began to quickly attack, he began to dodge each attack with the same speed. Grey Rose couldn't understand how he could move so quickly, and Meisha said it wasn't just speed. He had frantic reflexes and a complete understanding of his opponent's movements. The girl agreed with her, saying he wasn't faster than the boss, but he could dodge all of his attacks as if he'd fought this monster a million times. MC, meanwhile, thought that no matter how hard they tried, he and Qin Xiao had never been able to defeat him in their past lives, but now he understood that brute force wouldn't do. He needed to anticipate his movements, sense his rhythm. It wasn't for nothing that he was the strongest assassin. Turning around, he charged, dealing multiple blows to the monster, significantly reducing its health. He thought that compared to the inevitable attack from the Golden Rook, his attacks were much easier to handle. Seeing the monster flee, Grey Rose became worried, but MC wasn't going to let it go that easily. He lunged forward, dealing the fatal blow, and the system reported that he had earned 6,400 experience points and 7 mutation points for killing the level 8 boss. He also earned 497 days of exchangeable life energy. In total, for all his achievements, he received 28 mutation points and almost 2,000 days of energy. He also received a new platinum level skill, Ultraviolet Shield. It converts the player's resilience level into an invulnerable shield for 8 seconds. The cooldown is 60 seconds, and the required level to activate is 8. For every 20% of resilience, he will receive 1 layer of invisible shield, but when the shield is deactivated, the resilience level returns to the base. He thought that together with the 75% resilience from the epic Blurred Shadow, the ultraviolet shield could give him a 3rd layer of invulnerability. Now it will be much easier for him to deal with bosses. He leveled the new skill to epic. Now the shield will last 14 seconds, and for every 10% of resilience, he will receive 1 layer. He happily thought that he would now have 7 layers of this shield, allowing him to explore more dangerous high-level zones. He still had 22 points left, so he decided to work on leveling up his poison arrow skill. He raised this skill to emerald and 3 levels of this skill doubled its damage. It's a good thing this skill has a very short cooldown. The boss also dropped some assassin gear, and he decided to equip it right away. he equipped a gold-ranked Haven of Light, which increases agility by 20 and speed by 20%. Gold-ranked Crimson Leather Gloves add 18 points to physical resistance and 15 to all elemental resistance. His constitution increased by 12 and his health by 588. Now he was much faster, and his health reached 1517 points. After killing this boss, his survivability increased significantly. The team approached him, and Grey Rose asked what else to expect from a genius. He had dealt with that creature single-handedly. Were there any mage skills she could buy from him? He told her there was one gold skill that created an ice ball, and he would sell it for 800 days. Meisha noted that this was too expensive. She had seen level 5 gold skills sold for much less. Qinfeng said that the skill Ice Burst was level 7, and it would be 40% stronger than hers, so 800 days was a decent price. Grey Rose agreed to the purchase, after which they said goodbye, and he thought that searching for opponents by wandering around would be too time-consuming. He would need to get information about the bosses in the city. Then, he would level up even faster. He received a message from Wang Meng that Qin Xiao wanted to offer him some kind of skill scroll, and he thought it was probably some bronze trash. There are rumors among people that it was Shadow who killed her beloved Song Fei. Why would she give him the skill? He asked the guy to tell her to keep this trash for herself, and thought, did she want to impress him or avenge Song Fei? At that moment, Qin Xiao received that very message, after which MC contacted Wang Meng and invited him to meet in the city, since he had something to sell. He agreed, but he had one question for him that was very interesting to him. Was it he who killed Song Fei? Qinfeng remained silent, after which he confidently confirmed it and thought that Wang Meng, being on his friends list, knew that he was logging out of the game. The time and method of murder definitely point to him. Since he asked this question, the authorities already know about everything. He asked, what will he do now? Will he arrest him? He knew that in a couple of hours, several more players will reach level 10, then the fact that the ability was actually used will be revealed. So now is the perfect opportunity to test the Chinese authorities' reaction to this information. When he returned to the city, he met with the team, and Anyu immediately began interrogating him. Does he confess to killing Song Fei? He confirmed it, and the girl smiled, saying that they actually conducted an investigation, and he became their prime suspect. Although who else could be suspected besides him? But they found out that Song Fei and Zhang Li were plotting against him, and also kidnapped other players, forcing them to work for them. Roughly speaking, killing them is considered self-defense. MC smirked and thought that they didn't know his true identity, so for now they hope to continue cooperation with him. In their past life, their interactions were pure. There were no black marks on him, but this time, he essentially openly killed Song Fei and Zhang Li. He will soon find out how his reincarnation will affect this world. As long as he can sell them skills and equipment, he should take advantage of it. He pulled the items out of his inventory, and seeing platinum equipment and skills, they were very surprised. One of them asked if he had killed the platinum boss. There was no announcement about it. He told them that he was just lucky to find the chest, and Little Snow helped him with it. She confirmed this and said that she saw him open it, and he really was lucky. Hazy was offended that he called her Little Snow and her Little Black, and he asked if maybe he should call her Little Blackie then. She sheepishly told him that she was fine with it, and Wang Meng noted that he didn't really enjoy thinking about the difference between them. Anyu agreed with him, and said that while they were struggling with silver monsters, the genius was successfully obtaining platinum and jade items. He said that this platinum archer skill costs 2,500 days, the Berserker weapon costs 1,500, the Platinum Mage skill costs 3,000, and these gold skills and equipment cost 8,000. He would give them a discount and sell the rest for 16,000 days. Anyu agreed, and Wang Meng exclaimed in shock, "She won't even negotiate?" She replied that she thought the price was very fair, and that she would also pay off the debt for him and Little Snow. After the deal was completed, Qinfeng said that she was quite decisive, and he liked that. She just laughed in response, and he thought that when the exchange energy exceeds 10,000 days, it begins to be measured in years. 60 years, about 22,000 days. Translated into foreign currency, that's about 400 million. Even for a state, that's a huge amount of money, but the investment is worth it. The results will outweigh the costs. With these skills and equipment, strong teams are quickly formed in Shanghai. The stronger the authorities become, the fewer minor problems he'll have to solve. This will also be a bonus of international confrontation. Anyu turned to Qinfeng and said that the Dajiang group was holding many players captive and were planning to rescue them. Would he go with them? He thought they were trying to recruit him. Would they really turn a blind eye to Song Fei's murder? He refused, but before he left, he wanted to say something. Their guess was correct. He really did use his gaming skills to kill those two. If they reached level 10 and spent energy, they could do the same. They should understand what this means. Let them make full use of this advantage. Anyu said that the Dajiang group was also buying up energy. Once their people reached level 10, their rescue operation would meet even greater resistance. He stepped aside and said he was glad they understood everything, then said goodbye to them and disappeared. Anyu, with a serious face, suggested that Wang Meng split up for now to level up. Everyone on their team was high level. If they stayed together, they'd be killing mobs in one hit, which wouldn't be much use. They'd level up faster separately. He nodded in agreement, and the captain said their priority was level 10. He should log out and report this to the government. Meanwhile, Qinfeng opened the auction, but this time he was buying, not selling, which surprised people. He'd pay 30 days for information on the silver boss's location and 100 for the gold one. Li Jun approached him mockingly and asked, "Is he selling out again?" Their young lady was willing to pay him 300 million yuan, plus Dajan Group shares for his agreement to escort her. When else would he get such an opportunity? So he advised him to agree to it. Some player asked him. It seemed he hadn't logged out yet. Hadn't he heard that Shadow killed Song Fei and his beloved lady? He was very surprised by this news, and one of the players said it was a shame she died. She had a nice figure. Li Jun was actually very happy. She deserved it. She wanted to capture Shadow in the real world, but he killed her. After Shadow refused to accept the money, he fell for it and decided to cooperate with her. He thought he would have to beg for this money, but as soon as he arrived, he was knocked out, and he found himself in some basement. Under torture, he was forced to collect energy for them and lure new victims. So this woman deserved all this. He mocked Shadow's stupidity, but in the end, he turned out to be the fool. MC asked, judging by the way he licked her feet, he helped her kidnap people, right? He became very nervous and started denying everything, after which he ran away. Qinfeng thought he was just trash, but the authorities would deal with him. Soon, one of the players approached him, ready to give him information on the location of the silver monster. Soon, the ace of spades, Qian Shishi, entered the game, which the players were very unhappy about because she killed a lot of people and stole their energy. She appeared surrounded by her retinue and immediately sighed with displeasure, saying that this game was nothing special. She spent money on equipment and skills, leveled up her melee combat, and started killing others to steal their energy. Because of this game, she had to miss her flight. By now, she would be in America enjoying her boys, but instead she is stuck in China. She looked at the players and said that the local men were worthless, then turned to Tony and said that their guys were much smarter. He remarked that she had good taste. They were definitely better than the local men. Especially in this matter, she could try it out when they returned to reality. She blushed slightly and said that she couldn't wait for this, and then asked, "Was that idiot Song Fei killed?" She tried to have fun with him, but he exhausted all his strength in just a minute. They say Shadow killed him. Even though he's a local, being number 1 in the rankings piques her interest. If he could kill Song Fei, he could easily finish off an ordinary person too. She needs to find him. She told her guys that she would log out of the game to call someone, and in the meantime, let them find someone who could contact Shadow. After that, she thought that she had 3,000 days. Most likely, he wouldn't be interested in money, but he couldn't refuse that much energy. He just had to deal with one person. She remembered Qinfeng and laughed to herself. She would never forget the expression on his face when he refused her. He would die soon. Meanwhile, Qin Xiao was playing in a team with Chu Yan and Zhang Wei. He struck the monster, finishing it off, and Qin Xiao used a healing spell on it, but it was dissatisfied. He asked her to heal him earlier next time, since he was almost killed, and she asked with displeasure why he was yelling. He wasn't dead, after all. He confusedly said that he hadn't yelled, he just reminded her, and she, not wanting to listen to him anymore, exclaimed that the system said her hunger had reached 90%. She would have to log out to eat. After that, she logged out with her friend, and Zhang Wei irritably thought that she had been so fawning on him, and as soon as she met Shadow, she began to act too arrogant. But he would still show her how to behave. Meanwhile, Qin Xiao woke up in her new apartment, a complete mess. She wanted to order food, but because all the delivery services were closed and there were no couriers available, she got really angry and thought, is everyone stuck in this game? Before, Qinfeng always cooked for her. She didn't even have to think about it. Because of this, she started to miss him, and then slapped herself in the face and pulled herself together. It's just food. Freedom is much more important. She's strong and can handle anything, and she doesn't need Qinfeng at all. Meanwhile, he went to the coast and provoked a huge crab hiding in a cave. It ran out at him, about to attack, and he jumped over the monster and struck it from behind, instantly dealing with it. 4 silver bosses in an hour is not a bad result, because he received 16 mutation points for each. The items from one of these can be sold for an average of 3 through 500 days, and all of his gear is now gold or higher. The overall cooldown has been accelerated by 75%. There are no platinum bosses near newbie towns, so gold is the ceiling. The only chance to get stronger is to upgrade. The platinum bosses will have at least level 2 anti-stealth, so he needs to level 3. He has 20,000 points left, and that's the only way he can deal with them. In the past, killing one of them required the strength of 20 highly skilled players. He decided to return to the city for now to sell his items, thinking that he would always be a few steps ahead. He would be the one to finish off the first platinum boss. After he sold the items, his exchange life energy reached 105 years, and he thought he had almost 40,000 days of energy left, which would be enough for a lot. While he was walking, a player called out to him and said he had a job for him, a real-life assassination. The pay was good. He ignored him and walked past, but the guy excitedly blocked his path and said that the target was a simple guy named Qinfeng. He would give him the address. He had already killed Song Fei. Didn't he want easy money? MC, of course, became interested and asked what he had done. The guy answered him that it was none of his business. He would be paid 3,000 days of energy. Qinfeng thought it was 50 million, but he wondered who wanted to kill him. He had never seen this guy before, neither in this life nor in the past. It was not he who wanted his death, but the one behind him. In his past life, such troubles appeared only towards the middle of the game, but for the enemies, it was too early. The only one who had a grudge against him even before the start of the game, and at the same time, has such a huge amount of money, is Qian Shishi. Only she has the motive and means to kill, but if she just wanted to kill him, she would have done it already. So there is another reason. Her main goal is to connect with Shadow, and killing Qinfeng is just a bonus. In the end, he turned her down. But it's funny, he didn't even have time to start looking for her when she found him herself. He told the guy that he would do it, but he would take 50% upfront. He would also choose the time of the murder himself. The player got nervous and asked him to wait so he could log in, after which he transferred the upfront payment and he received 1,500 days of exchangeable life energy. The guy also gave him his address and information about him, adding that with his abilities, it would be easy to track him down. After seeing the address, MC thought that he really lived there, after which he left and told him to wait for the result. The guy clicked his tongue in displeasure and thought that he was so arrogant, although he also works for Qian Shishi. But Qinfeng was left unsettled. Some girl asked him to wait and said that she heard he was buying information about bosses and that she knew where to find a golden one. He told her that he would pay for it for 100 days, but only after confirmation. She waved her hand with a smile, asking him to follow her. He was hiding north of the city and she would take him there. He asked who was there and she replied that it was a plague bearer. He mentally noted that she knew the name of the monster. It seemed she had actually encountered it. As they walked, she asked if he was sure he wouldn't need a healer. That boss had a poisonous area of effect attack. He refused and thought that the plague bearer really was a golden boss. It was surrounded by a poisonous ring that dealt damage to anyone within a certain range. He would have to kill it quickly, but it wouldn't be difficult for him. Soon they found themselves in front of the cave entrance. The girl said that her team had dealt with the other mobs, but they couldn't handle the boss. They went inside, and as soon as they approached the cliff, she pointed down and said that he was there. Seeing the plague bearer, MC was convinced that she wasn't lying and paid her 100 energy, after which he thought that it would be easy to recover from his poison, especially with 75% resistance to blurred shadow. The girl, meanwhile, hesitated, as if she was about to say something, and, mustering her resolve, she nervously warned him that it was actually a trap. As soon as he entered the fight, people would appear who wanted to kill him. They had an artifact with a second level of anti-stealth. He told her that he didn't care and she said that it was not all. Her warning was also part of the plan. When they appear, she will stop them, thus gaining his trust and trying to get closer to him in order to identify him in reality. He mentally noted that this was such an idiotic plan, and she said with shame that she was forced, but she couldn't help but tell him the truth. The one behind this is blackmailing her in reality, and she wants him dead. He asked who's doing this, and she answered him that it was Dongfang Xian, his game nickname Xian Yun. According to him, he had already killed him once. Qinfeng immediately remembered him, the same guy who tried to steal the ghost rook from him, then gave him the skill, supposedly trying to apologize. The girl worriedly asked, if he killed Song Fei, then he can do it too? She tells him the pure truth, but she is not guilty of anything, and therefore she asks him to deal with him, otherwise she will be finished. He thought that in his past life he had never heard of this guy. Apparently he died at the very beginning. He decided to leave this matter for later, and first kill the boss so that he would not interfere, then jumped down and told her that he was using their plan against them. She asked him to wait and thought that he was finished there. Dongfang Xian brought 3 teams of 18 people here, but this boss destroyed them in less than half a minute. The damage from the poison is too great. They were unable to take away even 5% of his health. No matter how strong Shadow is, it will not help him against the poison. She decided to quickly escape from here, and MC meanwhile approached the monster and used the gift of mercy, then a sneak attack and a flesh rupture. He rushed towards the monster at high speed, then dealt him many strong blows, which immediately reduced his health to less than half. Seeing this, the girl was very surprised and thought, he dealt him more than 80,000 damage? Is he even human? A second later, he disappeared and returned to the girl, thinking that, with the accelerated recharge, the gift of mercy would be ready in 14 seconds. Before he could finish him off, he should wait for Dongfang Shan's dogs to come to their deaths themselves. Meanwhile, they fled into the cave, and the group leaders ordered everyone to get ready. They would go in and kill the boss. Let them deal with anyone who tried to stop them. Qinfeng hid in the shadows and glanced at the girl, thinking that she should pretend to stop them. But would she have enough strength to handle it? She held up a golden shield in front of her, preventing them from going any further, and now he understood why she had been assigned this task. At the beginning of the game, few would have been able to overcome such protection. Watching them try to break through her shield, he thought that she must have been lucky to stumble upon the golden chest. After that, he used the Shadow Slaughter skill, dealing with them in a few seconds, and then activated the Blooming Curse, causing flowers to grow on their bodies. The girl, meanwhile, was shocked. He killed so many at once. What kind of flowers were these? It was good that she didn't go along with Dongfang Shan's plan, otherwise the same fate would have awaited her. She removed her shield and awkwardly asked if he could add her as a friend. Someday she would find out where Dongfang Shan lived and tell him. He agreed, and she sheepishly said that if he needed any other help, he could contact her anytime. It was always free for him. Hearing this, MC realized how she got herself into all this, after which he jumped off the cliff and headed towards the monster. Once he reached him, he dealt a few quick blows, and the system reported that he had killed a gold rank plague bearer and earned 7 mutation points, as well as 555 days of exchangeable life energy. He thought that these players had much less total life energy than the gold boss, and instead of leveling up, they were wasting their time. Noticing that the girl was still standing there, he asked what she wanted, and she excitedly exclaimed that she was already leaving. He collected items from the boss and came across an assassin skill called Moment of Darkness, Platinum rank. His blade glows with black light, blinding all enemies within a certain distance. Range is 20 meters, duration is 10 seconds. The higher the target's intelligence, the shorter the duration. He was quite excited about this skill, and thought that if he could blind enemies, he would be able to double his damage even without activating invisibility, and then his anti-stealth level would be irrelevant. He also received the Plague Blade, which adds 216 attack, 42 agility, and multiplies weak point attacks by 0.3. This weapon has a unique effect. Each strike injects a toxin into the wound, which explodes after 3 seconds, dealing 50% of the damage of the previous attack. Qin Feng thought that this time, things were pretty cool. He collected 98 mutation points. Just a little more, and he could level up Greedy Hands to Legendary. He needs about 10,000 points to improve the class, which he can get from regular mobs. After that, he went to the coast and started killing everyone he saw, and they fled in panic. When he finished, he breathed a sigh of relief and immediately upgraded his class from 0 to 1. His strength and constitution increased to 9, agility to 24, and intelligence to 15. His first passive effect also improved, doubling the duration of invisibility. Stealth skills could now be used while invisible. His stealth level also increased to 2. MC thought that with the class upgrade, his stats had tripled, allowing him to remain invisible permanently if his recharge speed allowed it. His stealth attack damage multiplier had also increased, now fully matching the game's strongest class. The system announced that 7 people in Shanghai County had reached level 10. The teleportation channel to the Forgotten Continent would open in 10 minutes, so please prepare. The system displayed a list of these players. Qin Feng was ranked 1st, Grey Rose 2nd, Yi Shui, Big Plum, and Wang Meng 3rd. MC noticed it was only 8:30 in the evening. He didn't think it would happen so quickly. The ranking table was full of familiar names. In his past life, it was filled mostly with foreigners. The effects of his trading were finally starting to show. Perhaps the global balance of power would shift significantly. He couldn't wait to see it. Meanwhile, in reality, it was already night. The police had arrested the main accomplices of the Dajian criminal group, except for those still in the game. The policeman reported this to his superiors and said he was awaiting further instructions. The man told him they had all done a good job. They should inform Team On Yu so they could return the rest to reality. He went to carry out the order, and the man told his colleague it was a good plan. Even if they tried to hide in safe zones, they would still have to return to reality someday to avoid starvation. The man said they would be captured then. Shadow played a large role in today's success. He not only gave them information about the criminals, but also revealed the possibility of using gaming skills in the real world. If they'd waited a little longer, these idiots would have reached level 10, and then they would have had to try much harder to arrest them. Minor incidents are already happening all over the world, and the death toll is said to have exceeded 1,000. Their men reached level 10, partly thanks to the gear Shadow was selling. This guy is very important to China, so they must form an unbreakable bond with him. Qin Feng, meanwhile, returned to the city, and his new friend contacted him and said she didn't know he was such a noble hero. Now she respects him even more. He asked her in confusion what had gotten into her, and she told him not to be modest. The government told them everything. The Dajian group, in collusion with Song Fei, had kidnapped, tortured, and killed players, and he, having dealt with the leaders of these criminals, had become a true hero. He remained silent and thought the authorities were whitewashing him, probably so that their connection with him wouldn't compromise them in the future. He asked if she had discovered the location of Dongfang Shan. She told him he hadn't logged out yet and asked him to wait a little longer. Then she would tell him everything. He agreed and thought that none of this was so important. His main goal was the Forgotten Continent. Few people use portals between cities, but only a few have access to the portal to the continent. He climbed onto the teleportation device and thought that all these cities are considered newbie zones, but the real game begins with the Forgotten Continent. After that, he was teleported, and a group of players standing nearby were very surprised. One of them asked if they saw who teleported. It was Shadow. The player was indignant. He has level 2 anti-stealth, and he still couldn't see him. His friend called him an idiot and exclaimed that this meant his stealth level was already higher. MC, meanwhile, found himself on the Forgotten Continent and, looking around, noticed that everything was just like it was in his past life. The familiar ruins of Shanghai were all around. All players, upon first arriving on the Forgotten Continent, find themselves in ruined cities corresponding to their district. The cities' geographical locations correspond to reality, although no one has yet figured out why. Meanwhile, something lurked behind him. It jumped out from its hiding place, and he immediately turned around, seeing a huge worm in front of him. It dove underground, and he used Shadow Walk to dodge its attack, then used his skill, and the system reported that he had killed a level 11 Earth Purple Worm. But this monster wasn't alone. 3 more emerged from underground. When they simultaneously pounced on him, he leaped high into the air, then used Mercy Strike and Shadow Slaughter to deal with them all at once. As soon as they were dead, he landed nearby and thought, there are no safe zones here. Monsters attack at any time and from everywhere. But if you find a refuge hidden in the ruins, you can establish a stronghold and establish control over a certain territory. The best refuge in Shanghai is in the northwest, which is where his guild used to be based. He headed there, while the other players found themselves near a huge statue, and Heizi asked in surprise, "Is this the Forgotten Continent?" Wang Meng noted that everything here looked like the ruins of a modern city, and the girl asked, "Doesn't it all seem familiar?" She pointed to a tall building and exclaimed that these were the ruins of Shanghai. Yishui, surprised, noted that a similar high-rise was located in their city. Heizi said that Shadow had also gone there, but where was he? Yishui smiled wryly and told her not to panic, because he could turn invisible. At that moment, monsters emerged from underground, and Wang Meng prepared for battle, while Yishui raised her spiritual shield. Two monsters immediately pounced on Wang Meng, causing him to fall, but his shield absorbed some of the impact. Yishui began healing him and warned him to be careful. The local mobs were stronger than the silver bosses from the beginner's area. The archer shot at the monsters, binding them, and while they were immobilized, Heizi sprang into action. She conjured a huge fireball and attacked the monsters, and watching them burn and die, the archer cried out triumphantly that they had succeeded. Wang Meng, meanwhile, asked Yishui to scan the area, and she, raising an owl, saw that the place was swarming with monsters, and there were too many of them. Their fight had attracted them, and now they were heading here. She worriedly called out to the captain and said that she couldn't find any safe zones. What should they do next? Upon learning of this, her group members became very nervous, and Heizi asked her to try to find Shadow. He had only gotten there about 10 minutes ago, so it was unlikely that he could have gone far. If they found him, they would be safe. She excitedly exclaimed that he was nowhere to be found, and at that moment she noticed something. A light trail of items in the northwest. It was definitely his doing. He must have a full inventory, which is why he couldn't pick everything up. At that moment, monsters attacked them from all sides, and the captain gave the order to flee. Shadow had already cleared that area, so it was safe. If they followed the trail, they would definitely find him. She ordered them to stay alert, not break formation, and not split up. They would fight off monsters along the way. After that, they set off, and MC, meanwhile, was still heading towards the shelter. He easily dealt with the monsters in his path and thought that even without the gift of mercy bonus, the damage from Shadow Slaughter reaches 30,000. Mobs die very easily, making it an ideal place for farming. He soon arrived at the right place. Right under the ruins in front of him was the palace, which he managed to find only in the middle of his previous life. The palace has over 1,000 rooms and dozens of halls. It is the largest shelter in Shanghai, which became the haven of his guild, Godslayers. Before it was discovered, it was filled with a horde of mechanized mobs and bosses. The larger the shelter, the stronger its guards. In his past life, after founding the guild, he assembled 3 groups consisting of 18 elite fighters. All of them were level 15 and well-equipped, but even then they barely managed to survive. But this time one of him would be enough. He descended the spiral staircase and found himself in a spacious hall, Purgatory. The system told him he needed to defeat the Guardians to claim this territory, so he prepared for battle. As soon as the monsters saw him, they all attacked him at once, and he ran toward them. These were elemental spirits, level 12 gold monsters. He decided to deal with them using the Moment of Darkness skill. As soon as they were blinded, he rushed in and dealt multiple quick blows, easily dispatching them. While his enemies were blinded, his attacks dealt bonus damage, so he could easily deal with even level 12 monsters. He successfully dealt with 15 monsters in the main hall, but there were still plenty of rooms and chambers in Purgatory, so he would have his work cut out for him. Leaving behind the items dropped by the monsters, he moved on, thinking that all of them should be enough to eventually level up Greedy Hands, and when all the regular mobs were destroyed, the boss guardian would appear. After some time, a boy and a girl stood on a portal in the library. They were transported, and the player shouted, "Is this the Forgotten Continent?" The girl replied, "It's strange. Why does this place seem so familiar?" The boy said, "Yes, it is." The girl added, "These are the ruins of New York." At that moment, the boy said, "The ruins of London." The guys looked around and asked, "Is this London?" The player spoke. It seemed like all the players had been transported to the territories of their hometowns. The girl asked, "Maybe they were in the same places?" At that moment, huge monsters appeared behind them, and the player shouted, "This is bad. They need to run." The building began to collapse, and a loud scream was heard. At that time, a group of people were in the ruins of Shanghai. Wang Meng looked out and said, "The monsters are nowhere to be seen." He suggested they take a rest here. Anu smiled and said, "It's not for nothing that Shadow is called a genius." She thought they were already strong enough, but it turned out they were still better off hiding behind his back. Wang Meng started coughing deliberately and saying, "Captain An, she needs to watch her words." Anu asked again, "Was she wrong about anything?" Heizi said they were lucky the genius had already cleared this place. Otherwise, they would have been killed, and they would have returned to the city of beginners, although it remains to be seen where they will respawn if they die here. Wang Meng said, "Captain An, he doesn't think they should rush their research. They need to proceed very carefully." Anu agreed with him, and Guyuxui's eyes lit up. Her bird flew over the buildings, and she saw that a real trail had formed from the loot of these monsters. But why did it stop here? It's as if Shadow had simply vanished. There's so much stuff, even gold pieces. How they want it all. Wang Meng said they should contact Shadow first. It's not a fact that he won't want it. At that moment, MC was fighting the monsters. He cut the creature and spoke, finally dealing with them all. 4 halls, over 1,000 rooms. He'd already killed around 400 mobs, as well as 4 bronze bosses and 2 silver ones. He'd gotten over 80,000 experience from them, and his mutation points had increased to 205. 5 more, and he'd be able to level up Greedy Hands. Wang Meng asked, "Genius, are you still in touch?" They found the loot he didn't pick up. They took it. They can pay if he wants. Qinfeng thought about it. It looked like Wang Meng's team had also arrived on the continent. He replied, "Okay, he'll contact him later." And that's not all he could sell them. Wang Meng replied, he understood, genius. They'd be waiting for him in the ruined bunker and attached the coordinates. MC walked down a corridor with electricity flowing through it. He said, "Here comes the guard." The system window reported that Purgatory Angel Faceair was level 15, a platinum boss. Description: this is the Guardian of Purgatory. You must defeat this creature to claim this territory. Qinfeng pondered. Faceair was the strongest monster in the city ruins, as well as the highest-ranking boss. As far as he remembered, the creature had 750,000 health and 3 phases. In his past life, the monster's lightning attack nearly cost him his life, despite wearing a full set of golden armor. But now everything would be different. MC rushed toward the monster and dealt several blows. Faceair's flesh ruptured and attacked MC. Qinfeng thought that if this lightning hit him, with his current level of defense and electrical resistance, he would be finished. Attacks from bosses of platinum rank and above have a high chance of hitting. Like normal mobs with 75% durability, they only have a 25% chance to hit it, but for ones like this one, it increases to 50%. But right now, he has 182 agility points, so if he goes all out, his speed will reach 40 meters per second. As long as he's alert, it won't get him. In his past life, his team barely survived, and that was thanks to the cleric's shields and luck. But this time he won't give the creature a single chance. With the help of Shadow Carnage, Flesh Rip, and Moment of Darkness, he took 250,000 health points from the creature in one go. Now it will enter its second phase. Faceair becomes invulnerable and begins creating ball lightning. The player must destroy this in time, otherwise the boss will enter Berserk mode. In his past life, this attack wiped out their team. After that, Qin Xiao went berserk and refused to participate in the next raid, and, oddly enough, they succeeded without her. MC dodged and thought. Each destroyed sphere deals damage to Faceair. After they are destroyed, the boss will enter the third phase. The creature became covered in bright mana and spread it across the entire area. Qinfeng thought, here it begins? In the third phase, Faceair uses constant area of effect attacks. That time, their entire team was equipped with electro-resistant armor, and 4 clerics were casting shields at once, and they still barely survived. And in this life, he won't have to go that far. He created a barrier and thought, discharges are constantly running through the ground. Then all he has to do is attack the creature from the air. MC used the Gift of Mercy and Ultraviolet Shield to attack the creature. He activated Shadow Carnage and killed the monster. The system window reported that he killed the Platinum Angel of Purgatory, Faceair. Congratulations, he's reached level 11. All stats have been increased by 4. He's earned 10 free experience points. He's earned 1,520 days of exchangeable life energy. Qinfeng said, excellent. The system window reported that he was the first in the world to kill a platinum boss. He's earned 10 reputation points. Congratulations, he's become the Keeper of Purgatory. MC said, the shelter can be used not only as a safe place, but also as a storage facility. Moreover, everything can be brought out into reality from here. From the beginning of the game, the weapons of their world began to rust and deteriorate, especially the most dangerous ones, like the nuclear bomb. They became useless from the very first day. Fighters and tanks barely worked for the first 2 months, but then they too turned into scrap metal. In other words, since then, all earthly conflicts have been conducted solely through in-game capabilities. But shelters that could be transported into reality were capable of creating a magical barrier, making them the safest places on the planet. In his past life, this place became the base of his God Slayers Guild. Of course, he has good memories of it, but then so many people came and went from his life, and each brought their own problems. This time, he will not go down that path. He will be alone until the very end. At that moment, the other players were fighting monsters. The guy told the girl to watch out, and she asked for help. Suddenly, the creature struck Qin Xiao and killed her. The system window reported that she was dead. She lost 14 years of non-tradable life energy. She lost 2 days of exchangeable life energy. Qin Xiao asked discontentedly, did she die again? The guy screamed in irritation, horror. How could anyone not dodge such a giant thing? Qin Xiao screamed back, is it her fault? Who is their tank? Her or his? If he had done everything normally and taken the damage, she would not have been hurt. Idiot. The guy screamed, it was an area attack. How could he take the damage, you idiot? Player Tornado, 8th point, left the team. Chuyan screamed, Qin Xiao, the tank escaped and the monster is now chasing her. Let her help her. Right after these words, the monster hit her on the head, and Chuyan teleported to Qin Xiao. She said, Qin Xiao, they should be hunting mobs. They have so little energy left. She's scared. Qin Xiao replied, okay. At that moment, the system window reported that player Shadow from Shanghai became the first in the world to kill the platinum boss. Dissatisfied exclamations rang out. What the? Again? Most people haven't even reached this stupid continent yet, and he's already farming there solo? Does anyone even know his real identity? Platinum rank? Someone has never even seen gold. He's too strong. Qinxiao looked at the system message and thought, while ordinary humans can't handle a silver level, this idiot is killing a platinum level. Qinfeng said that thanks to Fizair, he reached level 11, and now he has 10 free experience points. He'll continue investing in dexterity. He didn't expect to get 20 mutation points from the monster. Now he has enough to level up Greedy Hands. The system window reported that he spent 210 mutation points. 15 points remain. Greedy Hands is an epic and legendary rank. After defeating a monster, MC has a 500% chance of receiving additional loot. He also has a 100% chance of receiving higher grade loot. The new passive effect, Bulwark of Greed, adds 100 slots for storing loot. Qinfeng said, excellent. Now he'll loot not 3 times but 5 times as much, and even more slots have been added. MC activated Greedy Hands, and a huge energy hand emerged from the ground. The system window reported that he had received 5 additional items. He had gained 100 mutation points. The remainder, 115 points. Qinfeng said he had 2 assassin's gear and 1 skill, but his level was too low for them. He used Summon Follower and commanded the monster to gather all the loot. The remaining mutation points can be spent on upgrading non-epic skills to epic levels. The system window reported Shadow Walk, Platinum and Epic ranks. Invisibility duration increased from 36 to 60 seconds. The sneak attack bonus increased from 300 to 500 points, and the cooldown decreased from 22 to 15 seconds. Blind Strike is Jade and Epic rank. The attack deals 75% more damage. Moment of Darkness is Platinum and Epic ranks. His blade glows with black light, blinding all enemies within a certain range. Cooldown is 60 seconds, range is 50 meters, duration is 16 seconds. The higher the target's intelligence, the shorter the duration. Blooming Curse is a Jade and Legendary rank spell. When used within 60 seconds of death, a cursed flower will grow on the player's corpse. This will drain the player's exchange energy until it completely drains them. There is no cooldown. New effect, it drains 50% of the target's non-exchangeable life energy. New effect, it can absorb scattered spheres of non-exchangeable life energy. MC asked in surprise, what? He can now absorb non-exchangeable life energy from the air? Many high-level territories and monsters drain non-exchangeable life energy, and this effect will allow him to immediately reabsorb it. The girl congratulated MC on his first platinum boss kill. Qinfeng asked, what's up? The girl said, good news, Dongfeng Shan finally logged out. She heard his family was gathering at the Junnan restaurant. MC said she was doing well. The girl asked, genius, what else can she do? If he doesn't finish him off, he'll finish her off. Qinfeng asked her not to worry. He'd collected everything, but he still had half the space left. The legendary Greedy Hands proved very useful. He'll find Wang Meng and sell everything to him. After a while, Anyu loudly asked to see. It's Shadow. She rushed towards him and screamed, genius. MC held his hand out in front of him and said, he sets the price. If they don't like it, they don't buy it. There are 30 base and bronze items here. He'll give them a discount. The price will be 950 days. Anyu said, deal. She valued the loot he left behind as 1,000 days, so she'll pay him for 2,000 days at once. Qinfeng said, okay. There are silver, gold, and platinum items here. He'll give it to them for 18,000 days. Anyu cried out, platinum? She only has 1 gold item herself. Although what else can you expect from a genius? Excellent. Shanghai is in his debt. MC answered, please. Heitzi asked, but how did he get such a big inventory? What is he? MC replied, it looks like their inventories are full. A small bonus, there is a staircase under the monument in the center of the city. They need to go down it and they will find a teleportation circle back to the city of beginners. But to do this, they will have to spend 500 days. They can return to the continent for free, and it's time for him to go. Anyu pointed her finger after him and shouted, did they see? She's telling them. He's reincarnated. Otherwise, how would he know about it? Wang Meng said, Captain An, he's asking, but not that. She's scaring him. Anyu twisted and asked, maybe she should seduce him? Qinfeng approached the portal, and the system window reported, he wants to spend exchange life energy to transfer abilities into reality. He said that level and class promotion should be synchronized. The system window reported that he had spent 27,000 days of exchanged vital energy. Synchronization complete. MC said, now the skill transfer. Last time he transferred the first level of invisibility with shadow walking. Now he will be able to level up and transfer several more skills. The system window reported that 1946 days had been spent. The stealth level had been increased. Spent 900 days, received Sneak Strike. Spent 1,000 days, received Greedy Hands. Spent 3,200 days, received Shadow Massacre. 5,366 days spent, received Blurred Shadow. 16,099 days spent, received Blooming Curse. 11,313 days spent, received Ultraviolet Shield. Skill synchronization complete. Remaining exchange energy, 7,480 days. Qinfeng said, now gear up. The system window reported, 3,600 days spent, received Boots of Invisibility. 3,394 days spent, received Believer's Medallion. MC said that this medallion not only increases recharge speed but also makes summoning zombies extremely useful in the real world. Only 486 days left. Now his powers in reality are almost the same as in the game. Next time he will synchronize everything to the end. MC logged out of the game and, sitting on the bed, said that Qian Shishi knows his address, so he better get out of here for now. To transfer Purgatory, he will need 1,300 years of energy, until he will have to find temporary shelter. He used Greedy Hands and said that this skill replaces suitcases for him. He managed to fit all his things. He opened the window and sat on the windowsill. Qin Feng took out his phone and said that Dongfang Xian should be at a restaurant 15 kilometers from here. He said that with his speed, 10 minutes will be enough for him. He became invisible and ran faster along the road. After a while, he ran to a restaurant where men were sitting at a long table. The man said, "Based on the current situation, it's clear that game skills and life energy influence reality. This is a good opportunity for their family. His son is right in starting this as early as possible." Dongfang Xian said, "Grandpa, he was just doing what he had to." The old man frowned and said, "He's very pleased with him, kid. They spend a lot of energy buying skills and equipment. Their goal is to level up their family core to level 10, and then they will spread their influence across reality. By entrenching themselves on both sides, the Dongfang family will be able to become rulers of the region, and their power will last for millennia." Dongfang Shan frowned and thought, "Terrible old man. He's already 1 foot in the grave, and he still clings to the role of head of the family. As soon as he catches this idiot genius and forces him to reveal his secrets, he will become the strongest in the world. And then they will all die." The old man asked, "By the way, how are things going with Shadow?" The guy replied, "No need to worry, Grandpa. He's already found a girl who will help them uncover his true identity. They'll find out soon enough." The old man ordered everyone to remember he must be captured alive. How else will he serve their family? Dongfang Shan replied, he understood. The old man offered to raise his glasses to the Dongfang family. Everyone shouted joyfully, "Glory to the Dongfang family! Glory to the Dongfang family!" MC neutralized the guards and thought somehow he didn't think they would be armed. Shadow Walk and UV Shield wouldn't be able to block every shot, and he hadn't transferred the armor yet. If they hit him in the head or heart, he's finished. MC created a loyal follower and thought, he needs to be careful. In close combat, it will fight with claws, and in long-range combat, with sparks. MC ordered the monster to go inside and kill everyone. He ordered not to leave any survivors. Qin Feng thought, the silver monster's stamina should be enough to withstand even point-blank shots. The monster burst into the restaurant, when suddenly the men rushed towards it and shouted, "Who's there? Who's it?" The monster roared and rushed towards them. Dongfang Shan screamed, "No, it's a monster from the game." He ordered the guards to shoot. Bullets began flying into the monster's body, but it continued to move forward. It struck people and pounced on an old man who asked Xian to help him. Dongfang Xian ran away and screamed, "Horror!" He thought, he has to get out of here. Once he logs into the game, he'll be safe. And when he reaches level 10, no one will be able to stop him anymore. Suddenly, he looked ahead in surprise and thought, wait, that's it? MC activated his mana and attacked him. He cut off his head, turned invisible, and continued on. Qin Feng cast the blooming curse, after which the system window reported that MC had earned 27,000 vital energy. He had earned 482 years of non-exchangeable vital energy. Qin Feng said it was a good harvest. This time, the effect of the blooming curse was enormous. Not only were all the corpses and blood erased, but their lifespans were also changed, and his unchangeable lifespan reached 2,327 years. There was no point in going into the wilds anymore. Suddenly, a scream rang out. "We need to call the police quickly." Shots and screams were coming from the restaurant. The police ran up to the restaurant and said, people from Eastern families were dining here. They hoped it wouldn't lead to a shootout. He didn't want anyone injured. They opened the door and asked, "What?" The policeman said, "There was definitely a brawl in the restaurant. But why is no one here? Did he see someone leaving the establishment? No. They don't understand anything. Where's the Eastern family? Where did everyone disappear to?" First, he needs to call the police. MC walked away from the restaurant and said, the next target is the Chan Company. However, their headquarters moved to North America long before the game appeared. At the moment, only Chan Shishi, the daughter of the Chan Company CEO, remains in the ruins. She must be killed before she leaves the country. The journey from Shanghai to the ruins is almost 300 kilometers. That's 2 to 3 hours on foot. No, it's not worth it. He needs to find transportation. MC came home and sat on the bed, and then transferred to the game world. The system window announced, "Welcome back to the game world." Qin Feng said that there are still a few silver and gold tier bosses left in the ruins. They can kill them themselves. Suddenly, Anyu's voice was heard. "She has good news, boss. Heidi has found the entrance to the catacombs. However, they are guarded by a gold tier spirit that they cannot defeat." MC asked, "The entrance to the catacombs? How?" Anyu answered. On their way back to the city, they made a small detour to avoid the crowd, but they noticed that there were fewer people. They wandered for half a day until Heidi fell into a pit. It was useless to call anyone since this is a special area of the catacombs. They went inside and found that the entrance was blocked by a gold level 12 boss. Luckily, they run fast. They just returned to the voice. If he wants to see the catacombs, she will send the coordinates. Qin Feng thought, what idiots. Can they even go without trouble for one day? The catacombs, like the Temple of Faith and the Cursed Ruins, are random wildlife phenomena. Qin Feng said, okay, let her send the coordinates. And Yu replied, by the way, let him remember to share with them if they find anything valuable. MC replied, okay. He thought, God, this Anyu just wants to snatch something. After some time, Qin Feng approached the well and asked, is this the entrance? How could anyone fall into such a huge well while walking? He never ceases to be amazed by Heizi. He jumped into the well, and the system window reported that they had entered the Tomb of Hatred. His remote communication link was out of range. Suddenly, a creature appeared in front of him and began to howl. The system window reported that it was a level 12 spirit of hatred. The difficulty was gold. MC looked at the creature and thought, a spirit of hatred. He had never encountered such mobs in his past life. Judging by its shape, It should have enhanced physical attack and a long attack range. It's no wonder An Yu and the others fled. The equipment he gave them wouldn't have offered any protection. Wang Meng is a holy shield warrior, and his maximum HP is around 5,000. This boss will deplete at least half of his HP with one hit. He will die instantly if he prepares. MC used Mercy and Shadow Slaughter. Qinfeng cut the creature's body and thought, the boss has high defense, and Shadow Slaughter's damage is only 80% of a normal attack. Just in case, he'll finish the monster with Pierce. It definitely won't refuse such a gift. Suddenly, the creature's body began to swell and then exploded. MC ran to the side and screamed. It exploded. That was unexpected. There would have been nothing left of him if the blurred shadow hadn't worked. Last time, they killed a boss they hadn't encountered before. One of them ran to the corpse to pick up the loot, but the body exploded, and nothing remained of the monster. Some team members were killed by bosses who blew themselves up. Most of them were platinum and above. He had no idea that gold bosses also exploded themselves. The system window reported, greedy hands. He killed a gold-level Spirit of Hatred and received 1,010 days of tradable lifespan. He killed a gold-level Spirit of Hatred and received 20 evolution points. Qinfeng received the gold-level Shadow Blade skill book. MC used Greedy Hands and received 630,000 tradable lives. He used Greedy Hands and received a gold-level Leather Armor of Hatred. MC said, great, now he has all the necessary equipment and a skill book he can use. The system window reported, gold-level Shadow Blade, an assassin skill. He can use the Dark Power to deal Shadow Blade damage to all enemies within a 5-meter radius, inflicting 500 points of damage. Cooldown, 10 seconds. Required level, 11. Qinfeng said, so this is a basic assassin skill. Shadow assassins have a higher spiritual attribute than strength, so their spell attacks are stronger than their physical ones. The system window reported strength and defense at 9 points. Agility at 24 points, and Spirit at 15 points. MC said he'd advanced to the Epic level. The system window reported he'd spent 5 evolution points, leaving 36 points. A Shadow Blade of Gold, Jade, Diamond, and Epic rank. It deals dark damage to all enemies within 5, 7, 9, or 12 meters, dealing 500, 750, 1,000, and 1,300 points of damage. It has a 10-second cooldown and requires level 11. Qinfeng said, as the skill develops, the attack range increases from 5 to 12 meters, and the damage inflicted increases from 500 to 1,300 points. After all, this area attack doesn't deal much damage. The overall damage from a single attack is small, unlike Shadow Slaughter. However, this method is effective against weak mobs. Shadow Slaughter has a 5-meter radius, and it's a straight-line skill. Shadow Blade will be effective if he's surrounded. The system window reported, gold-level Leather Armor of Hatred. This has a physical defense of 55, total elemental resistance of 45, block of 42, health of 77, and a required level of 11. Hatred, after being attacked, he needs to reach 30 stats in basic attack. MC said Hatred has no effect, but the basic defense resistance and block of leather armor are very good. Now he can change to the golden level 5 fire armor. The rest of the loot consists of a total of more than 20 items, each with a service life of over 10,000 days. He needs to plunder a few more catacombs. It turns out there's so much useful stuff here. At that moment, MC's sister and Chu Yan were fighting a monster that was rapidly attacking them. After a while, Jiang Wei grabbed Qin Xiao and screamed, she's a brainless, useless piece of trash. They lose every time because of her. He has 2 years of wasted life left. He threw her aside and screamed. God forbid he finds her at school, he'll kill her on the spot. Qin Xiao was lying on the ground, and Chu Yan ran up to her and said, Xiao. She invited her to go with her to her parents' place in a small town. She heard there was a community organization there that helps beginners like them learn the game. Qin Xiao thought, that idiot Jiang Wei, how dare he dump her, the piece of trash. Even none of her ex-idiots allowed something like that. She said let her go there herself, you idiot. Chu Yan said puzzled. But Qin Xiao logged out of the game and picked up her phone. She wrote, Han Han, can he boost her? Han Han replied, of course, he can escort her to the next level for a fee. He wanted to witness the skills of their school goddess in his bed. She screamed in irritation, idiot, he just wants to satisfy his horrible fantasies with her body? Let him go. Qin Xiao wrote a message. Zhang Xiaoyu, to be honest, she's always liked him. She couldn't reciprocate before because of her brother Qinfeng's supervision, but now that she's cut ties with him, she can finally be with him with confidence. Zhang Xiaoyu chuckled and asked, does she think he's an idiot? If she dumped her brother, she can easily dump him too. He dumped her, after which Qin Xiaoyu continued messaging others. She wrote to Ru Xiao that she has no one at home. Could he come and keep her company? By the way, he can boost her. Ru Xiao replied, Qin Xiao, he is at the gold level. He is now at the top. Maybe she should invite the girl over, but it is not worth bothering him. She wrote to Brother Ma that she is so bored. Does he not want to come to her? She will wait for him in Pearl Village. The guy replied, Qin Xiao, everyone knows about her problems with Jiang Wei. She may believe it or she may not, but the only thing he can give her is his new learned move under the belt. Qin Xiao hugged her knees and said, nightmare. At a critical moment, she can't rely on any terrible man. She has 2.5 years left. What should she do? Qin Feng, yes, he would not have abandoned her. She should try to renew communication and ask for help. After a while, she approached the door and thought that after an apology and a few kind words, Qinfeng would definitely forgive her. But she hadn't done anything bad to him. No, that wouldn't work. Xiao, she needed to keep her head down. She would pretend to be vulnerable and wait for him to perfect her skills. He would definitely help. After all, he was the one who had hurt her the most. Qin Xiao knocked on the door and thought, after reaching a high level, she'll send him away forever. Xiao, she's just a genius, she said. Qin Feng, will he open the door? She continued to knock persistently and demand that he open the door. After a while, she got angry and kicked the door down. She asked, will he open it or not? Where was his insolent face? She looked around and asked in surprise, where is he? The bed, the chair, his things, where did everything go? She decided to call him, but the voice said the subscriber's phone was turned off. Qin Xiao asked, Qin Feng, has he left? At this time, the MC in the catacombs of the spirit of hatred was fighting monsters. He said, this is the last one. Qin Feng summoned a monster and said that along the way, he killed more than 200 mobs and several bronze and silver bosses. He was already very close to level 12. He hopes that a gold tier boss sleeps in the closed coffin. The monster opened the coffin and screamed loudly, after which dark mana began to spread. The system window reported that the silver tier pious he summoned was killed. Qin Feng thought that it had no physical form, making it completely immune to physical attacks. He remembers when they released this boss in the previous world, poison spread throughout the area. A lot of people were killed then. If a spirit possesses him, and there is no comrade nearby or a specialist with invulnerability skills to protect himself, then he is definitely dead. The creature's body. MC activated the Shadow Blade and thought, the creature's core is here. The system window reported that he killed the gold boss, Deadly Miasma. Qin Feng thought about it. The monster's strength clearly exceeds the gold level, but since it is classified as gold, the loot from it is also gold. He turned around and said, the new skill he learned, Shadow Blade, deals magic damage. Passing through the catacombs wasn't that easy, but the gold loot is worth it. What does he have here? The system window reported that he received a rare artifact, Riding Bell. MC looked at it puzzledly and asked, what kind of riding bell? It was a terrible sight. Luck definitely has a sense of humor. The system window reported, the Riding Bell, Ghost Knight Wolf. After using this, a level 11 Ghost Knight Wolf will be summoned, which can be ridden and fought. This requires level 11. Qin Feng shouted, Ghost Knight Wolf? That's one of the fastest mounts you can get early on. The system window reported, the Ghost Knight Wolf is level 11. Gold class, strength 148 points, length 155 centimeters, dexterity 191 points, spirit 135 points. The beast gains the same amount of experience as the creature's owner, thereby increasing its level. In the event of an exchange or elimination, all progress will be lost. Pursuit, activated while riding, increases movement speed by 245%. Night Hunt, during darkness, the beast is constantly in a state of first level invisibility. An attack resets the invisibility effect and adds 120 points. After the effect is reset, you must wait 60 seconds for the invisibility effect to reappear. Hail of Bites, the beast attacks the target 3 times in a row, each attack adding 267 points of physical damage. 12-second cooldown. Wolf's Mouth, this increases attack power, physical defense, and total elemental resistance by 35 points for allies for 1800 seconds. Cooldown, 600 seconds. MC said, both a riding horse a battle pet, and, importantly, with the invisibility effect while riding. After some time, MC was riding a wolf with the invisibility effect. He said he needed to level up to 15 to extend the beast's lifespan. The next time he logged out, he'd head to the ruins to kill Qianqishi and get rid of his problems. The Jianghai Arena. It occupies a huge surface area and has 2 dungeons, plus a dangerous environment with a horde of monsters. This is perfect for his quick boost. He stopped and said, this is here. This is a paradise for the powerful. The wolf rushed toward the monsters and MC activated Shadow Slaughter. At this time, Anyu was fighting the monster. She wiped her forehead and said, super. Victory. Man Iliang, the son of the mayor of Zhanghai City, shouted joyfully. Who could doubt her as captain? However, her injuries were serious. He thought the hidden profession dragon swordsman possessed tremendous power. He wasn't even ashamed that he liked Anyu. Anyu sheathed her sword and said, this golden boss is only level 8, and they've been killing him for over 10 minutes. She can't even believe they managed to kill him. Man Iliang extended his hand and asked if it would be possible to sneak up and kill the boss from behind. No, that wouldn't work. He thought it was good that she had no experience. With his status as a second-generation civil servant, he could easily overpower her. Anyu asked to listen. Wouldn't it be easier for him, a marksman, to deal a finishing blow to the beast? Man Iliang blurted out. His status doesn't allow him to do such things. He'd heard that low-level shadow hunters commit murders outside of the game. He knows a hunter from the Ruins Police who has a level 3 stealth defense. In his opinion, it's better to set a trap, discover his true identity, and take control. Such people can only feel at ease if their officials use them. Otherwise, the same thing will happen to them as Song Fei and Zhang Li. Will they be able to prevent this? And Yu and Wang Meng exchanged glances and laughed. They replied, Ma, doesn't he get it? It's not that he's asking them to hunt, but that they should hunt for him. Only then can they be sure that their views will converge and they can cooperate. He single-handedly killed a global gold boss and an ordinary gold boss. If you can't work together with people of that level, then is it okay to bully them? Did he lose his brain somewhere? He's the second generation. So what? Shouldn't the second generation have a brain? God, he's going to cry. Man Iliang blushed with anger and shouted, can't this shadow assassin do anything? Can it be that, even under the protection of stealth, they are afraid of him? Are they people without an education saying something to him? Anyu? She'll see him. He'll track him down and catch him. She'll beg him on her knees to forgive her. Wang Meng asked if the boss dropped anything. Anyu replied, a piece of gold reaper gear, a piece of silver gear, and a silver skill book. However, the elder brother casually sold them a few gold items and tossed them some coins. I wonder how many bosses he's killed? Why is he so lucky with treasures? Maybe he knows some secret? Manhwa continued shouting from behind them. Wang Meng asked, Captain An, doesn't she think this is too much? He seemed worried. An Yu asked, what? Wang Meng frowned and asked if she hadn't heard about the incident at the Jiangnan restaurant. After dinner, the Eastern family disappeared without a trace. If the Shadow Hunter was involved, should they still help him? They don't know what's on his mind. What if he really is a terrible serial killer? An Yu said, she understands that he is involved in this case, and she also suspects that he is connected to the disappearance. But at the moment, there's no evidence of his involvement. And even if he is involved, she would prefer to work together with him. She will still be left to wipe his ass no matter what happens. Wang Meng asked puzzledly. Why? And you asked, isn't it interesting to touch his butt? Wang Meng froze in surprise when suddenly a guy appeared in front of them and shouted, Captain An, something like an arena was discovered up ahead. All the monsters inside are dead. He has no idea what kind of squad could have taken down so many monsters. And you happily suggested going ahead and taking a look. Wang Meng looked around and asked, isn't this too much? There must be 100 monsters here. What kind of scary team dealt with them? And you asked, Big Brother was probably training here. Maybe he's somewhere nearby? Manhwa asked discontentedly. Why did she know it was Shadow? And you replied, because he's first on the leaderboard. Their official team's ranking had dropped significantly, so they could only rely on him. Manhwa screamed, and that was it? He can turn invisible too. He just needs more time. And you stopped listening to him and texted MC. Big Brother, is he here? He must have dropped a lot of loot after killing so many monsters. He doesn't want to sell them useless equipment and useless books. At that moment, MC appeared behind Manhwa, removing the invisibility effect. And you looked at him with loving eyes and screamed, Brother, what is he wearing? Where did it come from? MC replied, it's all thanks to their coordinates. He found the creature in the catacombs. Thanks to her, Heidzi. She smiled and laughed slightly embarrassedly. Qinfeng suggested the same as before. They could take all the things that were lying on the ground. And you replied, okay. But if you don't like it, she won't take it. That would be fair. The guy looked at Ma Naliang and asked, did he wet himself? He thought, damn Hunter, damn idiot. They've embarrassed him in front of everyone. He'll get even. After a while, the rankings showed Shadow level 13, Righteous level 10, Wang Meng level 10, and Heidzi level 10. MC's lifespan is 245 years, and his evolution points are 255. Qinfeng said that this time he cleared the arena and acquired a golden skill book. The system window reported gold level silent stealth. After entering invisibility, they can remain undetected until he attacks or moves. Sneak attack will add 300 additional points. Cooldown is 120 seconds. The required level is 13. Qinfeng shouted, this skill will enhance both his invisibility and strength. If he uses this in real life, the combination will completely disappear. He will reach the peak. The system window reported this consumes 11 evolution points. Silent stealth of gold, platinum, pearl, diamond, and epic ranks. Additional hidden attack damage, 800 points. Cooldown is 60 seconds. Required level 13. Qinfeng can also evolve other skills. The system window reported they spent 34 evolution points. Poison arrows reach the epic level. Poison arrows are epic rank. Attack range is 20 meters. Attack damage increases by 400 points on impact, and the poisoning effect is applied. Poisoning, inflicting 100% poison per second. Continuous damage without a bonus lasts 5 seconds and cannot be reflected. He spent 200 evolution points. Gift of Mercy reached the mythic level. Gift of Mercy is mythic rank. The chance of hitting a weak point increases by 300%, and the damage multiplier for such a hit doubles. Level 5. Active skill. The next attack inflicts a slash effect, dealing 200% attack damage per second for 3 seconds. Cooldown from 25 seconds to 15 seconds. Qinfeng shouted, mythical skills are powerful. Now all monsters, with the exception of a few, have no resistance to pinpoint attacks. And this is a pendant. The system window reported a platinum level rogue pendant. This is an assassin's decoration. MC said that thanks to the additional effect, he now has level 4 stealth. No one will be able to spot him. He also has a shadow curtain. His evasion has reached 83%. MC approached the huge monster and asked, Steel Maiden, which monster summoned this boss? Last time she appeared in the Zhanghai slums, the number of people who went on a crusade after her reached 1,000. The death toll was over 4,000. In fact, this is the guardian of a sanctuary called the Church Sanctuary. It is the second largest hideout in the Zhanghai slums. Initially, MC wanted to deal with the boss after killing Qian Shishi, but plans changed. At this moment, other players were near the monster. The guy screamed cautiously when suddenly the Steel Maiden's weapon caught him. A loud scream rang out. MC thought, should he fight the Steel Maiden now? They are very confident. He decided to wait and asked, is Chen Wuming there? Chen Wuming, the hidden Templar. In their last life, they fought for 9 years and still couldn't decide the winner. This deceitful, evil man loses time and again. He will do anything to escape. The Steel Maiden was destroyed by Chen Wuming's guild, the Templars, back then. Then rumors spread that the gods of the West and the Eastern Temple had been slaughtered. They control the western and eastern parts of the Zhanghai slums. When the Templars were first recruiting knights, they signed a contract with the Overlord for security, but the taxes were 50% for life. Most of the guild members possess high, dark combat power. MC laughed and said, how fortunate. Chen Wuming, he won't escape now. Qinfeng jumped down and used the Shadow Blade. The system window reported that he had killed players Charm, Xu Fangfang, Xiao Yu, Nasty Guy, and Lima Woya. Chen Wuming screamed, what? Who is this? Could it really be Shadow? They have nothing against him, so why did he kill their people? MC approached him and said, because he doesn't eat beef. He used Shadow Slaughter, then Blooming Curse. After a while, the players teleported back to the starting point, and Chen Wuming yelled, "Idiot! What does beef have to do with them?" The guy yelled, "Boss, he has no lives left. It's all because of the terrible shadow, Captain. They need to join forces and kill him." Chen Wuming pointed his finger at the guy and shouted, "Kill him? Idiot, is he tired of living? They should go somewhere else and make up for lost time." Qin Xiao looked at her hands and burst into tears. She thought, Shadow, why her? Her life, there were so few of them left. The system window reported that the Blooming Curse had absorbed 4 days of Xiao Yu's life, suitable for exchange, and 1 year of her life, unsuitable for exchange. MC looked at this questioningly and asked, was Xiao Yu among them? With such a short lifespan, she was on the verge of death, so she decided to join the Templars and take up menial work. Well, it was her own fault. MC began fighting monsters and moving around the battlefield. He said the first stage with the boss shouldn't be difficult. The Steel Maiden looked around, puzzled, but didn't see anyone. Qin Feng said this will allow him to reuse the dynamic lock blade. It will perform physical attacks with a fixed point or range. Gift of Mercy, used in conjunction with Pierce, deals massive damage. Blade of Plague, after using the skill, the target is in a dispatch state for 3 seconds. MC used Pierce. After that, the monster began to scream loudly, and Qin Feng thought the reason they call it a guardian is because it enters the second stage. After losing half of its blood, the sealed evil demon will awaken. All damage will be reflected back to the attacker in the same amount. There is also a legend about a portal in the demon's stomach. Everyone it absorbs will end up at the foot of the volcano. However, in their past lives, no one was lucky enough to get caught. Qin Feng suspects that someone messed up the game settings. The guy peeked out from hiding and said, because of that Shadow Psycho, the boss entered the second stage. Little Rabbit asked, is he sure Shadow is to blame? This is the Platinum boss. She watched the battle from the beginning to the end. This boss was summoned by the Templars, then Shadow appeared. They were already killed. This boss is definitely a half-breed. MC was fighting the monster and heard voices somewhere in the distance. He thought the second stage of his Steel Maiden had a weak spot. After the attack, invulnerability is temporarily disabled. Simply put, while she is attacking, he can attack from behind. However, Shadow Slaughter, Pierce, Plague Blade, and Poison Arrows have ongoing damage. He will still take damage from invulnerability if he uses these skills. In an instant, at the current level, he can die from his own attack. Players have been peeking at him from above for a long time. Maybe he can get some benefit from them. Suddenly, a defender appeared and said, out of the way, let him assess the situation. Someone shouted, Mr. Defender, he has come. The guy said, they have been watching the boss for a long time and are recording. She only has a few skills. The girl said, she stopped moving and her body changed, so new skills might appear. The man asked, Shadow fought the boss one-on-one? Little Rabbit answered, yes, but after the second stage of the boss, he disappeared. The man discontentedly ordered the rabbit to open its eyes and see if Shadow was still there. Little Rabbit answered, yes. She created a rabbit, which jumped to the ground. The girl said, Shadow's location was not recorded. He probably left the territory. The man folded his arms across his chest and said, if she, with the 3rd level of invisibility, cannot find him, then he is definitely gone. He does not believe that he can have the 4th. He jumped down and said, Little Rabbit, she does not need to stop watching. He ordered her to inform him immediately if he shows up. Little Rabbit asked, brother, is he okay? The first defender. The other players looked at this and said, wow, the guy is definitely tired of living. He decided to go against the Platinum boss alone. Wait. He has already seen him. In the first city, he killed the gold boss without receiving a single scratch. The guy understood. It was clear why he was the first defender. He heard that he was a spiritual warrior. He had a 100% evasion effect when spinning. They say he was one of the best Souls Masters in the world, and that his reflexes are top-notch. A loud, drawn-out cry rang out, and the defender dodged the monster's attack. He dodged and somersaulted backward. The players on his team shouted joyfully, brother, he's awesome. That's a killer somersault. Handsome, the guy said. The first defender is truly magnificent. He perfectly dodges the boss's attack every time. The player asked again, but why does the boss's health decrease every time after a throw? The guy answered, it's true. He noticed several features flashing across the boss's body. Is the spirit warrior really a sadist? Little Rabbit screamed, perfect dodge. That's a basic skill. Big Brother's strongest skill is his attack. So far, dodge has been successful while rolling. The next attack will pierce 50% of the enemy's defense. The defender swung his sword and shouted, gotcha. The guy screamed in surprise, wow, those are some special effects. Little Rabbit said, it'll be quadruple damage. The man used Dancing Under the Moon. The tip pierced through and attacked the monster. The Sword of 3 Shadows, like a shooting star. Lightning fast maneuvering. The tip of the blade. So much power, so little use. Little Rabbit screamed in surprise. Wow. The boss has a 1/3 of his health left. That's the Moonlight Blade. His best attack. Suddenly an attack hit him, and the players screamed in fear. The first defender. Why is brother dead? He did perform attacks. His skills deal damage, but the boss doesn't care? But the boss has so little health left. What's going on? MC stood behind and thought, it's all thanks to this first defender. The boss made so many moves and he just wants to show off. All this time he was striking, as a result of which the boss's health was reduced by 2/3. This same fool landed one powerful blow, which doomed himself. In fact, with his skills, it is impossible to defeat the Steel Maiden. While rolling, he cannot attack, and when he attacks, he receives a counterattack. A voice rang out. She turned around. Qinfeng thought, horror, she's going to the shrine to recover her health. His efforts will be in vain if he lets the boss return to the church. The spiritual warrior is dead. These people are terrified. He thinks they won't dare approach her. But if the boss doesn't strike, his anti-damage effect won't wear off. What a hassle. He can't let her get away. MC removed his invisibility, after which shouts rang out, let everyone look. It's Shadow. Did he really deal all the attacks? This is terrible. How scary. He thought the first defender was a great master, but in fact, he turned out to be a clone. Shadow is worthy of respect. Shadow, but how? With 3rd level invisibility, she didn't detect him. Are they saying he's higher than level 4? The guy spoke up. The warrior's soul remained on the battlefield after death. He needs to find a way to bring him back. MC used a level 10 ultraviolet shield. Each layer of the shield can withstand 1 attack. MC frowned and thought, now. He used Shadow Slaughter, followed by a level 7 ultraviolet shield. Qinfeng thought the last 3 attacks of Shadow Slaughter hit the boss's reflective dome. He would already be dead without his ultraviolet shield. A level 0 ultraviolet shield covered everything. And Qinfeng thought, the damage rate of the fire projectile is too high. Even with 80% evasion, he penetrated 7 shield levels in a second. He'll kill instantly, even if he slowed down for 1/10 of a second. The guy, with a smirk on his face, approached the loot dropped by the defender, when he suddenly received a frontal attack. MC said he wouldn't let him steal his loot. The system window reported that by eliminating the first defender, he received 612 days for exchange. The duration of time without exchange is 67 years. The blooming curse has absorbed the undefiled cunning. The exchange period is 355 days. The duration of time without exchange is 20 years. Qinfeng said, this first defender, he is an interesting guy. Perhaps he will not curse him. He has a long life, he should never die. At this moment, the monster laughed and headed towards MC. He thought it will gradually absorb with an ultraviolet shield and hit with a regular Shadow Massacre. It is not fast, but at least it is safe. The girl asked in surprise. Was Shadow going too far? What is he trying to achieve? The guy answered, at first he did not know how Shadow made the first kill, but now he understood. Qinfeng thought, the last attack. The system window reported that he killed a platinum level steel maiden. He gained 48,000 experience points. He gained 120 evolution points. It congratulates him on obtaining the key to the church sanctuary. Screams rang out. Seriously, in one hit, Shadow takes first place in the player table. MC used mythic level greedy hands. The system window reported, Black Flame Gift, Pearl Rank Ice Armor of Hatred. This is assassin equipment. Physical defense is 95 points. Elemental resistance is 120 points. Damage resistance and athleticism are 77 points. And the required level is 13. Qinfeng said, one piece of pearl level equipment provides higher defense than a full set of armor. Black Flame Gift, with the effect of weakening defense and elemental resistance, is even better than soul refining. The system window reported, Pearl Rank Assassin Instinct. He can discern the silhouette of a person under invisibility. It gains 2 points to the level of protection from stealth. The required level is 13. MC said, actually, this is an anti-invisibility skill that has been raised to the legendary level. Stealth protection at level 5, plus 50% target weakness correction and passivity when using Gift of Flame are stacked. A total of 350%. He can hit an enemy with his eyes closed. There are still 97 points left, so he will level up Blurry Shadow to legendary. The system window reported that he spent 80 evolution points, 17 points left. Blurry Shadow of Epic and Legendary rank is a passive ability that reduces damage taken by 85%. When fully activated, it grants immunity to all types of damage level 5. Anyu suddenly appeared, shouting loudly, Boss, he's here! Did he find anything interesting? Qinfeng asked. Anyu, what is she doing here? She replied. Good lord, she didn't look at the player table, but she can't believe he leveled up to level 30 overnight. Isn't he too cool? Wang Meng said they worked all night and haven't even reached level 11. His speed is terrifying. Anyu hit him on the head and screamed. Don't talk nonsense. Is it okay to talk speed to a man? Really, boss? MC said he just received the item. He set the price, so if she wants, she can buy it. And you replied, she's taking 45 million days. The system window reported the exchange had taken place. Qinfeng frowned and said, there's one more thing you can sell, but it's well hidden. Do they have any idea where it might be? And you asked again. Well hidden? They heard there's no safe zone in the abandoned city of Zhanghai. Players there can use it as a base. They can store all their supplies in a cache like that. And they can also set up a defensive barrier against invasion if necessary. Qinfeng asked if she was talking about the caches that gold bosses drop. And you replied, yes. But they, as residents of Zhanghai, still haven't found a single cache. That's demon territory. The officials have already taken out one mid-level cache. They can imagine what's stored there. MC took out a key and said, well, in that case, they understand the value of this cache. The boss dropped the key to the church sanctuary. This cache covers an area of 800 acres. They can confer and announce the price, and he's considering whether to sell it to them or not. The players shouted, 800 acres? And you thought, the larger the cache area, the stronger the defense, and the more powerful the infrastructure. 800 acres could easily accommodate all the residents of Zhanghai City. She asked to listen. Such a huge space. How much does he want to sell it for? Qinfeng replied, let her discuss the price with the team and voice their offer to him. Then he will consider it. He thought, in his past life, he would have sold this shelter for 2,000 years. If he sells to an official, he'll be able to max out all his skills, equipment, and levels in that amount of time. And you said, okay, they'll bring it up. By the way, boss, she wants to ask him for help. MC told her to speak. and you said, they just received news that 7 gold-level bosses have appeared in Dark Moon City. Many people have already died. They'd like to preserve another 10 years of life, so they want to ask him to get rid of them. Qinfeng asked again, 7 gold bosses? Even if they join forces, it will take them a long time to kill them. If they came to him, it means they couldn't handle it on their own. Is he right? And you said, he's very smart, boss. They found a way to kill one, but who knew he'd rise again? Besides resurrection, all the stats of the 7 bosses were increased. Their team was completely destroyed. Qinfeng thought, so the bosses are still resurrecting. Maybe an ancient family curse is to blame? He doesn't even want to think about the consequences if this board is involved. The system window reported that the exchange took place. He spent 10 years of his life. MC said the coordinates were received. It's time for him to go. Anyu wished him luck. Qinfeng thought, Anyu, she's a very honest girl. Drops from the 7 gold bosses can be sold for 40 or 50 years. The exchange took 10 years. That's very kind of her. He set off on his wolf, and soon reached a huge statue, and was slightly surprised to see the women bullying Qin Shao next to it. One of them was holding her by the hair, and the other was beating her, all because she had just joined the guild, and was already trying to seduce the leader. Qin Shao burst into tears, trying to somehow justify herself, and the girl exclaimed in displeasure, she thinks they will look at her age? Let her remember. She needs to stay away from him, otherwise they would pull out all her hair. They continued to beat her, insulting her in every possible way, and MC thought that it looked like Qin Shao was involved in all sorts of chaos after joining the Templars. In his past life, there were many similar boring power games, but he always took care of her. Now she can enjoy life in all its colors. Ignoring them, he entered the statue under the effect of invisibility, and thought that there was a secret room underneath it, from which he could return to the first city. But almost no one knew about this. However, entry is not free. The first time you need to pay 500 days, the second 1,000, and the third 2,000. After each use of the teleporter, the price doubles. Over time, the first city will turn into a more developed area, mobs will evolve into bosses, and the caches will fill with treasures. This ancient board cannot be missed. The system asked if he wanted to teleport to the land abandoned by the gods. The Dark Moon City? He thought it was an ancient city he had never heard of, and teleported there, spending 500 days. When he found himself in the main square, he immediately noticed that it was quite lively. But why were there so many old people here? He reached the entrance to the city, and saw 2 guys bringing an old woman here. She sighed heavily and said that finally it was a safe zone. She was about to have a heart attack. The guys said that, according to the agreement, they would raise her to level 3, but there were updates. So now she owes 72 days. First, the transaction must go through. Hearing that they wanted something from her, the old woman immediately refused their help and exclaimed, aren't they volunteers helping players? The guy said that they weren't asking her for money. As soon as they formed a team, they would destroy monsters, thereby gaining additional life days, some of which they would give to her. Now she needed to transfer these 72 days before they could start forming a team. She responded angrily by exclaiming that she knew nothing and would not sign anything. They were young people. How could they not be ashamed to demand money from an elderly poor woman? The player said that she was wrong. They would help her gain a level, but first she had to help them. While they are not in a team and experience points are not shared, but she was still furiously opposed to this and ordered them not to touch her. Otherwise she would scream. She called them shameless. And who even is recruiting in Dream Sands River? She started cursing at them again. But before she could say anything else, Qinfeng grabbed her by the clothes and threw her out of the safe zone. After which he pinned her to the ground and killed her. The players, seeing that the old woman was dead, were very surprised, and the MC said that they can take her days. The guy was very surprised that she had 666 days, and his friend asked who helped them. Since Qinfeng was under the effect of invisibility, they, of course, did not see him, and he told them that he just happened to be in that time and place. They thanked him, and he left, and thought that it was inconvenient to get your hands dirty in a small town. The guild Dream Sands River, so they were founded in the Dark Moon. At first, the guild was engaged in social activities, helping the elderly survive for free, and later they were officially recognized and supported in every possible way. Dream Sands River is considered the largest guild in the country. In a future full of chaos, such people are worth their weight in gold. Meanwhile, in the nearby forest, Chuyan and her parents were fighting a monster. She tied up the enemy and ordered her mother to act, and she, using thunder magic, struck the monster, while her husband delivered the finishing blow with his sword. Looking at the monster's disintegrating body, Chuyan happily told her parents that they were so strong. Her mother said that as long as they worked hard and listened to advice, they were invincible. After that, they walked further into the forest, and Chuyan's father asked if her friend had joined the Templars. He had heard that the guild levied heavy taxes on them. Chuyan, upset, confirmed this, and said that she had asked her to join their guild. She had told her that they were a social organization. They have a lot of players who don't know anything just like her, that they help each other and those in need. But she didn't agree. Her mother pointed out that she reached level 10 thanks to the Templars. Her husband noted that even though they helped her, they would still use her as a tool, and she said that she heard that the contract with them is for 3 years from the moment of signing and 3 years after that. Well, if God shortchanged her, then why not kill a few mobs and live with peace of mind? She could gradually increase her lifespan and gain experience. Her husband said that they only kill mobs and avoid encounters with bosses. Isn't that great? Xuyan got upset and said that Qin Xiao thinks she is an unusual girl, that she will eventually become the best. She surpasses them in self-confidence. At that moment, many arrows flew at them from the side. They all hit her father and he died, causing them to be scared. The players who attacked them came out of their hiding place, and the archer laughed and asked if they had seen his strength. He killed him instantly. His comrades told him to stop. The cattle from Dreamsand's river are worthless. Who would want to rob beggars? What skills do they even have? They approached them and told them to give them all their lives. And Xuyan exclaimed in fear that killing in the wild zone is prohibited. She would sue them. The guy said that she can complain wherever she wants. Do they even know who he is? Let her end this circus. He gives them 3 seconds. Xuyan went out to fight and told her mother that she would hold them off, and she should seek help in the guild channel. She immediately went into the chat, after which the players attacked her daughter, and the archer exclaimed that they asked for it. They will kill the old woman, and they will frolic with the young one. Just as they were about to strike, MC appeared, his wolf immediately dispatching 2 players, surprising everyone present, and he finished off the archer. They clearly weren't expecting Shadow to be there, and after their deaths, they were teleported back to the safe zone, and one of them exclaimed, "Where did all my lives go?" The archer exclaimed that everything had disappeared for him too. Was it because of the assassin's state? Otherwise, they wouldn't have lost their lives. After that, they ran to the city exit, and he said that they could die like this, and that they urgently needed to find time. But before they could take a step, a huge holy sword pinned them to the ground, rendering them unable to move. The people who captured them said that all 3 involved in the players' murders were now captured. They are official hunters. Let them provide their information so that they can make an arrest according to the law. In case of resistance, they will immediately increase the sentence. Meanwhile, Qinfen grew flowers on their bodies, and Xuyan happily thanked him and said that thanks to him, she and her mother remained alive. He mentally noted that this girl was surprisingly nice. Her kind-heartedness and courage cannot be compared with Qin Xiao's. He does not know how they ended up in the same guild, but their paths, fortunately, diverged. After that, he left, and Xuyan took her father's life into her hands. Her mother asked why that young man disappeared. She did not answer her. She was still under the impression. She had no idea that Shadow, the #1 in the world, was so cool. Meanwhile, he reached a group of players who were waiting for him. One of them said that security reported that Shadow would be here in 3 minutes, but they had already been waiting for half an hour. What is he doing? His comrade asked. Did he say that Shadow killed those bosses? He answered him that he found it hard to believe, but it seems they were resurrected. Of course, bosses can resurrect, and this guy has plenty of courage. MC walked past them silently, thinking that the ancient tablet would add positive and negative effects to his equipment. If he was lucky, his job skills would change. Someone saw a master ranked 7th in the world sacrifice 7 tablets in battle to summon an ancient boss and kill a legendary one. The ancient god's tablet creates bosses with special combat tactics and various abilities. Sometimes bosses have such a high level of invisibility that players passing by them die without noticing them. It also happens that the real boss is a summoner, lurking nearby. Because of this, it seems as if the boss who was already killed was resurrected again. Resurrected bosses are known to be berserk, and resurrection is said to occur after killing one. But what if you kill them all at once? Do they still live? He had to find out. Monsters appeared nearby. He decided to use a believer to test his theory, summoning him and sending him to attack. He struck the monsters, provoking them, but just one glance from them was enough to kill him. MC mentally noted that they were all level 10 and attacks from behind had no effect. Their stats were roughly twice those of gold bosses. He used the Shadow Blade skill and charged, wounding them all in the neck. But when the damage numbers didn't display, he was surprised. A huge, shapeless mass with faces appeared in front of him, and soon it became a monster. He thought that he needed to kill the bosses simultaneously. Now the next step. He noticed that the symbols on the boss's body resembled ancient hieroglyphs: misfortune, heaven, ancients, faith, darkness, and deity. The entire sequence translates as UFOs, the ancient god of the apocalypse. While dodging the monster's attacks, he wondered if he should attack the body parts that matched the meaning of the text. He had once spent a lot of time and resources studying ancient texts about the gods to explore the ruins. He struck first at the leg, then at the arm, and finally at the symbol on its chest. After that, the monster roared loudly, and a fountain of green liquid poured from its mouth, and a small lake appeared under their feet. The monster collapsed, once again becoming a formless mass, and small waves appeared on the surface of the water, after which large coffins emerged from under it. The formless mass began to rise. It divided into faces, which then began to fly nearby. Qinfeng noticed that the hieroglyphs on the coffins corresponded to the monsters. It seemed they should be killed near their corresponding coffins. According to the ancient tablet, this was the final stage. He prepared for battle and attacked them. After some time, an earthquake occurred. The players who were waiting for him felt it and realized that something was happening in the valley. Had the bosses gone berserk? They decided to check it out, and one of the players excitedly asked where Shadow was. His friend responded that he told them so, that even he couldn't defeat this boss. It seemed he'd simply chickened out. When they ran to the source of the earthquake, they saw traces of a fight and coffins all around, and also that all the bosses had disappeared. They didn't understand what had happened, where the crack had come from, and where the monsters had disappeared to. Anu contacted them and said that Shadow had apparently defeated them, and they grimaced in bewilderment. They found it hard to believe he could handle them. Only 10 minutes had passed. The battle was already over, and they hadn't even noticed him. One of the players was worried that they might respawn, and his friend said that now he was beginning to understand their leader's decision. MC, meanwhile, collected his reward in an invisible state and thought it was a pretty good haul. He reached level 14, gained 294 mutation points thanks to the Greedy Hands skill, and, most importantly, managed to obtain the Ancient God's tablet. It would have taken the government a month to find it, and the losses would have been severe. Now in his hands was the cursed tablet of the Ancient God of Disasters, UFOs. When applied to any piece of equipment, the tablet grants it a buff appropriate to the user's class. However, this also comes with negative effects. He decided to try using it on the Gift of Dark Flame, bone-crushing leather armor. Emerald gear, combined with the Gift of Dark Flame's effect, would weaken the enemy's defense and elemental resistance by 35%. As soon as he applied the tablet to his equipment, the system reported that it had a positive effect. The Gift of Dark Flame's effect limitation had been increased to 15 layers. However, this also came with a negative effect. The level of basic stats was reduced by 31%. Since the limit has now increased to 15 layers, he will be able to weaken the enemy's defense to negative values. This is something he expected from the Ancient God's tablet. Compared to the benefits, the negative effect is practically unnoticeable. Now he decided to move on to skills and try to improve Shadow Slaughter to the legendary rank and see what effects he could get. He spent 200 mutation points and improved Shadow Slash to the legendary level. The strike range in one direction increased to 40 meters. He can now remain in a stealth state for up to 15 seconds and can deal 9 strikes to all enemies in his path. The cooldown has been reduced to 8.8 seconds. The width of the defeat has increased to 6 meters. Each strike now deals 700 points of damage. After each strike, he receives up to 9 layers of shield, equal in strength to 100% of his health. The use duration is 60 seconds. He was delighted and thought that it seemed like his health had increased tenfold. Now he will be even more difficult to defeat. At this rate, he'll reach level 15 in just 5 hours, and then he'll be able to return to the City of Magic. When he returns to the Forgotten Continent, the women were still beating Qinzhao. Finally, they grew tired and, spitting on her one last time, ordered her to avoid them altogether. As soon as they left, she struggled to her feet and started crying, blaming everything on Qin Feng. Did he really abandon her? Did he really take her words that seriously? Fortunately, she was able to join the Templars. At least she's not in danger of dying for the next 3 years. Even though she takes 50% of the exchange energy, she always has some left, so she'll definitely level up faster than the others. She used all her mana to restore her health to 100% and exclaimed that soon no one would dare do that to her. MC will regret everything, just like those women. She missed again, and her spell targeted Qin Feng, and with her mana completely drained, she fell to her knees and with her last bit of strength, wondered who the target was. Meanwhile, in the ruins, a small squad was fighting a monster. Shishi and her boys watched them from cover, and she said with displeasure that these Chinese were simply ridiculous. To defeat this monster, they assembled a squad of 18 people. The guy asked her not to say that, they were trying for them, so they should be grateful. She smiled, noticing that he felt so sorry for them, and thought that these stupid idiots still couldn't defeat this golden boss. When the monster had very little health left, the players rejoiced, because they had one last blow left. But Shishi and her boys quickly dealt with one of them, and Tony thanked them for their help. Seeing them, the rest of the team were outraged and exclaimed that a Chinese woman had teamed up with a foreign gang to rob other teams. Who do you have to be to rob your own countrymen? They pounced on them, confident of their victory, because there weren't that many of them. And Shishi asked in response, were they still trying to resist? This was just ridiculous. A guy from her team hit the ground with 2 huge hammers, which immobilized them, after which Shishi rushed to the attack and, having rushed past them, dealt with them in a few blows. After that, she laughed and said that these people are simply good for nothing. It seems the government already knows about them. But what good is that if all the people of China are complete trash? How can they compare to them? She suggested that her team quickly fly to America before anyone finds out their real identities. There, they can create their own guild to kill players from China. The guys agreed and asked what they would name the guild, and she suggested the name Alice. After that, she lay down and said that that was enough for today. It was time to throw a party in reality to celebrate the guild's founding. They would have a lot of fun. Meanwhile, Anu contacted the MC and told him that they had decided how much they were willing to pay for the shelter. 1,500 points. He told her that it was not enough, and she said that she knew it, so she convinced them to raise the price to 2,000. He agreed and suggested that she discuss it in more detail near the statue in the center of the ruins. And when they met, he saw that she was fully prepared. She had brought an entire army with her. She smiled awkwardly and told him not to pay attention to it. The management simply found out what price they were talking about and decided to play it safe. He told her that everything was fine and thought that fortunately the government still didn't know his true level. 1 or 2 hits would be enough for him to destroy them all. After that, they made a deal. He gave her the key and received 2,000 years in exchange for energy. He left, and the player from behind her guard asked, "Is this thing really worth 2,000 years of exchange energy?" His comrade said that this shelter can accommodate hundreds and even thousands of people. No one except Shadow would agree to such a deal, so this sacrifice was worth it. After that, Qin Feng spent many years of exchange energy to bring his skills to reality. With the exception of a few items, he was able to transfer almost all of his skills and equipment into reality, and his strength in the real world is now almost the same as in the game. The system warned him that his hunger level had reached 90%. So, he decided to log out. When he woke up, he found himself locked in a cage with some guys standing nearby. They demanded all of his exchange energy from him, threatening to kill him. But he, of course, wasn't going to do it. He simply glared at them. The more he angered them, and one of them asked his boss if he could beat him to death. He replied that this guy was pretty weird, so they really should kill him. Just as they were about to enter the cage and deal with him, MC used his skills and cut the building in half, causing the debris to fall to the ground with a crash. He walked out of the collapsing hotel, eating noodles, and thought that the more abilities are transferred into reality, the more energy the body requires. At his current level, regular food is no longer enough. After defeating Shishi and her guild, he needs to find the Divine Sacrifice skill book. After finishing his noodles, he mounted his wolf and set off, thinking that, unfortunately, Shishi is quite resourceful. Finding her will be much harder than Song Fei. Luckily, he took her assassination order in the past, which will help him lure her out. Since he's not yet full, he decided to find a place to eat on the way to Shanghai. Meanwhile, Shishi had such a great night that her legs were shaking. She clapped her hands in admiration and told the boys they were so amazing. A good night's sleep and logging back into the game after having some fun, what else could she ask for? The boys laughed and called her beautiful and crazy. And at that very moment, one of her subordinates contacted her and said that Shadow had sent them a message saying Qin Feng was dead. He said he wanted to meet her in real life in the City of Magic. He would bring Qin Feng's head and wanted full payment. She thought it was too dangerous and told him to just send a photo, but her subordinate said he didn't use a phone because he was afraid the authorities could track him. Hearing this, she smiled and thought, is he afraid of the authorities too? That's right. The government has become too meddling in other people's business. If she could convince Shadow to join the guild, they would no longer be a threat to them. She gave her subordinate the coordinates and asked him to tell Shadow that she wanted to meet him in the game first. Since she wanted to know what he was like, she contacted Tain Xingjian to help her with something. For a generous payment, of course. MC received her message and thought that she really couldn't be fooled. According to the coordinates, she wants to meet at the Evil Spirit Academy, which isn't that far from him. He immediately logged into the game, deciding to see what she was capable of, and when he arrived at the academy, he found the authorities surrounding her gang and ordering them to surrender, or they would be forced to use force. Shishi said it seemed they had decided to outnumber them. They could tell whoever sent them that they were no longer Ace of Spades, they were the Alice Guild, and they were in the business of killing people like them. She removed her breastplate, exposing her breasts, which made everyone embarrassed, and Haonan exclaimed that they had to bring them to justice. He asked her in private messages if this was too daring, and she asked back, did he like this? If he helped her play out this performance to the end, something special would await him tonight. Qin Feng glanced at this guy and thought, is this him? Chu Haonan, known as Tain Xingjian, was a traitor working for the Alice Guild. He wasn't discovered until 7 years after the game's launch. He continued to put on an act, and MC silently noted that it was interesting that Shishi and he had known each other from the very beginning. It seemed they decided to test whose side he would take. If he helped her, the government would start pursuing him, and if he didn't, she would refuse to meet in person. He decided to prove his loyalty to her and, jumping down to them, easily dealt with Haonan and his squad, surprising the girl's gang. As soon as he finished with them, he approached Shishi and introduced himself, greeting her. She was so excited and thought he was so cool. She adored guys like that. It's weird that he's from China. She never would have thought such a thing was possible. This country is simply unworthy of him. Her boys said it was simply incredible. He dealt 40,000 points of damage. Now they understood how strong the best player is. They happily greeted him, but he immediately killed them and said that he did not understand what they were saying. Maybe they had already cursed him? Shishi was very surprised and exclaimed that they just wanted to say hello to him, and he, apologizing to her, said that to avoid such misunderstandings in the future, let them speak in a language he understands. He suggested that she get down to business, but first he asked her to get dressed, and she asked where Qin Feng's head was. She thought this guy was pretty strange, but she really liked him, and he told her that he had his head. But he can't take this one into the game. They need to meet in real life. Since she had already seen his strength and was convinced that he would not lie to her, she transferred energy to him and agreed to the meeting. He was about to leave, but she stopped him and enticingly said that he had power, and she had money, so she thought they would work together perfectly. She had one more task for him. Let him come to her and they would discuss the details. She was ready to give him whatever he wanted. He asked who her target was this time and what the price was, and she suggested they discuss it privately. The reward would be several times greater than that for Qin Feng's head. She would be waiting for him today at the port of the City of Magic. After that, she logged out of the game, and he wondered if her yacht was there. Meanwhile, the people from the authorities resurrected, and Haonan cursed, saying that he knew he would betray them. But in fact, he was very happy, since Shadow had teamed up with her, which meant he would receive a reward for such a brilliant plan. Continuing to play his role, he discontentedly exclaimed that those idiots from Shanghai continued to cooperate with him, but they would answer for it. He turned to Lin Qingwei and told her to order everyone to prepare the maximum possible amount of life energy. She agreed and thought, is Shadow really now in league with Ace of Spades? If so, then they must destroy him. But she doesn't know if they have enough strength for this. He killed her even before she was able to understand anything. MC meanwhile arrived at her yacht and introduced himself to the guards at the entrance. As soon as they let him in, the yacht sailed away from the pier and he began to wait for her. Soon she came out to him in a luxurious dress with 2 glasses of wine, and noticing his cloak, said that she didn't know that he was so mysterious in real life. He decided to get straight to the point, and she came closer to him, noticing that he seemed to dislike romance. Can't he at least not talk about business in such a setting? She offered him a drink because a wonderful night awaited them, and he drank it all in one gulp without hesitation. She was very happy about this, after which she pushed him onto the sofa and sat down next to him, asking if he liked it. He didn't understand what she was talking about, and she said that it was her special recipe. Anyone who drinks this wine will obey her in everything. Feeling the effect of the wine on himself, he blushed and became nervous, and she noted that even Shadow is, first of all, an ordinary person. It's so wonderful. She lowered herself and advised him to relax. When they reach the peak, she will throw off his hood and finally see his face. He must be incredibly handsome, but for now they will not rush. She pulled down his pants and was pleasantly surprised. She exclaimed that she didn't even know that such guys existed in China. Let's keep silent about her further actions, from which he became even more embarrassed, and when he had already reached his peak, she was scalded by fire and recoiled back, screaming in pain. The real Qin Feng approached her and, grabbing the pendant on her neck, asked, "Is this a protective crystal?" "Not bad. It saved her from death." Seeing it, she was very surprised and exclaimed, "How is this possible? Shadow killed him, after all." He said that the answer was obvious. He was Shadow. Upon learning this, she was completely confused and turned to the guy in the hood and exclaimed, "Who the hell is that?" He was an ancient follower, and now he was very happy. After that, she began to tearfully beg Qin Feng for forgiveness on her knees and banged her forehead on the floor. She exclaimed that she had made a terrible mistake, and if he wanted, she would give him all the exchange energy. He could use it however he wanted. He asked who the 5 foreigners were that were with her, and she asked if she told him, would he let her go? She started acting strange again, and he quickly dealt with her, receiving 659 years of energy, after which he took her phone and thought that it seemed like those 5 weren't here. It's a shame. He was hoping to deal with them in one go, but first he uses her phone to contact the authorities. Soon they receive a report of a brutal murder on the yacht, as well as the use of abilities very similar to Shadow in the game, and the investigation team is dispatched to the scene. Haonan cursed out loud, but inwardly he was very upset by Shishi's death. He exclaimed with displeasure that this Shadow literally laughs at the law. As soon as they board the yacht, he will use the detection skill and try to figure out where he is. After that, let them open fire and make sure he is dead. As soon as they board the yacht, they find the girl's body, as well as burns in her mouth and traces of unidentified DNA. The most likely cause of death is a broken neck. Haonan exclaimed that this Shadow not only kills people, but also mocks their bodies. After which he touched Shishi to reveal the location of her killer. When he saw everything, he immediately took out his gun and warned the others about the danger. Shadow was right there. He ordered them to open fire, but then fell dead next to his lover. The rest of the investigation team immediately used shields and opened fire, and Qingyue called out to Shadow, asking, does he understand that he just killed an investigator? He will be in very serious trouble. MC said that they did not need to worry. He killed him only because he shared all the information with Shishi. He was a traitor. All the evidence of this can be found in his phone. One of the investigators checked it and told Qingyue that there really was a correspondence between him and Qian Shishi, and she really was the leader of Ace of Spades. She snatched the phone from his hands to see everything for herself, and he sheepishly asked her to wait. She, in response, asked displeasedly, is there something in there that she's not allowed to see? But when she looked at the phone screen, she saw a spicy video of them and embarrassedly exclaimed that this was impossible. So what Shadow said was true. He killed them in the game to gain Shishi's trust, and then killed her and Haonan in real life. He solved 2 of their problems with one blow. He is a truly scary person. Luckily, he doesn't want problems with the authorities, otherwise the consequences would be catastrophic. She still managed to hit him a couple of times. She hoped he wasn't offended, otherwise she would have a hard time. She thanked him for his help and apologized for shooting him, after which she shot herself in the leg, and her colleagues excitedly called out to her. She raised her hand, showing that she was okay, and then turned to Shadow and, with tears in her eyes, said that she hoped he wouldn't be angry now. Let him continue to help them. After that, Her colleagues helped her, and Qin Feng, standing nearby, thought, did she really shoot herself in the leg so that he would not be angry with her? He expected something like this from one of the future high-ranking officials of the city. Meanwhile, Qin Shao was fighting monsters in the ruins with her comrade. While trying to hold off the attacks of a predatory plant, he called out to her and asked with displeasure whether she would heal him or not. She used a spell, but missed again, and the plant grabbed him, and he exclaimed in rage that she cured the wrong person again. She was simply useless. With her spell, she cured the boss, and then the monster killed them in one hit, and they were resurrected. She burst into tears and exclaimed that she died again. She doesn't even know why. Is it Shadow again? Why is he chasing her? Does he know that she wants to avenge Song Fei? Her comrade hit her with all his might and exclaimed, why would he waste time on trash like her? They were killed by the platinum boss, the headless assassin Xiao Lu. Doesn't she even look at the system notifications? It was activated by the very healing skill she used. If the guild master sends her under his command, he simply won't be able to withstand it. She grabbed the place where she was struck and said that it hurt, after which the headless assassin appeared behind her, and her comrade exclaimed in fear that it turned out the boss had followed them. After that, he took off running, leaving her alone with the monster. Meanwhile, Dongfang Yue was furious. She exclaimed that this was the perfect opportunity to kill Shadow. What are they waiting for? They've been quietly plotting in the highest circles for so many years, and now what are they afraid of? She will accept no objections. He killed her entire clan. Her family must be avenged. No matter how, Shadow must pay for everything he's done. Their stepfather died at his hands, and they're still hesitating? Her beloved son, Nantian, who had just tortured the girl, approached her and said he had a plan to kill Shadow. She asked him what he had in mind and said that the game requires 18 years of age to enter, and he wouldn't be able to get in. He smiled and said that even if he couldn't get into the game, he could use his brain. Shadow likes to kill, right? They could send people to eliminate him. They would bring him to his father's pyrotechnics factory, where everything would already be ready, and when he got there, everything would explode and the whole world would witness his death. Even if the plan failed, he would never dare interfere with them again. His mother smirked and remarked that their investment in his education had not been in vain. Her beloved, with whom she spoke on the phone, said that this plan should be kept secret, since the government still had relations with Shadow, but they would not be supported in this endeavor. She said she would handle everything, then ended the call and approached the girl, asking if she still didn't want to give up her exchange energy. Her son apologized to her and said with a sweet smile that he lost his temper for a second and accidentally killed her. Meanwhile, the headless assassin Xiao Lu reached the rest of the players, killing Qin Xiao and everyone near her. Because of this monster's ability, the players thought it was Shadow who started killing them and started running. They say he's completely mad. Meanwhile, he was in reality on the coast and thought it was a great place for a shelter. The system asked if he wanted to spend 1,315 years transferring the abode of pure souls to reality. It asked him to select a shelter location on the map and informed him that after the transfer, everything located in that place would be destroyed. Does he still want to continue? He agreed, and a huge palace appeared on the ocean floor, after which the water parted to the sides and the palace rose to the surface. After that, he decided to start searching for the divine book and transferred to the game, and Wang Meng immediately contacted him, saying that he was informed that he was killing random players. But he found out that he was not even online at that moment, and decided to investigate. It turned out that this was the work of a headless assassin. Her stealth level is very high. Could he help them? Meanwhile, players continued to die. The defender and his team arrived at the scene, and he cautiously peeked out from cover, asking how strong this boss was. Her level is undetectable, even with level 3 anti-stealth. If he could spot the monster, she wouldn't have a chance. Even Shadow couldn't cope with her. Rabbit became worried and told him to be quiet, so that the monster wouldn't detect them, and she suggested they find a higher point where they would have a better view. They carefully emerged from cover, but suddenly the defender slipped on a banana peel that appeared out of nowhere and somersaulted, perfectly dodging the boss's attack. But his comrades died instantly. Realizing he was left alone with the monster, he cursed and ordered her to attack, as he wasn't afraid of her. She swung her hand, preparing to strike, and at that moment he somersaulted to the side, but realized he had started dodging too early. He did a few more somersaults, but Xiao Lu still hadn't even attacked, and he thought this boss was pretty durable. He continued somersaulting around her, which made him dizzy, and then at one point she disappeared and quietly moved behind him. Since everything was swimming before his eyes, he couldn't react normally to this, and she struck him in the back with all her strength, which killed him instantly. At that moment, another assassin appeared. MC attacked her from behind and pinned her to the ground, dealing heavy damage, and asked, "Her name is Xiao Liu, right?" Meanwhile, everyone blamed Qin Xiao for everything, calling her the fool who missed her spell and activated the headless boss. The boss discovered her and followed her to the respawn point, where they all died. She burst into tears and said that she didn't mean to, and one of the guild members turned to the guild leader and said that they no longer wanted her in their team. Another player agreed with him and exclaimed that they didn't even understand how they died. The guild leader told them to stop screaming. They didn't want bosses chasing them all the time. After that, He told Qin Xiao that she was not fit to participate in battles. From now on, she would be busy searching for information about shelters. If she finds refuge, he'll reward her with 3 years of exchange energy. For a platinum refuge, she'll get 10 years. He thought that when he learned she had a hidden class, he thought they'd found a real diamond, but what a pity, he was wrong. He told her that from now on, she'll receive 1 day of exchange energy, otherwise, she'll die every day, which they don't want. She thanked him for this, and the girls who beat her were furious, because now she'll meet with the guildmaster every day, and they all unanimously decided that this was her plan. They decided to take revenge on her later, after which Qin Feng appeared and dealt with the headless assassin. The guildmaster and his comrades stared at him in surprise, after which the guy punched his subordinate. At that very moment, something began to happen to Qin Xiao. The air around her began to distort, and then the guildmaster ran out of the crowd and kicked her, throwing her away. She rose into the air, and at that moment, 4 headless assassins appeared around her at once. The protector and his team, hiding around the corner, were surprised by how many there were. Now they understood why they thought she was everywhere. She simply had a lot of clones. Meanwhile, Qin Xiao, noticing Shadow, was overjoyed and already thought that he would save her. With tears in her eyes, she extended her hand to him and asked for his help while he prepared for battle. Using the Shadow Slash skill, he suddenly rose into the air and delivered multiple blows, hitting Qin Xiao. The system reported that he had killed the boss and the player, for which he received 48 experience points, 20 mutation points, and 1,520 days of exchange energy. After that, he thought he was out of luck. In addition to 1,520 days, he was able to get several spheres of life energy. Perhaps this happened because the boss absorbed the player's energy and did not have time to digest it yet. At that moment, Captain Anyu appeared behind him and called out to him, asking if he could sell them what he did not need. He nervously noted that they were literally everywhere, after which he turned around and said that they were just in time. There was a lot of useful stuff here. If they agreed to his price, then he was ready to sell these remains. She agreed. After which, he pointed to Wang Meng and said that he and the others would follow him and that she should stay here. She indignantly asked why she was staying, and he told her that girls were not allowed there. She deliberately pretended to be upset and asked, "Is he kidding?" She didn't know he was such a misogynist. She liked him, but it turned out he was more into boys. He hit her on the head in response and said that there was a divine tower behind the ruins of the northern city, and by passing the trials there, they could obtain valuable artifacts. But the NPCs in the tower hated women, so having girls in the team would make things more difficult for them. And Yu loudly cursed, saying that when she could level up, she would kill them all. Then, she called the girls and angrily walked towards the mobs, suggesting that they kill them to vent her anger. The girls said goodbye to them, after which Qin Feng sent a team invite to Wang Meng and the others, telling them to follow him. One of them said that this was his first time in a team with such a strong player, so he was a little worried. Wang Meng asked why he was so worried. This was a great opportunity to learn something, wasn't it? After that, they ran after him, and he said that he would find that he was walking slowly, but they couldn't keep up. His level was too high. His comrade exclaimed indignantly, how could they learn anything from him? Qin Feng, meanwhile, hadn't paid any attention to their conversations and thought that about 20 items had dropped here, only 2 of which could be used by assassins. He took out an emerald rank bone blade for level 15 players. This weapon has a unique effect. After dealing damage, his speed doubles for 5 seconds, while the chance of dodging increases by 30%. He really liked this weapon, because its attack power is 80% higher than that of the poison blade, plus armor penetration, increased striking power, and agility. After that, he looked at the description of the platinum rank Shadow Blade. Blade throw deals damage to targets within 20 meters, adding 600 shadow damage. After hitting, it deals additional damage below platinum rank. The cooldown is 12 seconds, requiring level 14. He thought that shadow damage to only 1 target wasn't very good, but the additional damage was a great advantage. He upgraded this to legendary rank by spending 56 mutation points, and then straight to legendary. Hitting a weak spot reduces the cooldown by 3 seconds. Now the cooldown will be 0.78 seconds. He decided to go back to check on the guys, but when he didn't see them, he froze in confusion and wondered where they were. By this time, they had fallen behind him by 2 kilometers and stopped to rest. Since he was too fast, they couldn't keep up with him and had to run, which left them exhausted. But Wang Meng wasn't going to give up so easily and dragged them by the legs. After some time, Feng came to a tall tower and said that this is where it is. After entering, some NPCs will attack them. They are evil here. The stronger the player, the more expensive the loot will be. Therefore, he will use 1% of his power for some time. Their task is to kill the gold boss. He turned around and saw his tired team members who fell to the ground. Meng gave a thumbs up and loudly said that everything is under control. He guarantees the completion of the task. He went to the door and said that they should not forget. For this, they will receive very good things from the NPCs. They must be on the communication channel with the team so as not to miss the NPCs. They entered and saw a hovering creature who called them Dear Blue Stars, greeted them and asked, surely, being in the game, abandoned by a god makes them feel uneasy, doesn't it? They are in the tower of a god. They will be forced to make a deal with him if they cannot pass the test. They must say when they are ready. The team members asked, So there are NPCs in the game? Wait, which boss are they supposed to fight? The protagonist stood calmly forward and said that they should just listen to him, and that's it. A team member asked if he could explain in more detail and how long it would take. How many stages does the monster have? What skills does it have? What mechanics does it have? Or will they take it by numbers? He continued asking a lot of different questions, and Meng said that he doesn't have to pay attention. His nickname is Calm Dog. Last time, he lost 2 friends from the team, and now he is extremely careful in everything he does. He turned to the creature and said that they were ready to begin. It bowed and said that it wanted them to enjoy the fight. After that, a level 20 black obsidian golem with gold status appeared next to them. He calmly watched it and said that everything was fine. He should go forward. Meng charged, used the shield dash skill, and struck the boss. The monster struck him back and knocked him back. He flew to the others, and MC caught him. He looked at the monster and said that they should not think about him. The archer should use Starlight and the swordsman triple strike. They agreed and did what he told them. The monster fell to his knees, and he raised his hand, praised them, and said that the boss had gone crazy, so he was joining. He used the Shadow Blade skill and threw a dagger at the monster's head, which dealt 4,500 damage. The monster used the Berserker Strike skill. The team members looked at this and asked, does the boss have a new technique? The strike of this technique is very powerful. The boss is simply too good, so he sees no point in fighting. He probably thinks this NPC is too weak. The stronger the player, the better the loot, right? I wonder, how does he know this? Feng said with a calm look that there are many secrets in the Tower of God, just like in the Shanghai ruins. Aren't they curious themselves? Haven't they ever thought about it? The monster began to concentrate a large amount of energy and loudly announced that the boss was spewing fire clockwise. They must avoid being caught in the fire. They would die within 3 seconds. When this happened, he loudly declared that it was too late to hide. He had to cover him. When the flames died down, they should use their most destructive skills and deal a critical hit. They obeyed him and dealt numerous very strong blows. The system announced that the level 20 black obsidian golem had been defeated. He thought that the difficulty of this boss was that after losing 70% of its health points, it went into a berserk state. Until the effect wore off, its power was comparable to that of a silver boss. A creature appeared next to them, laughed, and said that it congratulated them. They had passed the first test. Now their lives were at stake. He would place the divine book. An inscription appeared above the NPC, Sorcerer Wickley. The warrior read it, examined it closely, and asked, does it have 6 fingers? The sorcerer fired a beam of energy at him, dealing 99,999 damage. Meng was very surprised by this and loudly asked why this NPC suddenly started attacking. The protagonist, with a calm expression, said that it was believed that there was no one more reliable than an old dog, but it still didn't help. He didn't need to worry. NPCs and players cannot attack each other unless a player breaks their taboo first. Wickley's taboo is related to his fingers. Just don't mention it and everything will be fine. He looked at this with a worried expression and asked if he could defeat him. He refused, and the system announced that in fact, all these NPCs are the most powerful creatures from other times and worlds who have attained divinity. They are bound by ancient rules, and they came to the Blue Star disguised as NPCs to take away years of players' lives. Wickley said they should choose a divine book, pay with their lives, and leave. Meng was surprised by this and asked, what the hell is that? So, you can exchange part of your life and create food and other things in reality? Food, water, drinks. If you have these books, even in the event of a disaster, they will have a supply of everything they need. It was not for nothing that they followed him. He once again led them to the real treasures. The system notified that he had lost 9,000 days of life and received 9 copies of the Book of the God of Shanghai City. MC calmly thought that these 9 books completely covered his daily needs. There are also achievements in the Deity Tower that give reputation points. He should definitely take these. He asked if he wanted to try to complete the maximum difficulty alone. Could he do that? Wickley looked at him and asked, he can't even handle the first floor, but he dreams of the maximum difficulty? He calmly asked, what is the maximum difficulty? He said there are only 5 levels, the highest being the 5th. The boss is the same golden obsidian skull crusher, but his attack, health, defense, and skill cooldown are increased by 500%. The team members were very surprised by this and asked what he just said. They could barely dodge it at a normal level. With such health and defense, it will take a very long time to hit him. The slightest mistake and it's the end. The sorcerer said that if he dies during the trial, all the lost years of life will go to him. Is he absolutely sure of this? He agreed, to which he laughed and said that since he himself wants to give him his life, he will gladly accept it. The players from the Blue Star really think too much of themselves. At such an early stage of the game, they are already trying to die. Immediately after, the golden obsidian skull crusher appeared in front of him. Feng took out his weapon and thought that he is able to strengthen his summoned monsters 500%. This is far from the limit. When he killed him, he even accelerated it to 2000%. Now he will try out his new weapon. He used the poison dart skill, and the system notified that the Gift of Black Flame effect had been activated. The target monster's defense and resistance were reduced by 7%. The White Bone Blade effect had been activated, increasing speed by 100% for 5 seconds. He quickly jumped onto the monster's head, attacked, and the system notified that the White Bone Blade effect had been activated. After that, he disappeared, and the system notified that speed was again increased by 100% for 5 seconds. The team members looked on and loudly asked, "Did he go invisible again?" That's not true. He was just so fast that it seemed like he had disappeared. He ran up to the boss, and the system notified that the gift of merciful deliverance had been activated. The next attack inflicts the slit throat effect. He used his skill to attack, and the system notified that the gift of black flame had been activated. The enemy's defense and resistance were reduced by 64%. The protagonist looked at the monster's health and thought, this is it, a buff from the ancient divine slab. If it hadn't increased the limit on the gift of black flame's stacks, the damage from each instant shadow attack would have been no more than 18,000. The team members looked at this and loudly asked, did he take a third of his health in one hit? What kind of skill is this? This is the first time he's seen it attack with his own eyes. It looks like instant shadow, but this one only has a few hits, while this one has dozens. Wickley looked at this and wondered if this is even possible in a game that everyone is already calling the Curse of the Gods. What kind of talent level is this? The system notified that the slit throat effect was activated. Every second, the target takes damage equal to 200% of the previous attack. Because of this, the monster began to take a lot of damage very quickly and died. The system notified that he had completed the achievement, reaching level 5 of the Divine Tower, and received 5 reputation points. Since the 5th trial was completed, the previous levels were automatically counted, and he received an additional 10 reputation points. He became the first in the world to solo the Tower of Deity on the highest difficulty. He received 75 reputation points. A global announcement was made. Player Shadow became the first in the world to clear the Tower of Deity on the highest difficulty. People were surprised by this and asked, what the hell is this? He definitely didn't see any towers in the ruins of his city. It's incredible. Has he really gotten ahead of everyone again? At the same time, Wickley loudly said that this was definitely a scam. They, the people from the Blue Star, were too cunning. If he had known earlier, he would have asked for 100,000 days of life for each book. They must leave here immediately and mustn't be seen again. He began to concentrate a large amount of energy in his hand, which greatly surprised the team members, and they loudly asked, what is he going to do? He was going to use a super move. He released this energy at them, after which they teleported outside. They were surprised by this, and MC said that he had warned that NPCs couldn't kill them. They took the books, so he would log out to eat. Meng said loudly that he was grateful for taking them with him. If there was another chance, he should definitely call them. After some time, the system announced that 9 divine books had been retrieved, 90 days of life had been spent, and the resource could be exchanged. He said that having spent 106 years of life, he had acquired luxurious furniture, household goods, food, and even a universal mechanical maid. The maid appeared in front of him and said that she was glad to meet the master. She could take care of all the chores in the house. Did he have any wishes? She would do everything for him. He was lying on the sofa and said that she should clean the house and cook a luxurious dinner. She immediately quickly began to carry out his instructions and said that she would begin a complete cleaning of the entire house. At the same time, in Shanghai City, police stood by the body of a dead person covered with a cloth. They said that this was the 3rd female body found this week. Like the first 2 cases, the limbs were severed, the eyes were missing. It looks like the same killer. Do the investigators have any leads? It seems the killer is well aware of the police methods. The time of the body dumping was chosen to avoid detection in the investigator's skill window. He must find out from Anu how much time is left before her class is upgraded. They can't delay any longer. The killer must be stopped. Did he find something? Maybe this is Shadow's work? He compared the time of its appearance online. It matches the time of the girl's deaths. Maybe it's just a coincidence? This is not enough to indict. However, it is worth checking. Now there are rumors that he is the killer, but they, the official authorities, the people believe that they are covering for him out of fear. He should stop talking about this, because he knows how he humiliated him last time in front of Anu, but he shouldn't mix personal scores with the investigation. He will give orders for the technical department to support him around the clock. He must close the case as soon as possible and bring justice to the victims. Xiaoma was angered by his words and the memories of what happened, but still agreed. Sometime later in the game, the ruins of the magical city. Feng stood on the roof of the building and said that the Evil Spirits Academy is a platinum-level shelter. Although it is not the most secretive, this barrier is considered the strongest in all of the Celestial Empire. The system notified that he can spend 2,740 years of exchanged life and create the Shadow Guild. He calmly said that by capturing this place and registering it under the guild, he will receive a full-fledged shelter in the ruins of the magical city. It is possible to move between shelters. Now the road from the magical city to Shanghai and back will be much easier. He walked down the city street and said it was strange. He had already reached the 3rd underground level, but there were no monsters anywhere. A fairly strong group of players had clearly been here. His attention was drawn to the loud laughter of a man who said that she would not be able to escape now. The girl was surrounded, frightened, and loudly asked him not to approach her. The 3 guys who surrounded her loudly said that she should not be afraid. They would not kill her yet. Lady Dongfeng ordered her to be brought to her and wanted her son to love her properly. She must quickly tell where she is in reality, Otherwise, they will kill her until she wastes her entire life. By the way, she will not be able to escape because people from their guild, the Asura temple, are already waiting for her at the respawn point. He suggests doing it this way. She killed Lady Dongfang twice. She probably took many years of her life, right? If you count, at least 30 years? She will give them these 30 years and then play with the three of them. After that, they will let her go. She looked at them with a worried look and asked what he meant. He grinned, took off his pants, and said that this is what he meant. She looked away and asked, do they promise that they will let her go? He agreed with a smile and said that she should come here and start with him. She came closer. But unexpectedly for them, she swung her hand and used the poison dart skill. She did not have time to finish her attack because another guy jumped on top of her and used the golden tripod earthquake skill. The guy with his pants down sat next to her and said that this was her last chance. She should open her mouth. She laughed and said goodbye to them. She controlled the bandage on her hand, and with a very sharp blow killed two guys in front of her at once. The guy who pinned her down looked at what was happening with a surprised look. The bandage wrapped around him and killed him with a single attack. The protagonist watched from the side, his attention drawn to her weapon, and he wondered, her class? Is it the blade of the underworld? Ghost Jade? She said with a serious expression that Dongfang Yu must remember she will definitely kill her. He emerged from hiding and thought that, just like Shadow, it was a hidden class from the assassin branch. In her past life, she was among the top 10 strongest players, occupying 10th place in the world rankings. However, having become an enemy of the Chu family from Madu, she was exposed in the real world. After being surrounded from all sides, she managed to take down thousands of enemies before dying on her feet from exhaustion. When their guild learned of this, everyone sincerely regretted. Now he met her here. But who did she call? Didn't he exterminate the entire Dongfang clan? He came out to her and called her Ghost Shade. She was about to attack him right away and asked loudly, so there are survivors? He refused and was about to explain, but she didn't want to listen to him and was going to kill him. She used the underworld chain blade with a serious expression. She wrapped her weapon around him, but he appeared behind her and said that he didn't mind playing. She jumped away from him and used the hidden shadow skill to hide. She disappeared, and he smirked and asked, is this invisibility? He used the hidden shadow skill, and they stood in place in silence for a few seconds. She was worried that she didn't see him and thought, but her class has a level 4 in detecting hidden targets. How is he still eluding her? Could it really be a shadow? She was scared because he came out of invisibility, standing next to her, and said that she was right. He was here. She jumped away from him, controlled her weapon, and thought she has the 4th level of invisibility, but he still sees her? She channeled strong energy into her weapon and used the skill Phantom Chase. MC dodged her first attack and asked loudly, can this chain track his location? She looked at him with a serious expression and thought that her eyes do not see him, but the weapon itself indicates the target. It is impossible to escape from the mark of Phantom Chase. He calmly ran away from her weapon and wondered, can this class really ignore the detection level? It's interesting, but nothing more. He made her chain bind herself, and she screamed loudly with a surprised expression. He lifted her by the chain and asked, can she hear him now? He is not Yue's person. If he wanted to kill her, she would already be dead. She said that she believes him, and now he must let her go. He asked if she could tell him if the one she was talking about was from the Dongfang family in Shanghai. She agreed and said that, however, she had later married into the Chu family, so her connection with the Dongfang family was already weak. He said that he understood her, which meant there was a survivor. Then he still hadn't finished off the entire Dongfang clan, and she wasn't among them. She was surprised by what she heard and asked loudly, so it was he who destroyed this family? That's great, which means they have a common enemy. He should let her go. The enemy of her enemy is her friend, and they can cooperate. He put her on the ground and said that they would discuss cooperation later. First, could she tell him why she wanted to kill Yue? She said with a serious expression that it was to avenge her mother. Before the world abandoned by the gods came into being, Yue killed her mother while drunk and driving. However, she got away with it. The Chu family bribed witnesses and found a scapegoat. Her father found evidence of her guilt. She began to cry and said loudly that the next day he was pulled out of the river. Officially, they said he simply lost his nerve and jumped. She went to her for justice, but the Chu family's people beat her half to death. Then she despaired and thought about ending her life, but it was at that moment that the game came into their world. Her first order of business was to kill Yue. However, in the game, to truly kill, you need to completely reset the character's lifespan. After reviving, she hired people to chase her, and then he saw everything himself. She called him by his nickname and said that she was asking him to help kill her. He calmly looked at her and refused.